Hello, draft fans. Welcome to Season 4 of the National Pokemon Association. My name is Jodor, your commissioner and coach of the Seattle Sea Kings. It is my pleasure to give the first video announcement for the new season and reintroduce the league to anyone who may be new, remind everyone else how it works, and go over the coach roster for Season 4, along with 6 brand new coaches. The National Pokemon Association, or NPA, is a 24-team draft league that has improved upon the tier format introduced by A-Drive a few years ago, with each coach drafting 7 Pokemon from 6 tiers, with a balance of 400 points going to the remaining 4 free or flex picks. With last year being the beginning of Gen 7, we introduced the S tier in Season 3 to account for the lack of enough Megas to supply every team. That's no longer necessary, and will be replaced with the return of the Mega tier in Season 4. Any non-Mega Pokemon in S tier, such as Ultra Beasts, will either be banned or brought down to Tier 1 as deemed appropriate, with the rest of the tiers shifting to accommodate. After plenty of feedback from coaches, staff, and viewers, we've banned Tapu Lele and Mega Metagross, but we'll be experimenting with a few mons that recently left Smogon Ubers, such as Mega Mawile. We've also expanded the playoffs from 10 coaches to 12, now with more wildcard slots to give each coach a better chance of competing for all the postseason glory. Now on to the coaches. We'll start by introducing longtime coaches who have spent at least 2 seasons with the league. As I said before, my name is Jodor, your coach of the Seattle Sea Kings.
Hey there everyone, Jerry here, the coach of your Los Angeles Landorus.
Hello everybody, this is The Exception, coach of the Tampa Bay Lux Rays.
Yo, what is going on YouTube? It's your boy Dan, aka A-Drive, the coach of your defending champions, the Minnesota Vikavolt.
Hello guys, what is up? This is Galactic Ellie, the coach of your Chicago Cubchus.
What is going on, guys? I am Papa C, coach of the New York Klings for Season 4 of the National Pokemon Association.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Kyle A, and I am your coach of the Miami Dolphins, and we are the only team that matters, and we have returned to the NPA.
What is going on, NPA fans? Golf Stigma here, coach of your Southampton Sharpedos.
What's up guys, this is Sin and I am your coach for the Cedar Rapids Thunderous.
Yo guys, my name is Kasuki and I want to be the very best that I can be, and I am your coach of the Adelaide Honchcrows.
Howdy world, this is the Choice Specs, coach of the Orlando Magikarps, ready to make a splash.
Yo, what is up guys? My name's Aaron Boff and I'm the coach of your Rochester Rhydons.
Up next, we have coaches we added in Season 3 who are returning to join us once again.
What's going on everyone? My name is Under the Radar and I am the coach of the Maryland Torterrapins in this season of the NPA.
What is up guys, this is John, aka Pokemon, coach of your New Orleans Pelipers.
What's up guys, Moonlight Swami here, coach of the Colorado Rapidash, back to claim the NPA title.
Yo, what is good in the hood? It's your boy Danny, aka King Bub, coach of the one and only Munchlaxter United.
What's up everybody, it's me, the professor without the PhD, Willow here, coach of the United Kingdom.
Hey guys, Linamar here, and I am your coach of the Straw Hat Swampers, and I'm gonna be king of the NPA.
And now, please give a warm welcome to our 6 newest coaches.
What is going on, guys? My name is Crimson Seabed, coach of the Detroit Type Nulls.
Que pasa YouTube, 6-Foot Hacks here, coach of your Durham Druddigons.
Yo, what's going on guys? It's Data Dave here, and I'm ready to win as your coach of the Atlanta Arcanines.
Hello, this is Reddithin, coach of your Nashville Predators.
Oh hey there, CantoCast Blue here, your coach of the Tapu Koko Puffs. Not only am I ready to take a bite out of the competition, I am excited to be part of a well-balanced lineup of teams for Season 4 of the NPA.
What's hatching, Tug Peeps? I'm Momentup, and I am coach of the Pittsburgh Piratas.
The draft will take place on February 3rd at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, hosted by A-Drive and Crimson Seabad on A-Drive's Twitch channel at twitch.tv/A-Drive. We look forward to battling hard this season and hope you are excited to come along for the ride. See you at the draft!
Yo, what is going on? Twitch.tv/ADRIVE, it's your boy Dan, aka A-Drive, bringing you guys the NPA Season 4 live draft stream. I hope you guys are excited. I am joined by my co-host. His name is Crimson Seabed.
Yo, what is going on? I tried. What's up, guys? Welcome out to the draft stream. Hope you guys are excited for the season 4 draft stream of the NPA. If you guys are, let's see some hype in the chat. root for your favorite teams. Of course, check out the document as we go along and break down the draft. I'm excited. I'm excited.
Yeah, I am definitely excited as well. We're going to be breaking down all 24 teams. As you saw, a lot of new coaches, some old favorites, and everything in between. We're going to be talking about every single pick here for NPA Season 4. Of course, we already talked a little bit about, or showed the video talking about kind of all the teams that are here, kind of the draft league format. We've got some new Pokemon available for the first time. We've got some old favorites, of course, like I said, that you can draft. I encourage everyone who is watching this stream to not only, one, tweet out the stream, tell your friends what you're watching, of course, as we are about to go down here with NPA Season 4 draft. And we got some great information coming for you guys pretty soon. Of course, the first week of battle is going to be starting next week, guys, on Saturdays. And you can catch all your favorite coaches there. I recommend typing !NPA in the chat. That way you can check out all the coaches, all the Pokemon available for draft, and just a quick recap on the rules. But I'll show you guys just a quick little talk about the tiers and how those kind of work. So here's the tiers. It's a tier draft. So basically there's 24 teams in a randomized order. The only exception to that randomization is yours truly. As the champion last season, I was gifted, or rewarded rather, the first pick overall. So I've got the first pick, but I don't get to pick again until pick number 48 or whatever it may be, because 23 other teams have to pick and then pick one more time, as it is a snake style draft. But each team is required to pick one Mega Evolution. We also will pick one Pokemon in tier 1, one Pokemon in tier 2, one Pokemon in tier 3, two Pokemon in tier 4, one Pokemon in tier 5. Then we have 4 picks that we can choose. It says free, and that's because you're free to pick whatever tier you want. However, you are restricted to a 400 point total. Now, one thing to note about that is certain megas, tier 1 megas, will take away 40 points from that 400 points. Certain megas will actually give you points towards that 400 points to give you more versatility throughout the draft. So you'll see various coaches take different strategies approaching this draft different ways, and ultimately ending up with pretty unique teams that have to dive very, very much so into the depths of the best Pokemon available in the draft league format. Chase, do you have anything to add about the tier draft format here? I think Chase is having some technical issues with his microphone right now. So in the meantime, I'm gonna let you guys know that that is basically how it goes down with the tiered format. So to give you guys a basic example, if you were to draft a tier 1 Mega Evolution, say you were to grab something like, let's say you were to grab something like Mega Mawile, for example. Mega Mawile is gonna reduce your total points by 40, restricting your draft and keeping you down to just 360 free points for the kind of the rest of your draft, and so on and so forth. So it does impact how you approach the draft and so on and so forth. So let's see here. Is Chase is still struggling, so I'm gonna just kind of take the reins here until he's back, and I think it's about time. We're gonna jump into round 1 here shortly. But let me know, guys, what coach are you guys most excited to see right now in the NPA Season 4 draft? Let me know in the chat which coach is your favorite coach. Let's see the hype for your favorite coach. And of course, be sure to type !NPA in the chat so you can check out all the coaches, all the Pokemon available. The NPA Twitter is going to be posting basically the tweets as we go along. And then one other thing to note is most of the coaches, if not all of them, will be posting a draft breakdown video as soon as the draft is over. So I believe my good friend Galactic Elliot is going to be taking over here as my co-host as Chase works out his technical difficulties. So I'm going to grab Galactic Elliot. Elliot, are you here?
Yo, what is going on, man?
All right, we got Galactic Elliot taking over with the technical issues. What's up, Elliot? Are you excited for the NPA Season 4 draft, my friend?
I am more excited than I can put into words, and this is completely unplanned, so... hey guys, how are you guys doing? Welcome, welcome, welcome.
All right, so we're going to jump right into things. You ready to jump into round 1, Elliot?
I am so ready, man.
All right, well, we've got some amazing Pokemon in round 1, and there's some great options to pick, and I'll just kind of briefly talk about the draft order here. First pick overall is going to go to me, A-Drive. Second pick will go to the Detroit-type Knowles Crimson Seabad. The third pick will go to the Straw Hat Swamperts, the Lindomar. Maryland Torterrapins and Coach Under the Radar will be going next. your Galactic Elliot and the Chicago Cub Shoes has the pick there for the 5th pick. The New Orleans Pelipers and Pokemon. John, aka Pokemon, is going to be number 6. We got Redithin and the Nashville Predators coming in number 7. The Cedar Rapids Thunderous and Old School Sin is going to be picking after that. Miami Dolphins rolling out. Kyle A has that next pick. The Orlando Magikarp and the Troy Specs. The Munchlaxter United and King Bub. Tampa Bay Luxrays and the Exception. The Colorado Rapidash and Swami. Then you've got the Seattle Sea Kings and Jodor, the Commissioner. Adelaide Honchkrows and Cressel Key. The Rochester Rhydons and your boy Iron Boffin. The LA Landers, Jerry Oak, is coaching that team. You got Data Dave and the Atlanta Arcanines. 6-foot Hacks is coming in with the Durham Druddigons. Papa C with the New York Clinks. Goffy's Enigma with the Southampton Sharpedos. What's hatching Toga Peeps, Old Man Tough, and the Pittsburgh Piratas. Make sure you guys have a well-balanced breakfast with Kanto Cast Blue and the Tapu Cocoa Puffs. And last, our 24th pick, and that wheel, the ever-so-coveted wheel, is Professor Willow and their United Kingler. So we've got 24 amazing coaches ready to kick things off here for NPA Season 4. Let's do it. The first overall pick is going to be Mega Mawile. It's no secret that Mega Mawile is an absolute monster, and the chains have been broken off Mega Mawile for NPA Season 4, and I could not pass it up, man. This thing is a fairy type, it is a steel type, it is incredibly powerful. Incredibly powerful. I know, Elliot, you have some beliefs about Mega Mawile. You are not a fan, Elliot. Tell me about Mega Mawile.
See, this thing's a monster, and, you know, just to put it into perspective, this thing gets huge power. If you compare it to other Pokemon at level 100, whenever this Pokemon's level 50, it has a higher attack base stat total than those Pokemon. But without further ado, man, this thing's amazing. It has the beautiful Steel and Fairy typing to it, and it has a very nice coverage. If you are going against the Pokemon with the terrain, like electric terrain, you can have Thunder Punch to boost it up, and it is a monster overall. But with nice little pick number 2, I'm gonna let Chase take over because he's good now. And Chase, why did you pick Celesteela? What's up with that?
Celesteela is a monster. Also, welcome back, everybody. Hello. Celesteela is a monster. This thing is an incredible, incredible Pokemon. Hits so hard specially, hits so hard physically, takes physical hits, takes special hits, it sets up with a Totemize. It's got, Leech Seed, it's got so much stuff going for it. It's one of those Pokemon you always gotta prep for. And speaking of Pokemon you always have to prep for, next up here we have 3rd overall going to the Straw Hat Swampers. We have Mew. Base 100s across the board, an incredible Pokemon in draft format. It does so much. It's often seen pushed into a bit more of a special defensive role, if I can say so, with things like Will-O-Wisp, things like Knockoff, a little bit more utility. I'm really looking forward to see how Mew is used in this season. Maybe some setup with like some SD Mew action, you know, some nasty plot Mew could be really cool as well. I think in the right hands, Mew is the proper glue to any team. And next up here, we've got Kelly and the Maryland Torterrapins with Landorus Therian. What do you think about Lando, Dan?
Dude, Lando T is definitely one of the biggest threats in the format and could easily have been a first overall pick. In the NPA, we allow Z-moves to kind of be across the board with any Pokemon on the team running the Z-moves. So with Landorus Therian being able to run Groundium Z or even Flying Z with things like Fly, just hits so incredibly hard with that incredible attack stat. It can be used defensively. It's a great pivot Pokemon. It's a stealth rocker. And even though it does have that 4 times weakness to ice, it is just such a huge threat. Galactic Elliot and the Chicago Cub Chews are going to be grabbing Tapu Koko. Galactic Elliot, tell us a little bit about Tapu Koko, man. Why'd you go with Tapu Koko for your first overall pick, man?
Tapu Koko is a Pokemon that I've been wanting to use for such a long time. I'm surprised that it actually went 5 picks in, and now gets Defox. It's one of the fastest Defoggers in the game. It gets U-turn, it gets Volt Switch, as well as some amazing coverage, such as Grass Knot. And with Z-moves being unlocked, this thing can pretty much do whatever it wants. It gets Calm Mind, so if you want to go ahead and sub-Calm Mind, nothing wants to take a hit. Dazzle Gleam Stab is pretty nice. Well, you know, if only you got Moonblast, right? But this thing's a monster, it is a nuke, and with Z-moves, it's not a joke, man. It is crazy.
Yeah, for sure, man. Our next pick coming in is going to be the New Orleans Pelipers. Pokemon has that Mega Latias. Mega Latias is incredibly powerful. Not being weak to that knockoff too badly because of its Mega Stone. It's a great defogger, but really what it does is it can set up Calm Minds, and it's just so incredibly bulky. It's very difficult to take this thing down in one hit, and it hits so hard, especially with that 110 base speed. It's going to be outspeeding a lot of the competition. It obviously can defog. Like I said, it's got a plethora of coverage options and everything else in between. The Predators going to be picking up Blacephalon here, going pretty early in round 1. What do you think about Blacephalon, Chase?
You know, I've got a newfound love for Blacephalon, seeing it recently used in a few other leagues. Blacephalon carrying that Ghost and Fire type typing has an incredible potential to set up with things like Calm Mind, I believe. It has Flame Charge. So even if you're not running a physical set, you can still Flame Charge, get that speed boost, knock something out with a Z move, and all of a sudden you start beast boosting all over the place. Has access to knock off. That signature move, Mind Blown, can be very, very scary as well. Explosion, Shadow Ball, absolutely terrifying. And speaking of terrifying things, next up here from Sin and the Cedar Rapids Thunderous, we have Mega Charizard X, a Pokemon that is absolutely devastating in the right hands. With the Tough Claws ability, base 100 speed, has access to not only being an incredible physical threat, also having support moves with things like Will-O-Wisp, having reliable recovery with Roost, having access to moves like Outrage, Flare Blitz, Earthquake. This thing can hit very hard. A special Charizard X could also definitely come in case the opponent is too prepped for a physical. I mean, it is an incredibly powerful Pokemon. And moving right on ahead, we've got Kyle A and the Miami Don fans grabbing Mega Diancie. Mega Diancie is so good. So good. Great stats, great typing. Obviously does carry that 4x weakness to Steel, but the Magic Bounce ability is incredible. Having access to Moonblast, Power Gem, Earth Power, all the different hidden power techs is a very reliable rocker as well. This thing hits very hard. It's one of those Pokemon absolutely you have to plan for week in and week out, no questions asked. An absolute threat, a great pickup by the Don fans, if I do say so myself. Next up, we have the Orlando Magikarps grabbing Jirachi. Tell us a little bit about Jirachi.
Yeah, Jirachi's a great Pokemon in the first round, and actually I debated grabbing it first overall personally, just because of how good it is, man. It's a base 100 across the board. It can be physical, it can be special. It's got phenomenal typing. It's got U-turn for pivoting, Healing Wish for team support, Wish. It can flinch, obviously, with the Serene Grace ability and Iron Head, and it can be a Calm Mind set too, so not to mention its ability to set Stealth Rock. So when you're looking at Steel types, there's only a few that are really good, and when you have a 24-team format, it's a little difficult to get one that's super solid, but the Magikarp grabbing Jirachi there, great pickup there. The Munchlax United jumping into the Mega tier here, grabbing Mega Lopunny, one of the most dominant forces of Mega Evolution in the format, of course, with that Scrappy ability, allowing it to hit incredibly hard across the board. There are really no switch into this thing except for super bulky Psyche types, and even then, they have an issue dealing with those, like, hard-hitting, returns and so on and so forth, but you could go with High Jump Kick, you can go with Baton Pass to really gain momentum with your team, but this thing really is just a force to be reckoned with. I can tell you I've been on the wrong side of dealing with Power Up Punch Last Resort, and that thing is so scary. But the Tampa Bay Luxury is making a pretty surprise pick. The first team to grab tier 2 here, they're gonna grab Pelipper in the first round, Chase.
So I'm really interested about this pick. Previously in other leagues, I've seen some solid tier 2 Pokemon go first overall. Ones that I felt had a little bit more diversity. This is probably, I'm going to make a bold prediction and say this is my most surprising pick of round 1. Pelipper being a very reliable rain setter, being able to increase its own accuracy in the rain with its stab move Hurricane is very devastating. It is a very reliable defogger, has access to U-turn for pivot, Scald, Hydro Pump, all that good stuff here. Next up from the Colorado Rapidash, we have Latios going. The Latios always, if there's a league where the Latios don't go within the first 2 rounds, man, I don't know what's going on. Latios is incredible. Latios just hits so very, very hard. What do you think about Latios?
Yeah, Latios is so good, man, and one of the things that I love about it is the fact that it can actually Dragon Dance to be physically offensive as well, which is something that you lose a little bit with Latias. This thing hits really hard, and with the access of Z moves, you can run things like Z Memento as well, which are pretty sweet because you can give your heal up something else to your team and be like a supporter, but ultimately this thing is just an absolute beast. But we've got Jodor on the call here, and he gets a really good round 1 pick, one of the most offensive Pokemon, Kyurem Black.
What's up, guys? I have no idea how this lasted so long, but considering the last couple seasons, I figured I want big hits. So we're going Kyurem Black. We got some really powerful ice moves at our disposal. We got some physical, got some special, can sub up, can roost up, or we can just say to heck with it and just drop a Z-Nuke on somebody. So I'm really excited for that.
Yeah, definitely a great pick there in round 1, man. There's no doubt that Kyurem Black is a force to be reckoned with. It is a huge threat. Speaking of threats, you got Cressel Key and the Honchkrows grabbing Excadrill here in round 1. Of course, the Sand Excadrill in sand is so strong, but it can function outside of sand as well with that mold breaker ability, just being able to spam earthquakes against levitate types Pokemon, or levitate ability Pokemon. It's got rapid spin, stealth rocks to really support the team out, one of the best rapid spinners, and it just hits so hard. With the ground and the steel type stab, it hits so incredibly hard. It's a great choice scarf user, as I mentioned, and it's just a really good Pokemon overall. So we'll see if the Honchkrows choose to pair it with sand. And Chase, we got Mega Latios going now for the Rochester Rhydons.
Rochester Rhydons going Mega Latios. No surprise there. Seeing Latios go before Mega Latios, actually very surprising. Mega Latios, as we talked about, comparison to Latios, not being super weak to knock off. Obviously still a super effective move, but the damage is not doubled due to the fact that it cannot lose its Mega Stone. Latios, we talked about previously having access to setting up via Dragon Dance, via Calm Mind as well. This thing can hit absolutely devastating with plus to start setting up +1 either in Dragon Dance or in Calm Minds. It hits like an absolute nuke. Next up here, I told you guys, man, Latios are all going. We got the LA Landorus grabbing a Latios right now. Latios is a very great Pokemon in League format. As we've discussed with all the Latios, the Levitate ability giving it that ground immunity, Dragon Psychic Stab. This thing does have access to Healing Wish, which is really cool as comparison to Latios, its counterpart, having access to set up a Dragon Dance. Healing Wish being able to support the team very well. Very bulky Pokemon to take down. Still a great offensive threat with Bolt Beam coverage, Draco Meteor, Psychic, Trick, all that good stuff. Next up here, we're going day-to-day with Data Dave and the Atlanta Arcanines grabbing Mega Venusaur as their Mega pick. How do you feel about Mega Venusaur, Dan?
Dude, I love Mega Venusaur, man. It's such a great Pokemon. It's so incredibly bulky. That thick fat ability really pairing so nicely with its weaknesses, reducing that fire and ice type weakness. This thing is a beast, dude. It is the definition of a tank in this format, being able to take hits and deal out a good amount of damage, help the team out with things like Leech Seed. It can put your opponent to sleep with Sleep Powder. You can run Giga Drain. You can run Sludge Bomb. It gets Earthquake, gets Knockoff. It is just such a great Pokemon to build a team around, and it's probably the best Mega Grass type there is, and just one of the best Megas in general, in my opinion. We got the Durham Druddigons, Leo coming in, a 6-foot hacks, a new coach to the league, and he knows what he's doing. He is a very, very good battler. He's going to be grabbing Mega Gallade here in round 1. Mega Gallade's got an incredible speed stat, but its attack stat is really what stands out. It gets priority through things like Shadow Sneak, but really it can set up Swords Dances, it can set up Bulk Ups, it's got great coverage options, and it can do what very few Pokemon can do, and that is Wall Break incredibly effectively. A great Mega pick and a great knockoff switching as well with that Justified ability, allowing it to switch in pretty freely to things like knockoff, and that Mega Stone will protect it. The New York Klink's going to be grabbing Tapu Fini here in round 1. A little surprised to see it go this late in round 1 as we kind of round out this round. Tapu Fini, of course, one of the best bulky water types in the game with access to Defog, which I think is one of the big things that sets it apart. But it can't be status because of its Misty Terrain ability, which is going to change the terrain to basically protect it from status unless the Pokemon is levitating or floating above the ground. So you really have that to kind of help you out. And I can tell you, Water and Fairy Stab combination is so good. As someone who's used Primarina in the past, Tapu Fini does that with more bulk and a little bit more reliability. So really cool stuff there. The Southampton Sharpedos are going to be grabbing regular Garchomp here in Tier 1. Chase, talk to me about regular Garchomp in a format where you can use Z Sandstorm.
Regular Garchomp's a nightmare, man. There has been so many times I've been swept by a Garchomp. Let me tell you, it has a great speed tier. I believe it's 102 base speed, if I'm not mistaken. Does have access to the Rough Skin and the Sand Veil ability, and having access to being able to run Z Sandstorm with Sand Veil makes this absolutely scary. Z Sandstorm, something raising the speed stat by 1, setting the sand for its own Sand Veil, increasing its evasion by an extra 25%. Hits super hard, very reliable rocker, and we see back-to-back ground dragon picks go. We have Old Man Tup and the Pittsburgh Piratas grabbing Zygarde 50%, limited to the Aura Break ability. Zygarde 50% is still an absolute nightmare with one of the best moves in the game, 1,000 Arrows. It does not care about an immunity. It does not care about a resistance. This thing will Dragon Dance all over your soul and just run shot. Priority and extreme speed, setting up with Dragon Dance, setting up a coil, has access to Glare for speed control. Let's not forget it can also be run specially with moves like Core Enforcer as well, nullifying the opponent's ability, which is an incredible move. We do have Blue and the Tapu Koko Puffs grabbing Tapu Bulu here. You've used Tapu Bulu before. How do you feel about this going in a round 1 pick?
Yeah, Tapu Bulu is just a great wall breaker. With that Grassy Surge ability, allowing it to basically get a choice band on any one of its grass moves, just making it super strong. And then you compare it with a Z Crystal like Gracium Z to hit that Bloom Doom. You compare it with a choice band. You can run Substitute Leech Seed. Like, there's actually a lot of sets that it can run. It obviously has that big weakness to poison types, but I think the Cocoa Puffs are going to have a really good time with Bulu. It's just such a threatening wall breaker. But to round out round 1, the United Kingler are going to be picking Mega Alakazam. That is a lot of spoons right there. Mega Alakazam looking pretty good. It has got an incredible speed stat with that trace ability, allowing it to copy its opponent's ability and put in some serious work, man. This thing is a very strong Pokemon, got great coverage options, it hits really, really hard, and it's hard to outspeed it. It's got one of the highest speed tiers in the draft. There's only going to be like 1 or 2 Pokemon that are even going to get close to it. So with that as an advantage, the Kingler are looking pretty good, and they're going to be able to go back to back here as we head to round 2. But let's take a look at our recap here as we finish up round 1. We've got some pretty interesting picks here. I think seeing the Luxrays pick up Pelipper first overall is a little bit interesting, but you do have to remember, and we'll emphasize this a few times during the draft, it's 24 team draft. So a lot of these coaches, they'll make a pick and they won't pick again for a while. You know, in my case, like I don't get to pick for almost 50 picks after Mega Mawile. So you really have to make sure every pick counts, and Chase is in a similar boat being the second pick overall. So as we kind of come back our way down the draft through round 2, a lot of these teams towards the tail end of round 1, they're going to be trying to make those impact picks because it's about forming good cores. It's about covering, you know, the different types that you need on your team. It's about focusing on good speed tiers and ensuring diversification there. But at this early in the draft, a lot of teams are just focusing on trying to get the Pokemon they want and the best available on the board. So Pelipper, pretty interesting there. I think Kyle A got a really good bargain getting Mega Diancie. I think that Pokemon could have easily gone top 3 picks. Very, very strong Pokemon there. Some of the steel types going, obviously, with Celesteela, Excadrill, Mega Mawile. We saw a lot of the dragons go. I think Jodor getting Kyurem Black that late on is pretty incredible as well. So some really, really good picks here in round 1. Nothing too surprising, I think, outside of maybe Pelipper. What about you, Chase?
You know, I think we've beaten this to death right now. Pelipper, a very interesting pick. Obviously, though, securing that rain team very early on, if it even is a rain team, that would be the only reason I can hypothesize Pelipper going as a round 1 overall pick. But with a league with 24 coaches, you know, there's a lot of times when you go into a draft that you kind of have an idea of what you want. You know, you think to yourself, okay, there's, you know, 11 to 15 people around. I can hopefully grab, you know, something like I've seen Garchomp and Mega Diancie grabbed on a team before, whereas this case both were grabbed round 1. You really have to just kind of see what's best to suit you on the way back. And I think a lot of these teams we start to see are going to start synergizing some very, very nice cores coming up here. I think a lot of dragons, a lot of fairies, a lot of steel type Pokemon being grabbed early on, a lot of water type, fire type, and grass types grabbed too. People want to start getting those synergizing cores together so that way they can start to build around that with what's there. Because if you don't focus on that draft as a whole, especially with this many coaches, it's going to be absolutely terrifying. I think all of the Megas that went this round, I think all of which were incredible. I said it before and I'll say it again. If Mega Mawile didn't go first overall, it was going second overall. But I think grabbing, you know, Ultra Beasts, I think grabbing valuable Megas, I think grabbing what coaches valued, whether it be something like Cressel Key with the Excadrill, I think whether it be, you know, with the Pelipper choice, something that the coach might value over a powerful Mega, something that, you know, sets hazards, something that remove hazards, something that sets weather, something that, you know, can bounce away stuff like Kyle A's Mega Diancie. I think a lot of those picks really speak to how the coaches play, and I'm looking forward to see how these teams stack together for round 2.
Yeah, for sure. And one thing I do want to just kind of address or talk about a little bit before we jump into round 2 here. First and foremost, be sure to type !NPA in the chat. Check out all the coaches. Be sure to follow everyone on Twitter. Subscribe to everyone's YouTube channels so you can follow the league in full. The first week of matches will be posted next week. But one thing to really note here is because, again, the length of the draft, how many teams there are, you know, you're going to see some stretch picks. You're going to see some coaches, especially when we get to round 3, 4, 5, coaches may be reaching a bit because they really want that Pokemon, and that Pokemon fits their specific game plan more so than anything else, and they just can't risk it being taken. So don't be surprised to see that. And, you know, we're joking a lot about or kind of maybe hitting on that Pelipper pick, but actually if he does decide to go Rain and does decide to commit to a full Rain team, it's not a bad first overall pick. Right now, he basically just said to the entire league, hey, Rain's mine. I'm taking it. Back off, and I'm going to get all the pieces that I need for my Rain team. And when you have a focused plan like that with so many of the Pokemon that fit into a Rain team usually not being on the radar of other coaches, you can almost draft without fear of being sniped in a lot of situations because a lot of those Pokemon are just going to sit there because they're not as valuable to other teams outside of Rain. Things like Scissor maybe, things like Ferrothorn, things like Goodra, things like Kabutops and Ludicolo and Kingdra. A lot of those Pokemon function incredibly well inside of rain and good outside of it, but mostly in rain. So some things to note there, but I think we're ready to jump into round 2. Kicking things off with the Kingler. They got that first pick coming back on the wheel here, and they are going to be taking Tyranitar. So we see X-Control go earlier is not going to be paired with Tyranitar, but rather Mega Alakazam being paired with Tyranitar. Very interesting here. Tyranitar is going to be able to take those Dark-type hits that Alakazam doesn't want to deal with, and those Ghost-type hits as well, those priority moves. Tyranitar is a beast, man. This thing can set up with Dragon Dance. It can be specially offensive. It can do a lot of different things from that perspective, but it's got a great amount of bulk. It does have that big weakness to fighting, though. Alakazam does have a nice little resistance there, but we all know that thing's about as frail as a paper bag. So we'll see what the plan of the Kinglers is moving forward here. But Tapu Koko Puffs, Kanto Cast Blue, he is a VGC player through and through, and you can see it in his draft right now. He's got Nihilego in Tier 2, which I think is great value for Tier 2, man. This is a great Pokemon, a great hazard setter with Stealth Rocks and Toxic Spikes. I don't know if Blue knows what hazards are, but they're really big in singles. So you're going to want to run those with Nihilego, but it's got that Beast Boost ability, which can act as a speed boost for it. It can act as a special Moxie type ability, which will boost its special type attacks. It's a really, really good pick here in Tier 2, and he's sticking with his Alola theme right now with that Nihilego. The Tapu Koko Puffs are ready to eat that well-balanced breakfast, but we got old man Sup picking Mega Beedrill. Chase, you know all about this bee, don't you?
I still can't get over you said I don't know if he knows what hazards are. We got old man Top grabbing Mega Beedrill. Mega B is fantastic. 145 base speed. It's got the adaptability ability increasing its stat from a 50% boost to now an extra 100% boost. So moves like Poison Jab, U-Turn, X Scissor, Fell Stinger, all those moves are just doing an incredible amount of work. It did obviously receive the speed boost in Gen 7, so you no longer need to run Protect. You can run a 4-attack Mega Beedrill with access to moves like Defog as well. You know, you could see that as some hazard removal on the team. I think it hits incredibly hard, has a really good synergy with some mons that hopefully Tup can draft later on. Coming up here next, pairing off of that Garchomp pick, we have the Southampton Sharpedos grabbing Mega Scissor, arguably one of the best Megas in League format. I love me some Mega Scissor. It does so much. It fills so many roles, I feel, outside of being a special attacker. It can be a defensive wall. It can be run a bit more special defensively. You can set up with moves like Swords Dance, the priority with Bullet Punch, being a very solid defogger as well. An incredible, incredible pick. I think it is very deadly. I'm looking to see what kind of fairy type they grab pairing off of that Garchomp and the Mega Scissor pick. We've got Papa C and the New York Lynx grabbing Tornadus Therian, an absolute monster. Surprised actually not to see this thing go round 1. 121 base speed with the Regenerator ability, making it an incredibly fast Pokemon, very common lead, a fast taunt user. Those hurricanes that it can throw off is absolutely remarkable. It can be run physical, can be run special, has access to knockoff. Now having access to Defog thanks to Ultra Sun and Moon move tutors. It is a incredibly powerful Pokemon. Like I said, also with that Regenerator, being able to pivot into other mons with U-Turn, being able to knock off Heat Wave, Hurricane, Air Slash, all that good stuff. Next up here, we have Leo, aka 6-Foot Hacks, and the Durham Druddigons grabbing Manaphy, pairing it off with that Mega Gallade. What do you think about the Manaphy pick coming off of the Druddigons, Dan?
Yeah, Manaphy is just a huge threat, obviously. Having the best setup move in the game, or one of at least with Tail Glow, being able to boost its special attack 3 stages is really, really crucial for this Pokemon. But being a bulky water type with base 100 across the board allows it to set up pretty freely. It's got good coverage options with Ice Beam and Energy Ball, but what it really shines, or in my opinion, the way it really shines is its access to Z moves. Being able to run Z Rain Dance and set up and get an extra speed boost and be immune to status in the rain, that's incredibly scary. So we'll look to see how Leo plays with Manaphy and Gallade. You got the Atlanta Arcanines and Data Dave going day-to-day with Clefable here. Clefable, one of the best fairy-type Pokemon in the format, obviously, with 2 great abilities in Magic Guard and Unaware. Unaware preventing setup sweepers from really doing anything because their setup moves are pretty much nullified, and Magic Guard allowing it to switch into Stealth Rocks and other hazards unaffected, but even more so importantly, allowing it to use things like Life Orb, not revealing the item and boosting up the power of its attack. So some really cool stuff that Clefable can do, and it's just a really good bulky pivot as well. You got the Landorus coming in, picking Arcanine out of Tier 2. Arcanine was moved from Tier 3 to Tier 2 this past season, and Data Dave gets his mascot sniped. We're going to see Arcanine come in, which is a very versatile dog, man. This thing can be specially offensive, it can be physically offensive, it can be defensive as well with Morning Sun. Toxic can roar things out. It does have that recovery, like I said, with Morning Sun. It does have priority and hits pretty hard, and again, from both the physical and special side. So curious to see how he decides to work with this Arcanine Latias, but you see some really good kind of coverage there from a type perspective, right? Latias doesn't want to deal with those ice types. Arcanine's got it covered. Arcanine doesn't like water and ground. Latias got it covered. So the Rochester Rhydon's grabbing Sylveon in Tier 2. In my opinion, one of the most valuable Tier 2 picks. What do you think about Sylveon, Chase, in Tier 2?
I think it's a great Tier 2 pick. I think it pairs very well with the Mega Latios pick coming out of round 1. I think Iron Boffin is getting a very deadly Fairy Steel Dragon core right here. There's 2 steel types I'm looking in mind right now to see if he grabs, but Sylveon, incredible. The Pixelate nerf in Gen 7, obviously an unfortunate thing, decreasing the power from 30 to 20%, but still an incredibly powerful Pokemon with moves like Hyper Voice, Cleric abilities with Heal Bell. Being able to Baton Pass too is something that it does have access to. A very surprising pick actually coming here from Cressel Key and the Adelaide Honchkrows. We have the Mega Charizard Y pick pairing off of the Excadrill. I'm really curious about this. Mega Charizard Y, obviously a fantastic Pokemon, with the Drought ability, base 100 speed, an incredible special attacker, having access to moves such as Solar Beam, being set by its own sun, being able to set up with moves like Flame Charge as well. You could even see a mix set with things like Earthquake, Fire Blast, Flamethrower. We talked about the Solar Beam. The hidden power techs are there. It's very interesting pick. I'm curious to see how they do. Next up here, Jodor and the Seattle Sea Kings with the Kartana pick. Joe, tell us a little bit about your Kartana pick.
So we had the big hit last round, now we got the fast hit this round. I love using Kartana. It forces my opponent to have to guess if I'm going to be Swords Dance or Choice Scarf or something else, and just based off that 50-50 alone, I can take a lot of momentum back. Got some great move sets, got your Air Slash, your Leaf Blade, did I say Air Slash? I meant Aerial Ace, excuse me. It's got a lot of coverage options. It's a great Z-move user if I want to do that, and it also gets Defog, so what's not to love?
For sure.
No,
We got the
right. It is.
Yeah, that's a great pick, man. Kartana's a huge threat. Obviously, its only weakness being that fire type there. But we've got the Colorado Rapidash picking up Mega Aggron, one of my personal favorites. Mega Aggron pairing with Latios. Mega Aggron's one of the bulkiest Pokemon in the format. It does not die to a single hit. I think there's only like 2 or 3 Pokemon that can one-shot it outside of Z-moves. So this thing is huge because of its filter ability. It's a reliable stealth rocker. It hits pretty hard. It's got a good natural attack stat, good natural bulk. It's incredible, man, and I think the pairing with Latios is phenomenal, man. I mean, you're really like working to its strengths there. The Tampa Bay Luxrays have confirmed they are gonna make it rain. They got Mega Swampert here in round 2, making sure that they solidify that rain team. And weather can be so effective in Draft League format if used properly. And Mega Swampert in rain is very scary, especially now that its Swift Swim ability activates immediately upon Mega Evolution, making it pretty much faster than almost anything in the format. And it's going to be hitting super hard. So that Pelipper Mega Swampert core there, pretty sweet. It's going to be important for the Luxrays to kind of grab things that are going to cover Swampert's weakness, that grass weakness, and also kind of give him something to work with that Pelipper there. But you're going to see the Munchlax United go with Necrozma here in Tier 1. Necrozma was on my championship team last season. Got a lot of move tutor moves that really benefit it, including the addition of Photon Geyser, which is like basically a no drawback psychic move that's going to ignore abilities. Really, really good pick. Chase, what do you think about Necrozma Mega Lopunny?
Necrozma Mega Lopunny, you need to switch into these boys. Let me tell you, Necrozma, we discussed the variety of move tutors that it has access to, while also still being a very reliable heads-in setter, has access to setup moves all around with Rock Polish, Swords Dance, all that fun stuff. It's an incredible Pokemon. Next up here from the Orlando Magikarps, grabbing Dragonite. Dragonite is, in my opinion, one of the more slept-on Tier 1 picks. Dragon Flying type having access to the multi-scale ability, reducing damage that it does take until the multi-scale is broken from full. It does reduce that damage. Having access to setup with Dragon Dance, being a Z-move user as well with access to things like Dragonium Z, Draco, Z Outrage, Z Hurricane as well. The variety of access that this thing has, that this thing can use with pairing with the Z-moves is absolutely devastating. Along with that Jirachi pick, you really need to make some predictions on what could potentially happen. Next up, Kyle, the Miami Don fan, grabbing regular Scissor, not pairing it off of that Mega Diancie. I think that's a great pick. I think this pick stemmed out of not only wanting to pair up that Fairy Steel Dragon core, but also if you don't want to face something in draft format, you draft it. And Mega Scissor and Scissor obviously being huge threats to Mega Diancie with that 4x steel weakness. Grabbing Scissor with that priority Bullet Punch, that kind of reduces the the steel priority that lies around right here. Mega Scissor or Regular Scissor being a great defogger. We talked about the priority. Bullet Punch, the setup access that it has is absolutely fantastic. Next up here with Sin and the Cedar Rapids Thundurus, we have Ferrothorn out of Tier 2, pairing it off with that Mega Charizard X. I think this is a great Pokemon. I think this covers all of Mega Charizard's weakness. While it is a little bit setup fodder, you will need to keep that in mind come battles. Ferrothorn's a great hazard setter, has access to speed control with moves like Thunder Wave, can set up Leech Seeds, has access to knockoff as well. I think pairing this with Charizard X, I think a very nice bulky water type pairing with this is going to create a really, really solid team for the Thundurus coming out of this. Being able to set up rocks and stuff like that, helping the Charizard wear it down. Next up here, Redithan and the Nashville Predators grabbing Superior. How do you feel about Superior, Dan?
Yeah, I feel like Superior is a great pick here. He gets that. He's going for the Firewater Grass right out the gate, as most are going for the Fairy Dragon Steel. But Superior obviously is super fast, man, and having that Contrary Leaf Storm is really what sets it apart. But it does have some versatility outside of that with dual screens, Leech Seeds, subsets, and it does have access to defog now. So really helpful for Blacephalon, being able to kind of defog away any potential hazards that could harm that thing on switch in. But I love this right now. You know, he's kind of taking a different approach than some of the other coaches. It's a hard hitter. He can break walls, and I love how fast his team is already. Pokemon, a big favorite of his. Conkeldurr in Tier 2, man. This is, again, one of the better Pokemon in Tier 2 that moved down from Tier 1 this year. This thing is an absolute monster. It can be run Assault Vest, it can be run with Flame Orb, which is better now because of the reduced damage from Burn. Paired with that Guts, it can be Sheer Force, Iron Fist, 3 phenomenal abilities, Priority. In Trick Room, it's great. This thing is a beast, dude. And like I said, with an Assault Vest, it's very, very reliable, but you can run it a lot of different ways, and it has great coverage options with punches and knockoff, and again, priority. The Chicago Cub choose Galactic Elliott and Milotic to pair with Tapu Koko. Talk to us, Elliott.
This thing gets reliable recovery with a nice little recover. It gets Haze and Dragon Tail, so if anybody wants to come and set up, they can't. If somebody has Sticky Webs, I can get competitive boost as well as Defog, so nobody wants to run Defog or any of the Sticky Webs whenever I have competitive Milotic in the back, as well as just having a natural special attack stat of, you know, a high stat. I don't really remember what the number is, but it gets Scald, it gets Ice Beam, as well as if it gets paralyzed or burned or what have you, it will have a boosted defense, which is nice. Flame Orb is really nice with it as well, just in case it wants to, you know, bring up the defense and pretty much have no item after that, as well as Scald. If anyone wants to use Scald, it comes in, it gets the burn, and it gets the defense boost. So Milotic is a very nice pick for me, and a nice little bulky counterpart to Koko.
All right, so we got the Maryland Torterrapins here with the Thundurus Therian form. Getting those genies here, both Therians, man. This thing is a beast, dude. It's got an incredible speed stat at 101, I believe. And it hits really hard with 145. The thing that really is scary about Thunder is its ability to set up with the dual dance. The Nasty Plot and agility is really difficult for teams to deal with. The Straw Hat Swampert grabbing a different starter Pokemon here with Mega Blastoise to pair with that Mew. Mega Blastoise gives him another hazard remover, right? Which takes away defog responsibilities from Mew, gives him a Rapid Spinner. But I can tell you, as someone who's faced Blastoise quite a few times, this thing hits really hard, man. This thing is a beast with that Mega Launcher ability, firing off Dark Pulses and Aura Spheres and all sorts of stuff, Dragon Pulses, getting boosted. Another good tanky offensive Pokemon, a Pokemon that can hit hard and can take hits back and really, really deal some damage. So, gotta love that pick. But Chase, talk to us about Mega Altaria pairing that with Celesteela. That's filthy.
We got the captain of the Detroit Cyclones this season, Commander the Mega Altaria. I love this Pokemon so much. It is so good. It did receive a nerf in Gen 7 with that Pixelate. However, it is so fantastic. Can be set up physically, can set up specially, can set up defensively, is a cleric, can phase things out. I mean, this thing is an absolute monster. I think getting a Fairy Steel Dragon Core in 2 Pokemon is fantastic. I am so excited to use this thing. It is not even funny. It has been on my list for a while. And we see another Dragon type. Oh my god, your offensive core is already disgusting. Tell us a little bit about this Salamence pick right here, Dan.
Yeah, look at us go, getting our Fairy Dragon Steels out the gate here with 2 picks. Gotta love that. We did a little bit backwards, but we made it happen. Salamence sitting here at the end of Tier 1. I can tell you, I knew I wanted the Dragon. It was going to be Salamence, it was going to be Dragonite, it was going to be Hydreigon. And when Salamence was still sitting there, I've won a championship with this thing in the past. I know it does work, and with Z moves, it's even better, man. Z Fly is really cool, Dragon Dance is really phenomenal, and I love the fact that it can be physically offensive, specially offensive, Intimidate Moxie, all sorts of good stuff there. So I was really stoked about that pick here, kind of ending out round 2, and I've got that wheel pick, so I can actually get another another pick here back to back. But looking at round 2 here, kind of our recap, some pretty cool stuff went. I think there was some really good cores that kind of got formed here. I gotta say, I really love the Dawn fans picking Scissor, Mega Deoncé. You hit the nail right on the head when you said, you know, one of the best ways, if you don't want to face something in Draft League format, draft it on your team. And he picked one of the best Mega Deoncé counters in grabbing Scissor. So that's really, really cool, and you got to give him props for that. I also got to say, there's a couple other things. I think the Rhydon's picking up Sylveon, really good pick there in tier 2. Same with Conkeldurr for Pokemon and grabbing that in tier 2 as well. Some really good value there. Manaphy going mid round 2, that's also insane. That thing is just an absolute beast.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. We're starting to see a lot of these cores come together right now. A lot of Fairy Steel Dragon, a lot of Firewater Grass. One of my favorite, outside of my own pick, one of my favorite picks was actually the New Orleans Pelipper's grabbing Conkeldurr. That boy hits so hard. It like your switches in like one time. Honestly, it is an absolute monster to handle. I think the Manaphy pick going with the Mega Gallade with the Durham Druddigons is absolutely fantastic. Solidifying that Rain Core early on is also really nice. That way you know what you need for a Rain team. I feel Rain teams are very standard as far as the selections go, but you can always grab 1 or 2 of those niche mons. But you know now with your core solidified, you grab maybe a Swift Swim Abuser or 2, maybe a 4 times weak fire Pokemon just to do well under that rain, and you just kind of go from there. So I'm really excited. What do you think was the most questionable pick of round 1? Or round 2, excuse me.
So I think Arcanine might have been a little bit of a stretch. Like, I understand why it was picked, but in tier 2, I feel like it could have been saved maybe another round or 2. Personally, I think it would have been there on the way back. I also think Serperior, not because it's not good, but I feel like Serperior tends to kind of sit there in drafts. Oftentimes it goes undrafted, which is always funny, but I think that might have been a little bit of a kind of a reach. And then I could also say Mega Beedrill. Not that I think that Mega Beedrill's not worth a round 2 pick, especially with that incredible speed stat. I'm assuming Tup just really wanted it, and with him being at the tail end of round 3, he didn't want to risk someone else taking it. I think, again, it could have easily been a round 3 pick, but it's hard to predict when, you know, Tup had to wait another, like, you know, 40 picks before he got to go again, and if he really wanted Mega Beedrill to pair with that Zygarde, it makes a lot of sense. So I think we're gonna jump right into round 3 here, guys. I'm gonna be picking first here in round 3, and boy, am I happy. I got Victini. Victini was not a part of my original draft plan under any circumstances, but I said to myself, it is sitting there at the end of round 2. I can't pass it up, man. It's my favorite Pokemon in Draft League format. I won a championship with Victini Salamence in the GBA a few seasons ago, and I just love Victini, man. It's my favorite Pokemon. It's gonna really restrict my ability to draft in the rest of the draft because my point total gets a little messed up, but I can make it work because Victini is my favorite Pokemon, man. This thing is a huge threat. Choice Banded, Z moves are great, man. C Sunny Day. Get ready for that. Get ready for Trick Room Weakness Policy. Trick Room to pair with Mega Mawile. Gotta love that. Chase, talk to me about Gengar in tier 2.
Gengar is a really cool Pokemon, and I feel a lot of people sleep on it, to be honest. It did also receive I'm grabbing all the Pokemon that got nerfed in Gen 7, but it did receive a nerf in Gen 7, losing the Levitate ability, gaining the Cursed Body ability. A little bit of a double-edged sword. Even though it lost the Levitate ability, it does now act as a grounded poison type Pokemon, removing Toxic Spike, something 2 notes. Coming out of tier 2 with support moves such as Will-O-Wisp, Disable, Destiny Bond, as well as Priority and Sucker Punch, a variety of good special moves too, can act as a very great Z move user with things like Ghost EMZ, Grass EMZ, Ice EMZ, Electro EMZ. It's so really cool. I'm looking forward to using it. Next up here out of tier 2, a little bit, I'm curious about this pick a little bit. We've got the Straw Hat Swampert grabbing Decidueye. Decidueye now with it's great grass type Pokemon. I think there could have been better, but it does have some, access to Defog. It does have priority with things like Sucker Punch, setting up with things like Swords Dance, does have Baton Pass ability, Leaf Blade, a very good spin blocker as well, something to note. He does now have a spinner, a spin blocker, and 2 solid defoggers on the team. I'm really looking forward to seeing how this team turns out. We've got under the radar in the Maryland Torterrapins grabbing Ribombee out of tier 3. This is a great pick. I definitely saw Kelly going for something like this. It does not surprise me. Ribombee now having access to Sticky Webs. Its signature ability also doing very well, preventing the secondary ability of a move from affecting it. So if you go for a fake out on this thing's not getting flinched. It sets off a huge Moonblast, has access to moves like Stun Spore for speed control, can set up with things like Quiver Dance as well. Having that speed control also for things like Landorus Therian and Thundurus Therian to just run through is very, very powerful. Next up with Galactic Elliot and the Chicago Cubchus, we have Donphan out of Tier 3. Tell me a little bit about Donphan, Elliot.
Donphan is my favorite roly-poly. I love this thing so much. Rapid spin plus stealth rock, so we got nice little hazard control plus hazard setting. It gets Earthquake, it gets Player Rough, it gets Seed Bomb, it gets Stone Edge. Lots of coverage for this thing that you wouldn't think has lots of coverage, and it can maybe surprise you with a nice little zoom over here and there. It's a nice little Slugfest user, so we can match the defense and the social defense on this beautiful thing. It gets Ice Shot for priority, and overall, it's just a monster, and it is a nice little bulky physical mod for the team, as well as a good offensive Pokemon as well, and one of the best spinners in the game. Had to take it this round, and I'm very excited.
All right, we got the New Orleans Pelipers and John going to be grabbing Primarina here. Primarina is a phenomenal wall breaker in Tier 3. I talked a little bit earlier about the water and fairy typing just being so good with dual stab, and as someone who has used Primarina before, you can just slap a choice specs on this thing every week and just click Moonblast, and that is incredible. So really cool stuff there. Gives him a fairy type too to pair with his Latias, and I feel like this is one of those underrated Pokemon that can really make its impact known. Cobalion here for the Predators, grabbing something else really quick, man. You're going 108 base speed with Cobalion. This thing is phenomenal. It doesn't have the best attack stat, but it's paired with Swords Dance and Rock Polish with Z moves. It's really good. It's a great nuke. It's a phenomenal knockoff switch in, which I think Blacephalon really appreciates. And it does have the ability to pivot with things like Volt Switch. So having that ability to kind of switch out and give free switches in for things like Blacephalon or Superior to kind of break with those Leaf Storms, really good starting point there. And some surprising picks here from the Predators, but I think they're all really solid, and I think he's building a really fast team. The Cedar Rapids Thundurus going with Toxapex here to pair with Ferrothorn. What do you think about that, Chase?
I'm not looking forward to this core right now. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to tell you like a friend. I'm not looking forward to this core. Toxapex is an incredibly bulky water type Pokemon. Grounded Poison type, being able to remove Toxic Spikes that might otherwise hinder the opposing team. With reliable recovery, being able to go for that Baneful Bunker move, poisoning any physical contact moves that do come its way. Being able to set up Toxic Spikes of itself, having the Regenerator ability. This is going to be a very nasty core to just work around. Next up here, coming in, we see a lot of water types going right now. We see Kyle A and the Miami Donphans grabbing Crawdons out of Tier 3. Again, if you don't want to face something, you draft it. And another weakness that Diancie has is priority water type moves, and Crawdon with that adaptability boosted Aqua Jet is something Mega Diancie does not want to face. I really like it though, with setup with Dragon Dance, the adaptability increasing its base power of its water type moves and its dark type moves. Being able to go for moves like Crab Hammer and Knockoff after setting up is absolutely terrifying. Even just as its own, even as just like perhaps a Life Orb user or Scarf user, you really got to find a switch in for that thing. Polishing off the Orlando Magikarp's Fairy Steel Dragon Core, we see Florges out of Tier 2. I really like this pick. I think as a more passive fairy type Pokemon, I think Florges can definitely complement not only Jirachi but Dragonite as well. It takes a little bit of the wish support off of Jirachi in case they want to bring, a more supportive Jirachi. Being able to pass wishes into something like Dragonite, restoring its multi-scale, being able to absorb some of the moves that it might not like otherwise, being able to Cleric as well, being a very solid aromatherapy user, freeing up things like burns on the Jirachi, burns or paralysis on Dragonite too is very cool. The Munchlax United grabbing Raikou out of Tier 2, fantastic Tier 2 pick. What do you think about this pick, Dan?
Yeah, it's phenomenal. He's got some great speed tiers already set up here with the 135 on Lopunny, 115 with Raikou. Raikou being in Tier 2, I think is really good value as well. I think one of the top 4 maybe Tier 2 Pokemon available. Great Electric type. We know in past history, fast electric types are very crucial in draft league format. They tend to just have a really good time, especially in a 24 team format where most teams are only going to have one ground type if they have that at all. And once you remove that, this thing can freely Volt Switch around. And we see another electric type go, and this is kind of like that domino effect here. One goes and the others follow. Thundurus Incarnate going in Tier 1 here for this Rain team. I think a little bummed maybe that I couldn't get some of the other Rain support Pokemon, but Thundurus is no joke, man. In Rain, it can fire off some pretty powerful Thunders. It's got that 111, I think, base speed, has that prankster ability, allowing it to really put in some work there. You know, being able to stop setup sweepers and stuff with Thunder Wave. But one thing I also really like about it is I believe it also gets Define, if I'm not mistaken. So it's got a really good way to stop things from defogging and trying to do things there. But the Colorado Rapidash picking one of my personal favorites here, getting that Fairy Dragon Steel Core, grabbing Mimikyu. Mimikyu pairing up with Mega Aggron and Latios, phenomenal. One of the things that makes Mimikyu so unique is its disguise ability, being able to guarantee that it can take one hit pretty much every situation, set up a Swords Dance, and really proceed to sweep. It's got that Let's Snuggle Forever Z move with the Mimikyu Z, hitting very hard, harder than Twinkle Tackle, which is cool. Obviously, Never Ending Nightmare, great Z move as well, and it's got some great utility options like Trick Room and Destiny Bond, as well as Will-O-Wisp, so really cool pick there. Jodor and the Seattle Sea Kings going to be grabbing Nidoqueen. Joe, tell me about Nidoqueen.
So I decided this season I just don't want anyone walling me ever, so I decided to add Sheer Force Life Orb Nidoqueen to my team. I'm really looking forward to this. It gets really powerful moves such as Earth Power. It gets Earthquake as well. It can pair as both a physical or a special attacker. And it also gets Rocks, and if I really want to, I can scale it back and make it relatively bulky, try to take some hits. It doesn't give a crap if you're going for the Earthquake, as long as I got a Shucka Berry or something like that on it. I've seen a lot of coaches use Nidoqueen really well, particularly Pokemon, and I've got a lot of notes to use Nidoqueen, and I'm really excited for it.
Thank you, Joe. Nidoqueen's a great pick. I really enjoy it. Next up here from Cressel Key, we see Whimsicott coming out of Tier 3. Whimsicott is a great pick. Grass Fairy typing here, finishing off that Fairy Steel Dragon Core. Very great offensive, good ability with the Prankster ability, actually. Being able to set up moves and advance, having access to Moonblast, Giga Drain, being able to Prankster oh my gosh, I can't even think of the name of it. Somebody in the chat's going to have to help me out here. But it is an incredible Pokemon. Tailwind support, Leech Seed, all that fun stuff. U-turn momentum as well. Next up here from Iron Boffin and the Rochester Rhydons, we have Magnezone pairing up a very nice Fairy Steel Dragon Core here. We see a lot of these synergizing cores coming together very nicely. Magnezone being able to trap pesky steel types that might otherwise plague Mega Latios and Sylveon, being able to Volt Switch out on them, has the Sturdy ability, has the Magnet Pull ability, also has the Analytic ability as well, being able to boost its attack by an extra 30% if it attacks last. A great Pokemon overall. I think it is a fantastic pickup by the Rochester Rhydons, synergizing very well. Next up here, we have the LA Landorus grabbing Tentacruel out of Tier 3, another bulky Pokemon here, a very reliable Rapid Spinner as well. Very fast spinner that people seem to sleep on. Does have a variety of moves, access to things like Scald, Dazzling Gleam, Giga Drain. It can be a knockoff user. A grounded poison type is always fantastic in League format. Being able to remove toxic spikes that might hinder something like Arcanine. A very reliable hazard remover, like I said, being able to help out, Arcanine and future picks that he does have. I really like this Pokemon. Being able to set up T-Spikes of your own is always a very good thing to have. Next up here from Data Dave and the Atlanta Arcanines, we have Heatran coming in hot. Dan, tell me a little bit about Heatran.
Yeah, so Heatran's just a phenomenal Pokemon because it's only really got that huge ground weakness and fighting weakness, which is pretty mitigated by Mega Venusaur's incredible bulk. But Mega Venusaur and Tran is a really good combination just because, again, they cover each other pretty well. Venusaur's weaknesses to Psychic and Flying are negated by Heatran, which I think is really valuable. And Clefable's few weaknesses are also pretty negated by Heatran. So you got a couple really cool things that kind of complement each other there. He's going to have to pick up a couple things that can take on those ground type attacks a little bit better, but we'll see how he kind of progresses his draft as Data Dave move forward here. The Durham Druddigons getting more power here, and this is becoming a really scary team with one of the best Tier 2 Pokemon, one of the best wall breakers in general with that dual stab, Earthquake, Icicle Crash combination, not to mention its priority with Ice Shard, its ability to set Stealth Rocks, couple cool abilities with Thick Fat and Oblivious and stuff like that. So this thing can be a huge beast, and in Draft League format it does have the ability to run like Life Orb Freeze Dry as well to break through bulky waters. Which is also kind of a unique thing that you might see Leo tech on there, but that's just a scary Pokemon in general. The New York Clinks grabbing Goodra. Goodra is an absolute beast, and its ability to run an Assault Vest I think is probably the best in the league. I don't know if there's another Pokemon that I can think of that runs an Assault Vest better than Goodra does. It has such great coverage options, so it can really just run the gambit there, pick 4 great coverage moves, and then just run an Assault Vest, and then you just invest in its HP and special attack every week, and it's super reliable. I know from experience this thing is a beast, and it can drop Dracos. It can also be physically offensive as well, so that's something to keep in mind, and a couple of really good abilities in Gooey and Sap Sipper. So we're going to see the Piratas grab Togekiss here, rounding out his Fairy Dragon Steel. What a great core there for the Sharpedos, rather. What do you think about Togekiss, Chase?
Togekiss is a great pick. Togekiss is another solid fairy type. Obviously being plagued by something like Stealth Rocks, which Mega Scissor can obviously take care of with Defog. Being able to set up with things like Nasty Plot and Agility, being able to baton pass around, having access to a Cleric ability that could help out things like the Garchomp and the Mega Scissor. Bolt Beam coverage is always very, very nice to have as well. But obviously that Serene Grace ability is something that a lot of people look for right there. Next up here, we see another fairy go. I believe the first tier 4 pick to go. We see Old Man Telp and the Pittsburgh Pirates as grabbing Aromatisse. I'm a huge fan of Aromatisse, and I think it pairs very nicely with Zygarde 50%. I think it's a fantastic cleric. I think it is a great Wish Passer. I think it sponges hits very well. And it's got a lot of niche moves that week in and week out Tup could use to their advantage. Being able to do things like Magic Coat, being able to disable, being able to set up Trick Room as well if need be. You know, an offensive Trick Room Aromatisse could be something an opponent could not expect. And all of a sudden that Aromatisse comes out. The Aroma availability preventing it from being taunted is also very nice. Next up from Kanto Cast Blue and the Tapu Koko Puffs, Darmanitan coming in. An incredible fire-type Pokemon in League format with that sheer force ability, base 95 speed, often seen with something like a Scarf, provided the speed tiers matchups are similar. You see it with things like Flare Blitz and U-Turn. I believe there's a small handful of Pokemon that actually switch into a Flare Blitz from a Darmanitan. Absolutely devastating. I want to know if Blue and his VGC knowledge can bring Zenmo Darmanitan one time this season. I'm really looking forward to seeing how he uses it. I want to see it. And then rounding up the last round, or the last pick of round 3 rather, we see the United Kingler grabbing Buzzwole out of tier 2. Tell me a little bit about Buzzwole, Dan.
Dude, Buzzwole's really, really solid, man. It's got an incredible attack stat and great defense as well. Not to mention, it's got some pretty cool coverage moves with things like Leech Slave, which is going to really allow it to get recovery back. But the scary thing about Buzzwole is its ability to get those beast boosts rolling. And after a beast boost, it can be really difficult to switch into this thing. You know, it obviously has that big weakness to flying, so you always have to be a little bit careful there. But aside from that, this thing is an absolute beast. But let's take a look at kind of our recap here for round 3. Actually, let's grab Kanto Cast Blue in here really quick to talk about Buzzwole. Blue, give us your thoughts on Buzzwole before we do our recap here for round 3. Oh, I don't know if he can hear us. Blue? So let's talk a little bit about round 3 here while we wait for Blue. You've got some pretty cool picks here that I think were pretty interesting. I think Blue's ready. Blue, talk to us, man. What's going on? Tell us about Buzzwole.
I mean, well, I didn't pick Buzzwole, but
oh, sorry, Darmanitan. My bad. Go on.
I mean, I'm just more interested in you guys telling me what a Stealth Rock is, to be honest. I'm not entirely sure. No, I mean, Darmanitan, like, I've used Darmanitan before. Sheer Force Mons are really, really powerful, obviously. I love wall breaking. I love punching stuff hard. So obviously that's how I roll. But I mean, overall, this round 3 was ridiculous, man. Some of the pickups in this round were crazy.
Yeah, definitely, man. So sorry about that. Got a little mixed up there, but the Cocoa Puffs definitely bringing that sheer force power. And please do, Blue, bring Zenmo Darmanitan at some point this season. But some really interesting picks here. I think there was some great value here. I think the United grabbing Raikou, very awesome. I think Mimikyu for the Rapidash, love that pick, to be honest. But I'm going to give some props to the Minnesota Vikavolt for grabbing Victini in the 3rd round. Go on, Chase.
Yeah, no, Minnesota Vikavolts, man, they've got a contender for top spot with a round 3 Victini, pairing off a disturbingly insane offensive core. I mean, Fairy Steel Dragon out of the first 2 rounds, and all of a sudden you got Victini pairing with that. Having every Pokemon having access to Z moves is just absolutely terrifying. Big props to the Detroit Titans for grabbing Gengar. I forgot how many coaches there were. I forgot this round I grabbed Gengar. I was like, what did I grab? What can I talk about? I think the Whimsicott coming out with the Honchkrows is a fantastic pickup. This is where we talked about earlier. We're going to start seeing some coaches dive down. We saw the Piratas grab Aromatisse, a tier 4 Pokemon, round 3. Obviously, we had seen things like tier 2 Pokemon go round 1. We've seen a lot of tier 3s go. This is the first tier 4, so you're going to start seeing a lot of coaches dive down into those lower tiers and maybe not grabbing something that could synergize well with the team, but maybe just grabbing what they feel is the best overall from there as you start to see these tiers get whittled down by each of the coaches' selections. I do think that the Mimikyu is a great pick. I think Raikou is a great value pick as well. I think the Nidoqueen going to Jodor is a great pick. I think that pairs very nicely with the team he's got going on so far. I'm excited to see how round 4 shapes up.
Yeah, one more shout out here. I think Crawdaunt in tier 3, just an incredible value out of tier 3. That thing sometimes is just overlooked, but its adaptability, man. Knockoff. I think it gets liquidation now too, so it doesn't even have to rely on, maybe that's just Kingler, but Crabhammer hits really hard, and then priority. So with Dragon Dance, with Swords Dance, it can definitely clean and sweep up teams. But before we go into round 4, as we work our way back through the draft, be sure, guys, to check !NPA in the chat. That way you can check out all the different teams. Be sure to subscribe to every one of the coaches on their YouTube channels. Follow them on Twitter. And I'm sure pretty much every coach is going to be doing a draft breakdown on their specific YouTube channels after the stream. So keep an eye out for that. And if you're new to the stream, be sure to hit that follow button, as I do stream Pokemon here pretty much every single day. And I've got my homie Crimson Seabat here as our co-host making it happen. But a lot of awesome people in the NPA behind the scenes to make this awesome draft stream happen. So we've got the Kingler. And in round 4, let's kick it off. They just picked Buzzwole, and they are going with Granbull. Not many fairies left. You're starting to see some of the fairies go in tier 4. Aromatisse was the first there. Now you gotta grab Granbull. Granbull's really cool, man. It's super physically bulky. It's got Intimidate, which you gotta love. It's got Quick Feet too. You might be able to make that work, but Heal Bell is really cool. Earthquake, gotta love that. Play Rough hits hard. It's got a great attack stat, and it's a solid fairy type. You know, everyone wants to get a fairy on your team. You always want to get one fairy. Granbull's not a bad one in tier 4, especially when you spent, you know, your higher tier picks and your mega pick on something else. So kind of a cool team here for the Kingler. I kind of see what they're going for, and it's gonna be interesting to see whether the rest of the fairies are kind of snatched up here. But Mega Pidgeot, talk about spammable Hurricanes, man. Incredible speed. I love his speed tiers right now. 121, I think, is Pidgeot. 103 for Nihilego. And then Darmanitan at 95. Bulu at 75, I'm pretty sure. But this thing with its no guard ability allows it to just spam Hurricane, man. That's so valuable. But U-Turn, Defog, really cool. And it does get Heat Wave as well. So just a really cool Pokemon. And you can run it with like Work Up for setup. So there are opportunities there. But its real value is being able to spam Hurricanes and get that 30% confusion chance. So you gotta love that. The Pittsburgh Piratica is grabbing Empoleon here in tier 3. One of the most reliable defoggers and stealth rock setters. That combination really cool. Define ability. What do you think about Tuff's team, Chase?
So I really like this pick. I really like his Fairy Steel Dragon Core that he's got going on right now. I think Empoleon, like you said, a very reliable defogger in the format. Very reliable rock setter, having access not only Torrent but Defiant as well, taking advantage of all of the defoggers that do happen, that do come around in the game. Being able to bring a physical Empoleon can be very, very detrimental. I really like how his team is shaping up. Speaking of teams shaping up, the Southampton Sharpedo is grabbing Slowbro, a very bulky Pokemon. I'm really interested to see how this pairs up with the rest of the team. Slowbro being a very physically defensive, bulky Pokemon, water psychic typing with the Regenerator ability, being able to set up Calm Minds, being able to toss off Scalds, a very reliable Toxic user as well. Could be very, very good. I really like bulky water types in League format. I think it is a incredible pickup. I think being able to absorb some hits that something like the Garchomp or the Togekiss might not. Defensively, it pairs very nicely with the offense he's got going so far. Next up here, Papacy and the Clinks grabbing Forretress out of tier 3. Forretress is, in my opinion, one of the best hazard removal. One of the best hazard removal in the game. Very reliable spinner, has the sturdy ability, can switch out of there with Volt Switch. So if you bring in your Ghost type trying to spin block, and all of a sudden it Volt Switches on you, man, it is game over. Being able to set up rocks as well, being able to set up spikes, I believe also being able to set up toxic spikes as well, does give it a little bit of diversity on the team. Being able to help things like Tornadus, being able to help things like the Goodra and the Tapu Fini wear down other walls. Next up here, 6-foot Hex and the Durham Druddigons grabbing Slurpuff out of tier 3. It did receive quite the boost in Ultra Sun and Moon. Why don't you talk a little bit about that, Dan?
Yeah, so Slurpuff is a really versatile Pokemon in itself, and I think that's what makes it valuable, is versatility. Being able to be a specially offensive Pokemon, being able to run Belly Drum and set up with that, especially with that Unburden ability, you can activate those 50% berries If you use like Substitute Belly Drum or maybe even a Citrus Berry, you can get a +6 attack and double your speed in one click with that Belly Drum. But one of the cool things about Slurpuff is it's got sticky webs now, and that is something that really sets it apart. Getting the ability to set sticky webs and slow down the team for things like Manaphy and Mamoswine. The Data Dave and the Atlanta Arcanines grabbing Crobat, one of my personal favorites. This was the pick that Dave needed, in my opinion. He doubles up on his Poison type, but it's not really that big of a deal, in my opinion, because they don't have the same necessary weaknesses outside of, you know, Psychic. But Crobat is really good here. It gives him a Defogger, which you gotta love, but it gives him a Pokemon that does not get hit by ground type moves, and I think that that's what he needed to pair with that Heatran. It gives him a really fast Pokemon that can U-turn out freely and really get into some of those bulkier Pokemon, those pivots. So he's got you got the Landorus here coming in next with Registeel. Registeel, yo girl, in tier 4. Very good value pick it in a steel type here, and I think really good strategy by the Landorus, waiting, grabbing some things he wanted like Arcanine and Tentacruel, and then grabbing Registeel in tier 4. I think that was a really, really good pick, Chase, especially this early in the draft. I mean, it's such a bulky Pokemon. It really accomplishes what a lot of people want pure steel types to do.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's got incredible bulk behind it, very reliable hazard setter. Let's not forget that it does spam that wonderful yellow color that could help out things like Arcanine. And speed control is something that is always good to have on there. Next up here, we have the Rochester Rhydons grabbing Spiritomb out of tier 4.
Gertrude!
A very niche Pokemon. I love me some Spiritomb with priority and Sucker Punch, a great Pursuit Trapper, Will-O-Wisp support, Shadow Sneak priority, man. I think this is really cool. I think it's a really nice Pokemon that could help out the team in the long run. I'm curious to see how he pairs it, but very strong, very niche Pokemon here. Also specially attacking with things like Dark Pulse, things like Shadow Ball as well. Can fill a variety of roles. Next up here at Crystal Key and the Adelaide Honchkrow grabbing regular Kyurem, one of my favorite Pokemon to have, Dragon Ice typing. Also, it does receive support from the Excadrill, being a Rapid Spinner, clearing away any hazards for it, with the Pressure ability, being able to perhaps be a little bit more bulky of a Stally Pokemon, but Z Kyurem is absolutely fantastic. Z Draco, Z Ice Beam, Z Earth Power, things like that. It is just so incredibly powerful. A Scarf Kyurem, a Specs Kyurem, a Life Orb Kyurem, you know, it is Kyurem under Tailwind support from Whimsicott can be absolutely incredible as well. Next up here, Jodor and the Seattle Sea Kings grabbing Rotom Heat out of tier 3. We've got Joe on the call. Tell me a little bit about this Rotom Heat pickup, Joe.
Rotom Heat, the legend returns. It's a great mon if I need a bit of pivot on my team, or if I just need some light bulk. Gets dual screens and Will-O-Wisp, so physical attackers are not having a fun time with this. I've tricked some people in the past with a Rain Dance variant of Rotom Heat, which allowed for some Swift Swimmers to be set up. Or if, you know what, I just need to nuke somebody, I can just run Z Overheat. So I've got plenty of options with this Rotom Heat, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, for sure, man. Rotom is just a really, really cool Pokemon, and its unique typing in Electric and Fire with Levitate is something that you don't see across the draft picks. So we're going to see Colorado Rapidash grabbing Crocodile. Crook is one of my faves, man. I can tell you I used this thing last season and loved it. It's a great Pokemon. It really, really benefits from the ability to use Z moves. I think that's where it can shine, but it's a great Intimidator. It's got some really cool abilities. It also can be, like I said, a super reliable Stealth Rock setter, which I think is really valuable. And it kind of takes some of that pressure off of Mega Aggron when it comes to Stealth Rock, which I think is cool because it could allow Aggron to kind of free up a move slot to maybe run like a setup set with like Rock Polish. So the Tempeh Luxray is grabbing, in my opinion, the best tier 4 Pokemon available. Bronzong. Bronzong, of course, has 2 great abilities in Levitate and Heat Proof, allowing it to kind of mitigate some of its weaknesses. Its fire weakness and its ground weakness. It's also incredibly bulky. It's a great Stealth Rock setter, and it can also manually set weather too, which I think is kind of cool too to pair with this Mega Swampert. Maybe if Pelipper goes down, he can have like a Damp Rock Bronzong or something like that in the back, so don't kind of rule that out. But Gyro Ball hits really, really hard. It's got enough attack from both physical and special side that it can do enough to stop from being super setup fodder, and it's got some really cool kind of utility type moves. But I can tell you, I was sniped on this pick pretty hard. The Munchlax United grabbing Greninja out of tier 2, and I really wanted Greninja myself. This thing does not get protein in this format. We're going to only limit it to Torrent, but nevertheless, Torrent Greninja is still a beast, man. It got a ton of coverage moves. It can set spikes and toxic spikes. It's very, very fast. Can provide pivoting options with things like U-turn. Has priority in Water Shuriken, which is kind of cool, but its coverage is really what lets it shine. Ice Beam and Dark Pulse and Surf and things like that. Gunk Shot as well to hit fairy types. Even though it doesn't change its type, it's still a really good Pokemon. So the Orlando Magikarps, that's a mascot pick. We're going to count it. Grabbing Mega Gyarados here. What do you think about this mascot pick, man?
One of the best mascot picks in my opinion. I think Mega Gyarados is an incredible Pokemon. Having the Mold Breaker ability, Water Dark typing is also very cool. It has a lot of bulk behind it as well. Good support from things like Jirachi and Florges, being able to not only provide Cleric support, being able to provide Wish support as well. Another Dragon Dance sweeper potentially for the Magikarps. I really enjoy it. It can hit really hard, both specially, can hit hard physically as well. Does have access to support moves like we've talked about, being able to taunt, being able to toxic, being able to Thunder Wave. Speaking of another Thunder Wave user here, we do have the Miami Don fans grabbing Jolteon, dipping into their free points a little bit with Jolteon right here. A fantastic Pokemon in League format. I think fast electric types are always something you should have, and Jolteon is one of the best. Having the Volt Absorb ability, giving it the electric immunity that otherwise would plague the Crawdons and the rest of his team, being the first electric immunity drafted by the Don fans. Being a Heal Bell user as well, having that 130 base speed is something people really have to prep for. Perhaps even a quick feat set we could see Kyle A bring. I've seen him bring some interesting sets in the past, so I'm really curious how that one plays out. We've got Sin and the Cedar Rapids Thunderous grabbing Sneasel out of Tier 4. We talked about those lower tier Pokemon are going to start being grabbed right now. Sneasel, a little bit more of a discount Weavile, but still hits very hard. Being able to strap a Life Orb or a Band on this Pokemon, even making it more bulky, giving it the Eviolite, having priority with Ice Shard, being able to have access to Stab knockoff is always great. Dark and Ice type, Dark and Ice type Stab is always something very detrimental in League format, and I think Sneasel is a great Pokemon to pair offensively with Mega Charizard X. But Mega Charizard can't hit, Sneasel definitely can. Next up here, Redithan and the Nashville Predators grabbing Nidoking from Tier 2. I know you like some Nidoking. Tell me a little bit about this pick.
Yeah, gotta point out Sneasel going before Weavile. Gotta love that. But Nidoking, huge threat, man. Sheer Force paired with a special attack and physical attacks with a Life Orb. There are no switch-ins, man. There are no slower defensive switch-ins on any team to a Nidoking, really. Earth Power, Flamethrower, Thunderbolt. It just runs the gambit with all the coverage options. It can be physically offensive. It can set Toxic Spikes and run Stealth Rock if you want to support the team that way. I look for him to get a Sticky Web user, though, because I think Nidoking really benefits from the speed control there. Somehow our font color changed, but John is going to grab a Skarmory here in Tier 1. Skarmory with that Fairy Dragon Steel Core pairing with Mega Latias, of course. Skarmory is a great hazard setter, obviously, with Spikes and Stealth Rocks, as we said. And it can also remove those hazards too, but its real value is just being one of the best defensive walls in the game with an incredible physical defense stat, sturdy as an ability, reliable recovery and roost. It's a great Pokemon, man.
One thing I want to point out, I'm pretty sure John's just grabbing my WBE Season 1 team at this point.
There you go. So good strats there. We've got after all these draft leagues that we've all done, right? I mean, it's bound to happen that similar teams happen. I think it was a few seasons ago I basically drafted Leo's team. So what are you gonna do? But Galactic Elliot, talk to us about Umbreon.
I'm upset. Bronzong was sniped, Skarmory was sniped, but I'm gonna go with my dude Umbreon. Umbreon is an amazing cleric, very bulky, and if any physical attackers want to come in and try to set up, I have Foul Play for your face, and it is just a seriously bulky Pokemon, a great cleric with Wish, Heal Bell, and whatnot, and Toxic is beautiful on. If anyone wants a Toxic me, I will Toxic right back unless they're immune to it, and I am terrified of ever going against Umbreon, but now I have it on my own team, so let's kick some butt.
There you go. We got the Maryland Torterrapins, Grabbit, Vaporeon. One of my favorites, man. I love this thing. It's super bulky. It can run the same set every week and still be effective. It provides a lot of momentum with Dry Pass or Dry Baton Pass, which is allowed. It can run Scald and Ice Beam. It can phase things out with Roar. Gotta love that. And again, Wish support is really valuable. Kind of pairing it with the Therians, kind of cool stuff there. I think it's just a really bulky water type and just a great Pokemon in general. So gotta love the Vaporeon pick here as we start to round out round 4. Scolipede for the Straw Hat Swampers. Man, these font changes. Scolipede is phenomenal. Now, it cannot Baton Pass out its stats in our league. We consider that to be a little too much, but regardless of that, this is still a very versatile and great Pokemon. Z-moves make Scolipede a huge threat, first and foremost. Second of all, Spikes, Toxic Spikes. Gotta love the ability to set hazards for the team, and it's a great cleaner, man. It's one of the best cleaners with that speed boost ability, being able to just hit really hard. I tell you, I had this thing in NPA Season 2. I basically brought it with Life Orb, Earthquake, Mega Horn, Poison Jab, Protect every single week, and it just destroyed souls. Such a good Pokemon. Talk to us about Uxie here, Chase, as you round out round 4.
The sprite looks incredible. Uxie is a fantastic Pokemon. Bulky Psychic types are one of my favorite things in League format. Uxie, while not only being a bulky Psychic type Pokemon, having the Levitate ability, giving it that ground immunity that otherwise plagues things like Gengar. So now I don't have to switch in regular Altaria or Celesteela every time. very reliable hazard setter as well, can set the screens, has pivot momentum with U-turn, being able to provide support with things like Memento as well, being able to provide speed control with moves like Thunderwave, being able to wear down walls with things like Toxic. Very good, reliable move set on this thing. And finishing up round 4, you grabbed Seismitoad. I was actually surprised to see this thing go. Tell me a little bit about the Toad.
Yeah, so I told you earlier I wanted Greninja and Seismitoad on my team. I was going to get Greninja this round. Got taken. I was going to have Hanzo and Genji, man. I was so excited about it, but someone took Greninja. So anyway, I got Seismitoad. It's a really bulky water type. I love the fact that I have 3 grass resistances on the team. Seismitoad's only weakness is that. I wanted the Stealth Rock user. I really feel like Stealth Rocks are super important. It's a really, really good tier 4 Pokemon, in my opinion, in it. And because of the way my draft work, I have to grab 5 Pokemon in tier 4, so I am a little bit restricted. I have to really start to jump into tier 4. So my strategy at this point was to really jump into tier 4 early, grab the things that I thought were going to be really valuable. And I love Seismitoad's versatility and being a physical attacker, a special attacker. Set those rocks. It has a water immunity, which is really cool. A scald immunity, really appreciated by 2 huge physical attackers that don't like being burned, and also, you know, obviously Victini, which doesn't want to take water type moves. And again, that one weakness, I just felt like the type synergy was really, really consistent there, and it gave me a lot of kind of check boxes. So I felt really good about that round 4 pick. But looking at kind of the summary for round 4, some really cool stuff. I think obviously I want a Greninja, but I think the Magikarp's grabbing Gyarados, dude. I think Mega Gyarados should not be understated as being just a huge threat, man. That thing, it's incredibly bulky. It only has a few weaknesses, and setting up Dragon Dance is not hard to do with it. And its Mold Breaker ability is tremendous, man. It can really, really catch an opponent off guard. So I gotta give some props to that pick there. I think Leo grabbing Slurpuff is really, really good, man. When you pair Manaphy and you pair Mamoswine and even Gallade with Sticky Webs, things get pretty scary. And when you're prepping for Leo, who is a top tier battler in his own right, you have to deal with Slurpuff, and you're worried about Sticky Web, and then it belly drums on your face, you know, and like, that's going to be a really difficult Pokemon to deal with, and I have a feeling that thing is not going to be in tier 3 next season, if I'm being totally honest. But any surprises for you, Chase? Any big value that you thought out of round 4 here?
So, big value coming out of round 4. I definitely got to say a lot about the Slurpuff pick. I think Webs paired with that offensive threat is just absolutely incredible. I think the Registeel pickup was great. Registeel obviously doing what people want in being a bulky Steel-type Pokemon while being able to pack some Resistance Berries, having access to Magnet Rise, this neutering that ground weakness that it does have. I think that is absolutely fantastic. I think the Mega Pidgeot pick coming in from Kanto Cast Blue is really nice. I would love to see some hazard control on his team coming up here, but I do really think that is a solid pick. Being able to just spam Hurricane, he's got a very solid physical force with things like Tapu Bulu and Darmanitan, a very solid special force with things like Nihilego and things like the Mega Pidgeot here. I love Joe's pick of Rotom Heat. I love Tup's pick of Empoleon. I think if I had to say there was like a weak pick in this round, I'm gonna say either Granbull or Slowbro, in my opinion. I think Granbull, I think there's a fairy type or 2 left that Granbull could have done better for, so I'm interested to see how Granbull does. And while Slowbro is a very bulky water type, and I enjoy those bulky water types, I do think that there could have maybe Slowking would have fit a little bit better. But I'm excited to see how round 5 goes. I'm excited to see what you're gonna pick with the team that you got going for us right now.
Yeah, pretty cool stuff. Like you said, I think you covered it. I think there was a good point with the Slowbro pick too. I feel like Slowking is more valuable in my opinion. Like the reason why Slowbro is ranked higher in Smogon format is because of Calm Mind generally. And like it's just a better Slowking, but I feel like the margin of difference between Slowking and Slowbro in Draft League is very insignificant. So I personally would have picked Slowking because I think it's a lower tier, but it depends on what his draft plan is, so we can't really criticize it. That's why it's super important for you guys to go subscribe to every one of the coaches' YouTube channels, !NPA in the chat, of course, to check out all the different coaches that are in this league, and you're going to want to check out, all their channels, as a lot of them are going to be posting draft breakdowns after the stream, so keep an eye out for that. That'll give you the insight that you're looking for to find out why everyone picked what they picked and so on and so forth. So let's jump into round 5. Let's not delay. I got that pick. I just went Seismitoad, and I'm grabbing Silvally all types. I can run every single type in the game, baby. And I knew that my team was going to be limited in some ways because I decided to go so hard with Mawile, Victini, Salamence. So grabbing Silvally really checks off a lot of boxes for me. But what I really love that it does, it gives me a hazard remover, and it gives me Parting Shot. And Parting Shot is super good, man. Mega Mawile and Victini really appreciate free switch-ins because they're super great wall breakers. So being able to get them in with reduced attack on my opponent's side with that parting shot, really sweet. But again, I can't speak enough to the fact that while this thing is not very valuable in Smogon format, in Draft League format where I know exactly what my opponent's team is, I can customize that type every single week. Talk to us about Piloswine, Chase, in Tier 5, the first Tier 5.
So, firstly, I want to say the snipe was real. I actually wanted the mascot pick this season, but I'm going to go with Piloswine out of Tier 5. I'm seeing a lot of Pokemon go out of the lower tiers right now, and I'm not a fan of that. So I went on ahead and grabbed, in my opinion, one of the best, if not the best, Tier 5 Pokemon, Piloswine. Very awesome with the priority that it has in Ice Shard, being able to hit hard with things like Earthquake and Icicle Crash, being able to roar things out over hazards, that extra bulk that Eviolite, that the Eviolite gives us, it was really, really cool. Next up here from the Straw Hat Swamperts, we have Magneton coming in at a Tier 4, another Eviolite abuser. In fact, tell us a little bit about Magneton, Dan.
Yeah, Magneton's a really interesting pick in Tier 4. I think he was trying to get a Steel type and an Electric type and really kind of cover that in one. But I think its real value is its ability to trap Steel type Pokemon. And I'm trying to really see the synergy here. Like, I think that's valuable for Mew, so it can kind of get rid of those Steel types that might get in the way of its Psychic moves. And also kind of for Scolipede, which does have Earthquake, but depending on the Steel type, it could force some various Steel types across the league to run Shed Shell, which might be an advantage in itself in prep. This is one of the best picks I think we've seen. Maryland Torterrapin's grabbing Mega Heracross, which was ranked, I believe, as a Tier 3 Mega, so that really helps out his team in terms of point total, but you see the synergy there with Ribombee. Ribombee's setting up those sticky webs for Mega Heracross, which is just a tremendous wall breaker. It's got one of the highest attack, I think it's the highest attack stat in the format in terms of base attack, although I think Mega Mawile hits a little bit harder after huge power. This thing is a monster, man. Skill Link with Bullet Seed, with Arm Thrust, with Rock Blast. I mean, that is just really, really scary. And I can tell you, if I didn't have the first pick and I didn't get Mega Mawile, I would have went for Mega Heracross, that's for sure. Chicago Cubchoo's grabbing Roserade. Elliot, tell me about Roserade.
Roserade is a beautiful Pokemon. It gets spikes and T-spikes. It can come in and if it has Natural Cure, can take on whatever sass it wants and then dip out. Also, it's beautiful with having Technician, HP Ice and HP Fire. Beautiful over there. So Ice Beam and Flamethrower can basically be prepped with Technician with the HPs. And it can hit hard, has really nice coverage, base 90 speed, has good social defense naturally. And, you know, with this whole entire team so far, we have no ground weaknesses paired up with Tapu Koko. So I'm trying my best to pretty much form the best team possible around it. And Roserade was the pick that I wanted.
All right, we got Serena here for the Pelipers. John grabbing Serena, which is a great Rapid Spinner, great Assault Vest user. Gotta love that U-turn as well. So really cool Pokemon, and they did get a nice buff here in Ultra Sun and Moon, getting access to Power Whip, which I think is pretty cool. It also gets High Jump Kick and Play Rough, so some really cool coverage options, and is immune to Priority, which I think Latias will definitely appreciate. But the Predators are going to be grabbing Klefki here. I actually really love Klefki. Steel and Fairy, like Mega Mawile, but this thing is a little bit different. It's more of a defensive Pokemon. Great dual screens user with Prankster, Light Clay, gotta love that, but it has access to Defog now, taking some pressure off of Superior for that role. It can set spikes and really kind of weaken the opponent's team down for cleaners like Blacephalon. I tell you what, looking at this team, Choice Spec Superior, Choice Scarf Blacephalon, those things are looking pretty scary when you get a few layers of spikes up with this Klefki or set up dual screens. That's pretty scary. And again, Cobalion, set up Sweeper, under screens, gotta dig that. The Thundurus, Cedar Rapids Thundurus grabbing Galvantula here. He's got a pretty interesting team. He's got some bulk with Toxapex Ferrothorn and that heavy hitter with Mega Charizard X, grabbing Sticky Webs to pair with that. Chase, what do you think about the Sticky Webs fitting with Charizard X?
Oh man, Webs with Zardex is not looking nice. Galvantula in its own right being a fast electric type in the format, but also having access to being able to set up webs for things like Sneasel, things like Charizard X, man, I'm not looking forward to it. With the Compound Eyes, increasing the accuracy of moves like Thunder as well. This Pokemon is going to do very, very well for the Thundurus. Next up here, Kyle A, the Miami Dawn fan, grabbing Flygon, which received the buff in Gen 7, getting access to the Dragon Dance move. Ground Dragon typing with the Levitate ability, making it immune to ground type moves and all Spike and Toxic Spikes set on the field. Being a powerful Z move user as well, being able to drop Z Draco, Z Earthquakes as well. This thing can be very, very devastating in the format. Very fast Pokemon after a dance, being paired with things like Jolteon, being paired with things like Diancie. Good turn momentum as well with Jolteon and Scissor. Very reliable Defogger, helping out things like the Scissor. He's got Hazard Control on deck. Next up here from the Magikarps, we see Entei coming in for the second pick. I thought your offensive core was bad, and don't get me wrong, it is, but this offensive core with Mega Gyarados, Dragonite, and Entei is just absolutely disturbing. Z Entei can be very, very powerful. Now getting access to Stomping Tantrum, 75 base power ground type move. If played well with something like Protect, you know, the power is doubled if the last move is failed. So going for like a double Protect and the Stomping Tantrum could probably mess some lives up. But Sacred Fire, priority in the Extreme Speed, man. This thing is an absolute monster. The Munchlaxer United grabbing Metagross out of tier 3. Very, very awesome Pokemon, very bulky Pokemon as well. I know you've got experience with its Mega counterpart, but tell me a little bit about Metagross, Dan.
Yeah, Metagross is just a really good steel type, man. I think it's got tremendous bulk, which I think is really what helps it out, but its ability to set Stealth Rocks is really, really cool, but Choice Band in Metagross is not a joke, man. 130 base attack stat, priority with Bullet Punch, you gotta love that. It's a Pokemon that I really feel like is sometimes overlooked. Obviously, Mega Metagross is just one of the most dominant threats. It's not even allowed in this league right now, but I think regular Metagross should not be slept on. Really cool pick here from the Luxrays. I think they grabbed some really good Pokemon here in round 5, grabbing Shaman. Shaman was on my team last season, got moved up to tier 2 from tier 3. And for good reason. It's got great coverage options, man. Earth Power, Seed Flare, it can really break through teams. Gives them a reliable grass type, of course, which Swampert certainly appreciates. And that base 100 speed across the board, or base 100 stats across the board is really nice. But it can also be a Sub-Seed set, it can be Life Orb. Natural Cure with Rest is a really cool kind of combination and strategy. Being able to rest and heal all the way up and then swap out, and that's pretty sweet. So another Pokemon that got adjusted in tier after last season, the Colorado Rapidash grabbing Infernape. Infernape is a tremendous wall breaker. It's one of the few Pokemon that can be fast and actually attack from both the physical and the special side effectively, and that's really where this thing shines. It's got priority, it's got setup options on both sides. The versatility with Infernape is really, really unmatched. It can do so many different roles, it can fill so many different sets, and it's just a great Pokemon overall. So even though it did get moved up to tier 1, I think it's certainly valuable and certainly worth it, especially when you're grabbing here in round 5 for the Rapidash. You can't be too mad about that. The Seattle Sea Kings and Johto are going to be grabbing Comfey, which did get access to Defog this generation. Talk to us about Comfey, Jodor.
Comfey is a nice utility slot in that I can use. It gets Aromatherapy, it gets Defog, it gets plenty of healing options, can Calm Mind if need to, can Taunt. But not only that, it gets the ability Triage, which lets it be a nice life stealer with a priority Draining Kiss and maybe even a Revenge Killer if need be. I've never really used Comfey before, so I'm excited to try it out this season.
For sure, dude. Comfey is looking pretty sweet. And our next pick is going to be the Honchkrows picking up a Drapion. A Drapion's a really cool Pokemon. The fact that it only has that one weakness to ground is really awesome. I do have to say, though, it's got a couple ground weaknesses, man. That Charizard, that Excadrill, and that Drapion. Gonna want to cover those. Cressel Key and the Honchkrows definitely gonna want to take not let that be taken advantage of. But I love Drapion just because it's got some great natural bulk. It can set up hazards with Toxic Spikes. And it hits pretty hard, man. Those knockoffs aren't bad. I love the Swords Dance set, and surprisingly, it's pretty fast. I think it actually hits 95 base speed. So, really, really cool Pokemon there. And I think it's interesting. But she's definitely gonna want to make sure she covers some of those weaknesses. The Rochester Rhydon's grabbing regular Blastoise, which I personally love, man. It's a great Rapid Spinner, bulky Water type. Chase, what do you think about regular Blastoise here in round 5?
I mean, you hit the nail on the head. I love regular Blastoise. I think a reliable spinner is really nice, taking defog pressure off of Mega Latios. I think it is a Pokemon that appreciates a Wish from Sylveon as well. Torrent boosted Scalds are always something you got to be careful of. I know there's some other niche moves that it can run with things like Ice Beam, with things like Aura Sphere, but something else to note is that it does get access to Refresh, which will heal it from any sort of poison damage that you may have on there to wear down those bulky water types. We see the LA Landorus grab Weavile out of tier 1, seeing Weavile go after Sneasel. But Weavile is still an incredibly powerful Pokemon. We talked about it with Sneasel having that Dark and Ice Stab, priority with Ice Shard, having that Stab knockoff, being able to set up with Swords Dances, Life Orbs on this thing, having access to Low Kick for those powerful Steel types. I do like it on this team paired with the Tentacruel for hazard support. It does get away the Rocks weakness that Weavile and Arcanine both share. But so far, this team is looking very, very nice. Next up here from Day to Dave in the Atlanta Arcanines, we see Dragalge coming in hot. I love Dragalge. The adaptability boost that it does. Adaptability Pokemon are some of my favorite Pokemon. being able to drop an adaptability boost into Draco Meteor is absolutely terrifying. Sludge Wave having access to moves like Scald as well. We now see a little bit of a psychic weakness on the Atlanta Arcanine's team, but things like Heatran and Clefable can definitely patch that up nicely. Another grounded poison type is also good to have. The dragon typing, pairing Dragalge with Clefable and Heatran is a very, very disturbingly good Fairy Steel Dragon Core in my opinion. Next up here from Leo and the Durham Druddigons, we have Rotom Mo, a Rotom form. We see, I believe, 2 Rotom forms now have gone. Having access to moves like Leaf Storm, Volt Switch, Thunderbolt, being able to trick, having Willow's support on this team is very, very nice as well. This thing can help cripple things for setup sweepers such as Mega Glade, such as Slurpuff, such as Manaphy, being able to hinder down those walls so other Pokemon can come in and just take advantage of it. It is a absolutely fantastic mon, a ground immunity with the Levitate ability, so it is not affected by ground type moves, not affected by spikes, toxic spikes, things like that. Coming in with Papa C and the New York Clanks out of Tier 4, we see Miltank. Tell us a little bit about Miltank, Dan.
Yeah, such a great Tier 4 Pokemon, man. Miltank obviously gets the ability to set up those Stealth Rocks, but what it really can do is it's got a grass immunity with Sap Sipper, something that Goodra also has, but it also has Thick Fat too, so it can basically create a resistance for fire and ice type moves, which I think is really cool, especially when paired with Fortress, which obviously does not like those fire type moves. So you see a lot of support on this team for Fortress, and I think that's really important for the Klinks, really keeping an eye on knowing that Fortress is going to be a pretty crucial part to this team, so being able to cover that fire weakness is really, really big. It makes HP Fire way less effective when you can switch in some of those Pokemon pretty freely. The Southampton Sharpedo is grabbing a Alolan Marowak. Speaking of them fire types, this thing is a beast, dude. Alolan Marowak is a spin blocker, being that ghost type, but really what it can do is it's got that thick club hitting really, really hard, man. It can run things like Flare Blitz, of course, with Rockhead. It can have an electric type immunity, which I think is also really cool. It's just a good Pokemon, man. It can set Stealth Rock, Shadow Bone, one of the best ghost type moves in the game, and one of the few physical ghost type moves in the game. Really, really cool pick there. The Pittsburgh Piratica is at the tail end of round 5 here, grabbing Lucario. I can tell you, I've been on the opposite end of Lucario in a negative way. This thing is a beast, man. Oftentimes overlooked, but its ability to set up on both the physical and the special side is really only matched by Infernape, and it's got great priority of things like Bullet Punch and Extreme Speed and Vacuum Wave. Some really cool options there from a priority perspective. I think that's something that makes Lucario really stand out from the competition. Gives him a secondary steel type to Empoleon, which I think is also cool, and just a really hard-hitting fighting type with some priority there. And the Tapu Koko Puffs, his VGC is going to shine on here, grabbing Cresselia. I thought we agreed not to draft this thing, but he is going to grab Cresselia here. Cresselia, one of the bulkiest Pokemon in the game, obviously. It's just a great Calm Mind setter, or Calm Mind abuser. Can set up Calm Minds and just run Moonblast. It's got reliable recovery. It's just super hard to take down, man, because of its super bulk. It's got an immunity to ground types. I think things like Darmanitan really appreciates, and it's just a great Pokemon, man. So not too surprised to see the Cocoa Puffs pick it up here. I am a little bit surprised to see it go round 5, man. Its bulk is just really unmatched. And then to round out round 5, Chase, tell us a little about Tangrowth, man. I feel like I was pretty bummed that this thing got taken because I really like Tangrowth, but
I think everybody going into I don't think anybody has ever gone into a draft and said, you know, maybe I don't draft Tangrowth. I think everybody at some point has said, you know, Tangrowth is a great Pokemon to draft. With the Regenerator ability, I think that pairs very nicely with Tyranitar's Sand. If it does take a little bit of that chip damage, it is able to switch in. Tyranitar does cover the fire and ice weaknesses that it does have. Tangrowth being able to take those hits from the Tyranitar. He's got a lot of good coverage on there. Buzzwole also acting as a little bit of a defensive core there. And as we round out round 5, a lot of good Pokemon went drafted this round. A lot of interesting I don't even think a lot of interesting Pokemon. I think now as we get into these later rounds, I think we're starting to see the teams come together. I think we're starting to see a lot of these Pokemon synergize very well with each other. I think if I had to say the best pick overall in round 5, I'm not even going to say my own, actually, as much as I like that Piloswine. Infernape is a great Pokemon. I'm always a fan of Infernape. I think it is awesome. I think Mega Heracross on the Torterrapins, I think Kelly is going to be able to use that Pokemon very, very well. I love the Blastoise pick with the Rhydons. If I had to say, in my opinion, the weakest pick of round 5, sorry, Joe, I'm going to have to say it. I don't know how big a fan I am of Comfey going round 5. I do think the triage ability is cool. I think being able to set up with Calm Minds is really cool. Having that cleric support is awesome, but you know, it's just, I'm excited to see where he takes the team, though. What do you think about round 5, Dan?
Yeah, I think Mega Heracross, that's just power, dude. Pairing that with Sticky Webs, really scary there. you know, I think that that's a big deal for sure. That's just gonna be such a headache to deal with. I really like the Miltank pick. I think Miltank is just a super good Pokemon in Tier 4 specifically. I think grabbing Shaman there for the Luxrays and the Rain team, gotta love that. And I can tell you I was pretty bummed to see both Tangrowth and Rotom Cut go, because 2 Pokemon that I certainly wanted. Weavile as well going in round 5. Really good kind of strategy there from the Landorus. I think when you plan on a draft and you say, hey, you know what, I'm gonna get Weavile in round 5, that gives you a lot of options to pick some really cool stuff early, because Weavile could easily be a round 1 pick if a certain team wanted it. So some pretty cool stuff going there. But I think it's time for us to jump in to round 6. Let's make it happen. But before we do that, be sure to type !NPA in the chat to check out all the coaches for the league. Of course, a lot of people are going to be posting draft breakdowns. I do also want to mention that on the document we put out for you guys, the !NPA document, it had the rules and stuff like that. Some of those rules were a little bit outdated. A couple people were tweeting me and asking me about Silvally and all types and stuff like that. Silvally is all type Silvally. I can choose any type I want every single week, and I do not have to tell my opponent what type it is until the battle actually happens. Previous season, it was not that way, but we deemed it to not be overpowered or anything like that. So, in fact, we actually moved it down in tiers and gave it all types. So, hopefully that clarifies that. I know a couple people were concerned there or whatever. We have updated the document to reflect that. So, and if I'm wrong on that rule, then I take my draft pick back. But I know we already discussed, so we should be good. All right, let's jump into round 6, Chase. Let's make it happen. Round 6, kicking things off with the Kingler here, grabbing Druddigon in Tier 4. Gotta love Druddigon. Getting that value Fairy Dragon Steel Core if I ever seen one here. Starting it off, Druddigon. Cool Stealth Rock user. Sheer Force really cool, but it's real bread and butter is that Rough Skin, Rocky Helmet combination. Being able to take hits from physical attackers and just do so much damage, man. That's pretty scary, Chase, and I really like that, especially paired with things like Intimidate with Gramble. Gotta love that. What do you think about Druddigon here, Chase?
I think the discount Fairy Steel Dragon Core is the best thing I've ever heard, first off, but I think Druddigon's an awesome Pokemon. Being able to reliably set rocks, having speed control with Glare is really nice as well. I really don't like Kanto-Cast Blue right now. Pairing off the Cresselia pick, he has Blissey. I'm not looking... I don't want to say thickness, but Blissey is an incredibly bulky Pokemon. Pairing that Cresselia is definitely going to... I want to see someone grab a Pokemon that can counter that. But Blissey being a very reliable special wall, being able to Cleric as well. I mean, it's disturbing. What do you think about the Blissey pick with Cress?
I just unfollowed Blue on Twitter, so I think that speaks volumes of how I feel. The Pittsburgh Pirates is grabbing Reuniclus here, and I gotta tell you guys, if it wasn't for the fact that Victini was sitting there at the end of round 2 or round 3, I would have taken Reuniclus as my 3rd pick because I love this thing so much, man. It's so great, dude. Trick Room setting options, phenomenal. Life Orb with Magikarp, phenomenal. Gotta love Regenerator, 2 great abilities, great Psychic type Pokemon, great Pivot Pokemon because of that Regenerator, great Assault Vest user. I think Tub really hit the jackpot here grabbing Reuniclus in round 6, man, especially in Tier 2. I think this is such a great Pokemon, and honestly, I just love this thing, man. I think it's a phenomenal pick here in round 6, and I cannot speak enough to how cool that thing is. But you're gonna see Heliolisk here go in round 6 for the Sharpedos. Heliolisk, fast electric type Pokemon, gotta love that. Hits a pretty good speed tier. Normal spam, cool stuff there. Also gets Surf, and it's the weather snake, weather lizard, man. It can run you know, dry skin to have a water immunity. It can run solar power if you want to throw sun up, man. Can you imagine Z Sunny Day with a Alolan Marowak? What is that? And of course you want to pair it with Z Sandstorm Garchomp. It's got Sand Veil. You ain't gonna hit this thing with an attack because it's dodging. It is gonna be dodging your attacks, man. It gets Surf. That's so crazy. What a pick. You got the New York Lynx grabbing Swampert. Chase, tell me about regular Swampert.
What a pick. We got the Clinks grabbing Swampert here. Regular Swampert is something not to be slept on. I really love defensively. I love water ground type Pokemons. Things like Gastrodon, things like Seismitoad, things like Swampert are very nicely. And we do see Swampert go to the Clinks. Very reliable rock setter. Has access to moves like Scald. Tossing up Scald is always fun to do. Earthquakes are very nice as well. Being able to roar things out over hazards too. Pairing that with Goodra with the Sap Sipper ability really creates for a little bit of a mind game, you know. You got to plan on, is this guy going Goodra? Do I go for my HP Grass to hit this thing or not? Next up here from Leo and the Durham Druddigons, we see Tyrantrum go. One thing I want to say about Tyrantrum is please no. I just don't want to play Tyrantrum. Pairing this thing with Slurpuff with Sticky Webs, Tyrantrum under Webs is just a nightmare. That Head Smash, having the Elemental Fang, Strong Jaw, or Rockhead, this thing is an absolute nightmare. Also a reliable rock setter too if he chooses not to bring just stupidly offensive Tyrantrum. being able to hit things with Outrage and Head Smash, though, is something that people should not forget about ever in League format. I think this thing paired with something like Mega Gallade and Mamoswine is just absolutely disturbing. Data Dave and the Atlanta Arcanines doubling up on that grass type, but picking up one of my favorites, actually. Celebi, one of the mythical Pokemon, the natural cure ability, base 100s across the board, having a variety of moves, being able to set up physically, being able to set up specially, having turn momentum, being able to set up screens. I mean, I think Celebi is really nice. How do you feel about Celebi on this team?
Yeah, dude, I love it. And I think we saw a couple things there with like a bit of a psychic weakness, and Celebi really covers that for him. It gives him a psychic resistance and a good stealth rock user, which otherwise he pretty much only had through Clefable, and I think Celebi kind of takes a little bit of pressure off there, so I definitely valued that. The Lander is grabbing a very underrated Mega and really starting to look like a scary team. I feel like his team wasn't super scary at first, but these last two picks have really rounded out this team and made it look. And that Sprite, by the way, hold on. Let's talk about that Aerodactyl Sprite. Really fast team now. All of a sudden, he's got a 110, a 125, and a who knows what, 50, 145, whatever Aerodactyl is. The thing's fast, dude. It's fast. It's tough claws. Hits really hard, man. You could even run Aerial Ace. Who runs Aerial Ace? This thing does. And it's going to destroy your soul with Aerial Ace. So, gotta love that pick there. And again, just really great draft strategy here for the Landers. Waiting, seeing Weavile and Aerodactyl sitting there, phenomenal. Blaziken, that's what the Rhydons are grabbing next, man. This thing cannot run Speed Boost. Why? It's too powerful. I don't know. I voted we should have allowed it. No one agreed with me. Anyway, Blaziken here in tier 3, I think. Tier 4, maybe. This thing is still a really good Pokemon. It's a great Scarf user. I've lost this thing in the past. It's really good, man. It's got great Fighting type stab. It's got great Fire type stab. It hits pretty hard. It can be specially offensive, mostly physically offensive. Base 80 speed. Throw a Choice Scarf on it. You'll break some walls with it. I think the Rhydons are doing pretty good here with this Blaziken pick. We'll see what ends up happening there. But you got Crystal Key grabbing a Alolan Raichu. If you guys don't know, Pikachu evolves into Alolan Raichu by eating too many pancakes. So does my man Crimson Seabed. Talk to us about Alolan Raichu.
All right, Dan. Alolan Raichu, very fast Pokemon with the Surge Surfer ability, doubling its speed under electric terrain. Being able to set its own terrain can be very nice. Z electric terrain Alolan Raichu, nothing is going to outspeed that. That thing is going to just absolutely destroy souls. Having a good variety of coverage with moves like Surf, with moves like Grass Knot, with moves like Psychic, being able to switch around with moves like Volt Switch, having access to, Stab Thunder is really cool. It's got some niche moves with Encore and Fake Out as well. Next up here, Jodor and the Seattle Sea Kings grabbing Mega Medicham. We got Joe on the line. Tell us a little bit about the Medicham pick, Joe.
So the Sea Kings this year are going to be called #Team Beatdown. That is our plan here. We're going pretty hyper offensive here, as you can tell. I would just like to ask, what is your switch in for Mega Medicham? I don't know if there is one between Fake Out and some really heavy hard hits, Zen Headbutt, Drain. You want to go, you want to protect on the high jump kick. I don't care. I'll just bring Drain Punch on you instead. Got Bullet Punch for some priority and got plenty of coverage. So look out, everybody.
Cresselia is a good switch in. We got Colorado Rapidash with Licky in tier 4. Dude, do not sleep on Licky, man. Licky has Cloud 9, which means your weather, it ain't gonna work because he's gonna stop the weather. He's also gonna stare into your soul and destroy it with his bulk. He also sends really solid Wi-Fi signals if you're looking for some Wi-Fi. But ultimately, this thing is really, really bulky. It gets some really cool coverage moves and some good utility. It's a great heal bell option. Gotta love that. It can set up wishes, pass them to its friends. Well, not really pass him, but you get the idea. The Tampa Bay Luxray is grabbing Zoroark here. I really wanted this thing because it would have been really sick with Victini, but the Luxrays had to ruin my plan, so make sure you go subscribe to his YouTube channel. He's got this Zoroark pick, which is really scary because if you think it's actually a Mega Swampert and it's a Zoroark, bro, that could be a problem. Same with Thundurus, man. It could set up some crazy stuff. You got to be careful. That's pretty nuts. Although if he does disguise Zoroark as Pelipper, that might be a bad decision because people won't see the rain. They'll be really confused. But either way, really good pick here for the Luxrays. 105 base speed, some great coverage options, physical attack, special attack, could do both. Gotta love knockoff Sucker Punch, gets some really cool signature moves. Suicune here, Suisuni for the Munchlax United. Chase, you know about Suicune? Talk to us, man.
I love Suicune. I love bulky water types in League format. Suicune being it does what it does best. It sits there and it clicks Calm Mind. Calm Mind 3 attack, Calm Mind Rest, Calm Mind Roar. This thing is absolutely phenomenal. It does get a little bit moves like Signal Beam, having access to event moves like Air Slash, Hydro Pump and Scald is absolutely fantastic. I think grabbing not only a bulky water type, but a fast water type in Greninja is very nice, giving Greninja's coverage. So I don't think this type double is too bad. I do think grabbing both Raikou and Suicune is very nice for the team. Next up here from the Orlando Magikarps, we have a regular Venusaur coming out of Tier 3. Venusaur being a really awesome Pokemon, very bulky. Does have access to a both physical and special moveset with things like Giga Drain and Sludge Bomb. Can also run things like Petal Blizzard, Poison Jab, Earthquake, Knockoff. Does have access to moves like Leech Seed, has reliable coverage senses. Pretty much the same thing we said about Mega Venusaur, except for it doesn't have the Thick Fat, but it does have Chlorophyll against opposing sounds. So something like a Z Sunny Day Entei into like a Chlorophyll Venusaur could be very, very devastating. We see a lot of grass types go this round. Next up here from Kyle in the Miami Dawn fan, we see a Moongus out of Tier 2. One of the better Tier 2 picks in my opinion. Having that Regenerator ability is always very, very nice. Having access to Spore too is really cool. 100% chance to put something to sleep. Giga Drain has access to Sludge Bomb, has access to Foul Play as well. Being able to be a really good pivot for a lot of Pokemon, I feel like. How do you feel about a Moongus with this team?
Dude, I got sniped so bad, man. Again, like, after Greninja was taken, I was like, all right, I'll grab a Moongus. No big deal. And then it was taken. So I really like that pick there. I think in Tier 2, it's super valuable as well, especially this late in the draft. We're going to see regular Gardevoir go here for the Thundurus. That's a solid pick, man. Regular Gardevoir should not be slept on. It's a Fairy type. It's a Psychic type. It's a great Scarf user. It's got some really cool utility with stuff like Destiny Bond as well. Great coverage. It's got a good special attack stat too, like for real. It's really, really good, especially when you pair it with webs. I can actually see this thing doing some wall breaking, so can't sleep on that pick. I think this is a really good pick in round 6. As somebody who's used Gardevoir before, I really like it. And again, I think it really shines as a Choice Scarf user. I think that is really, because like Fairy Spam is like just spam and Moonblast, really good. But I love this Pokemon, man. How many of you guys saw that Pokemon Go trailer the other day where they had all the Masquerains flying around and you probably thought it was an announcement for the new Pokemon game, but it wasn't. Masquerain's really cool, man. It got a huge stat buff here in Generation 7, getting a nice buff to its speed stat and a special attack, if I'm not mistaken. Definitely speed. Quiver Dance, gotta watch out for that, but really, Sticky Webs, man. We talked about Sticky Webs with Blacephalon, with Nidoking, with Serperior. He made it happen, dude. He put the Sticky Webs on the team. It's got a big weakness to Stealth Rocks, but who cares, man? He's got Klefki to defog him away. The rest of the team doesn't care that much, except for Blacephalon. But this thing's set in Sticky Webs. Gotta love that combination. The New Orleans Pelipper's grabbing Salazzle. That's what I'm talking about, man. This thing is poison, is fire. It can poison everything, man. You're a poison type, you're a steel type, don't care. I'm gonna poison you because of my corrosion ability. It's really fast, which I think is something that John's team really needed at this point in the draft. He doesn't really have a ton of speed outside of his Latias, so I think being able to grab something pretty quick here, really cool. Gotta love that. It's a great wall breaker. I think when you pair Salazzle with Z moves, unlimited Z moves, that's pretty scary, man. He's got the Serena and the Salazzle. I'm not sure what kind of fan art he's trying to get for this, but we'll talk about it later. The next pick coming up is gonna be Galactic Elliott and the Chicago Cubs choose. Elliott, tell me about Hermione here, your little witch, your little Miss Magius.
Miss Maggie is amazing, can do a nice Willow T-Wave action against D-Bon, has lots of different coverage type moves, and you know, it's a nice little spin block Pokemon, which, you know, our team doesn't really care too much about hazards like rocks because no one's really weak to it, but at the end of the day, having spin block is nice just to make sure that the hazards are stuck on their side of the field, and we can keep things, you know, going with that. And Miss Maggie hits hard, it's fast, and pairing that up with Coco being the only 100 plus speed tiers, I mean, it'll be pretty nice, so that's why I took my nice little Miss Maggie.
Sweet stuff, man. The Maryland Torterrapins really starting to form a pretty scary team here. Picking up Gliscor. One of the things that you gotta love about Gliscor is it got a huge, in my opinion, buff for Ultra Sun and Moon. And that buff is the fact that it can now run Defog with Poison Heal. Poison Heal, of course, it's like best ability with Toxic Orb. Really stops the status. Gotta love that. You gotta love the fact that it heals so much back up. Only that one big weakness to ice types, and he's got that Vaporeon to cover that. So you know what? He's there. Gotta worry about Landorus, Therian, and Gliscor together. That's a little bit weird, but nevertheless, man, having the ability to defog with Poison Heal, pretty cool stuff there. And we've got the Straw Hat Swampert going with Deontay next. Regular Deontay. I think this is a great pick, man. This is a really good pick in Tier 4. It's a great Fairy type. It's a great Rock type. It can support the team with Heal Bell. It can set Trick Room. I love that, man. I love that it gets Trick Room. I love that it's got the great move in Diamond Storm, Moonblast, some really cool spammable attacks there. Stealth Rock, Heal Bell. I love the versatility in what Deontay can do. And I think it's overlooked a little bit, but he's got the support for it. Steel types, he's got a Magneton. He's got a, you know, a couple things there that really don't care about like bullet punches and stuff. So I think that's pretty cool. Chase, talk to us about Scrafty, man.
So I said earlier when I saw that Blissey and Cresselia get drafted, I was like, I need something that beats it. That's Scrafty. No, but for real, Scrafty is, I feel like a very slept-on Pokemon in League format. It's got 3 great abilities. Shed Skin, Intimidate, and Moxie. It can set up a Dragon Dance. It can set up with things like Bulk Up. It has access to Elemental Punches. Stab Knockoff is always something to fear. High Jump Kick spam is also something. Reliable recovery with things like Drain Punch. Shed Skin Rest is also great recovery as well. Great bulk too. I believe it's defense and special defense are over 100 on both sides, which is really, really nice. You're going to double up on your water types here, Sharpedo. Tell us a little bit about the Sharpedo pick.
Yeah, man, I wanted something that I felt could clean and something that was a little bit faster. And even though it's like not as fast as Victini or Salamence on paper, that speed boost is what's really going to allow it to get there. I feel like Sharpedo was a great value pick in tier 4. It was previously tier 3. And I love this thing, man. I think it's got a great attack stat. It's got priority, which my team appreciates. It's dark type, which I think is really cool. And even though it's frail, I think it can really be a good cleaner. And it's got some great coverage options. It can also be specially offensive as well, too, with Ice Beam and Dark Pulse and stuff. So that's kind of something to keep in mind that I think a lot of people might sleep on with Sharpedo. So I was just really stoked to grab it, especially again. I knew because of grabbing Salamence and Victini and Mega Mawile, it kind of restricted my draft a little bit. So I had to jump into tier 4 early. So grabbing something as good as Sharpedo in tier 4, I thought that was pretty solid. So here's kind of our recap here for round 6 as we're past the halfway point in the draft. Anything that really jumps out to you, Chase, in round 6 here?
So I really do like the Sharpedo pick. It was on my list. Sharpedo's a fantastic Pokemon. I think Psychic Fangs is really, really awesome to have. I think the Reuniclus pick by the Piratas is really, really nice. Things that stick out as far as really good picks. I'm actually biased about the Scrafty pick. I'm a big fan of it in League format. I think Mega Arrow going to the LA Landorus is a great pick. I think Mega Arrow is one of those. I think it's becoming more prevalent in League format. I'm starting to see it drafted more and more as seasons carry on, as leagues form. More people are starting to think, Mega Arrow is not too bad. Tough Claw is always really great with that speed stat. I'm a fan of Gliscor. I don't like it on the Torterrapin set. I think Bolt Beam coverage right now just decimates him, and I would love to see some way of patching that up. Regular Venusaur going to the Magikarps, of course. I think regular Swampert with the Clinks is really nice. I think Suicune with the Munchlax United. Pairing that with that Greninja is also very nice. Being able to bring certain weeks you might need a bulky water type, certain weeks you might need a fast water type. What are your thoughts on this round?
Yeah, so I think you hit the nail right on the head with a lot of the picks there. I think the Aerodactyl pick was really big. I think the Cocoa Puffs grabbing Blissey to pair with Cresselia, that's scary, dude. That's really difficult to take down. Blissey only really is scared of physical fighting type moves, and Cresselia just eats those up. I also want to shout out that Licky Licky pick, man. Licky Licky, really good pick out of tier 4. And then I also want to say I love the Masquerain and Sticky Webs with like Nidoqueen, Blacephalon. And then last but not least, got to give some props to Leo. He knows what he's doing. He's a veteran. Tyrantrum, that's a really big threat, man. And I think grabbing that on that team with Slurpuff and Sticky Webs and all that other good stuff, man, really, really solid. And then one more shout out to Jodor picking Mega Medicham. I think that thing could easily go first 2 rounds, and grabbing it in round 6 is just really solid value. And I think, as we kind of head towards the tail end of the draft here, the last half, the second half, a lot of coaches are going to be grabbing some things that you may be a little surprised about, but right now it's about patching those weaknesses. It's about finding synergy. It's not so much about grabbing the best thing on the board anymore. It's about really trying to make the best team possible and cover any weaknesses that you might have. So let's take a look at round 7. I just finished things off with a Sharpedo. Let's go with Virizion. I was really looking at Breloom, and I told you guys Amoonguss got taken. I was going to grab Breloom in tier 2, but I think Virizion is actually better in tier 4 considering how many tier 4s I need. I love its synergy with Victini. It has a resistance to resistance to water types. It has a justified for dark type moves. Gotta love that. I love this with Z moves. I think that's really valuable. I love its ability to set up, and it also helps my speed tiers, giving me something at 108 base speed. So I really felt like Virizion was just a really good fit for the team. Another grass resistance for Seismitoad as well, and I just felt like from a type perspective and from, it was like the perfect pick at this time for me, in my opinion. And Araquanid, man, great pickup in tier 2. Chase, what are you thinking about Araquanid, man?
So Crimson Seabug right here was something that was on my radar for quite some time, especially since it got that Sticky Web boost in Ultra Sun and Moon. Being able to set webs for things like Scrafty and Celesteela and Mega Altaria is really nice. Speed control is something I've always wanted to try out with webs, and Araquanid kind of fit the bill. Bulky water type right here, the water bubble preventing the burn, reducing fire type damage, and doubling the attack of water type moves. So things like Liquidation, things like Scald are just very, very powerful. Next up here with the Straw Hat Swamperts, we have Zygarde 10%. Good boy Zygarde here. Still nothing to sleep on. I mean, this thing hits incredibly hard, setting up with the same moves such as Dragon Dance and Coil, being able with priority and extreme speed One of the best moves in the game I talked about was Zygarde 50. 1,000 arrows, being able to use 1,000 arrows and 1,000 waves for trapping is very nice. You know, Z Draco on this thing, ground EMZ after a setup. This thing can be very, very scary in the right hands, and I'm really curious to see how Zygarde 10 does, especially as a tier 3 pick. Commonly, I feel like I see this thing in tier 2, so I'm really excited to see how it is. Next up here from Kelly and the Maryland Torterrapins, we have Alolan Persian out of tier 4. I really like this Pokemon, especially given the Z move rules in the NPA. I think being able to Z Parting Shot is always nice. I think Dark EMZ, I think a lot of the support moves that this thing gets is really cool. Having access to Technician, having access to things like Fur Coat, not only being a good knockoff user, not only being a good U-turn user, having access to moves like Dark Pulse as well is really, really cool. Despite the size of its head, I really do think Kelly is going to do very, very well with this Alolan Persian on the team here. Solid pickup in tier 4. Next up here from Galactica and the Chicago Cubchus, we have Bisharp coming in at a rather high tier pick. I believe it's a tier 2 pick. Elliot, tell me a little bit about Bisharp with the team.
I need a steel type, man. Every steel type is taken, and we had to go ahead and stretch and get a nice little Bisharp for our team. So this thing's nice because of Defiant. We have 2 mons that are nice with competitive and Defiant. So if anybody wants to run Defog, you know, either one can come in, competitive and Defiant boost. Same goes to Sticky. This thing has nice priority. And honestly, I don't know if I will end up keeping this thing, but I wanted to take it before it would go away, and then I have literally no steel type left. So hey, who knows? Maybe after the draft we'll look into making a slight acquisition. But for now, I need to take this and see where we go. It has nice setup, and we can see with Sucker Punch how well we could take this thing far.
All right, so we're going to see the New Orleans Pelipper's grab Mudsdale here. Mudsdale, I think, is a really good pick in Tier 4. It got a huge buff at Ultrasonic Moon and being able to run Stealth Rock, which I think is something that really sets it apart. It's just a reliable ground type, a little slow, but it's got incredible HP, attack, and defense. And you can pair it with an Assault Vest to take hits from all sides. Gotta love that stamina ability, though. The ability to boost its defense every time it takes a hit, and I'm pretty sure it works even if it's not a contact move. So gotta love that as we see some of the lower tier mons going here. The Predator's grabbing Lantern out of Tier 5, one of our first Tier 5s going. Lantern's really cool. It's got 2 immunities, Volt Absorb, Water Absorb, allowing it to take both water and electric type moves without a problem. Gotta love that, especially on a team that doesn't want to take those hits. It's a great pivot, heal bell, great assault vest user. It's got good coverage. It's a little weak though. It's got great HP, but it's a little weak. You can kind of make its EV spread work with it, but you know, ultimately I think Lantern's a really good pick in Tier 5, and I think this is a pretty solid pick for the Predators. What do you think about Lantern, Chase?
I'd agree with that. I think Lantern is a really good out of Tier 5. I think it's a great, one of the better Tier 5 picks in my opinion, though it does lack a little bit of offensive pressure. Next up here from the Cedar Rapids Thunderous, we see Staraptor coming in. Staraptor is a very powerful Pokemon, normal flying type Pokemon. Did receive a boost in Ultra Sun and Moon. Now being able to run Reckless Defog is something that is very scary. I believe the second form of hazard removal now on his team. He does have 2 Defoggers now, both in the Charizard X and in the Staraptor. But Staraptor, very powerful. Reckless Brave Bird, Reckless Double Edge, being able to U-turn, Final Gambit user, close combat. So for those Pokemon that could otherwise, you know, stop it dead in its tracks, close combat can be a very powerful, hard-hitting move. Next up here for Kyle and the Miami Dawn fan, we see Mesprit coming out of Tier 4. The Lake Trio, I believe, are another set of Pokemon that are becoming more common in League format that you see being drafted. Mesprit, not as bulky as Uxie and not as offensive as Azel. Still a great pick, still a great Psychic type. Can be bulky, can be offensive. It's like kind of like that middle ground. Great hazard setter. Great U-turn momentum, being able to set up screens. Psychic spam is always really nice to have on the team. A ground immunity as well to pair off with Mega Diancie and Jolteon is also very nice. Next up here from the Orlando Magikarps, we see regular Ninetales out of Tier 4. I'm actually a really big fan of this pick, honestly. I think it pairs off nicely with Venusaur having access to Z moves and the Chlorophyll ability. I think it pairs very nicely with Entei being able to set up Z moves as well. You know, Z Sacred Fire in the Sun, yikes. But Will-O-Wisp support is always very nice. I believe it's got a really nice speed as well. The Drought ability, obviously setting that sun, and even its own Z move, Z Fire Blast, Z Solar Beam as well, that it can set up to help with the team out a little bit. I really do like this on the team. Next up here, the Munchlax United grabbing Palossand out of Tier 4. A really, really interesting pick, receiving a buff in Ultra Sun and Moon with access to Stealth Rocks now. What do you think about Palossand, Dan?
I guess my mic was muted that entire time. Sorry about that. Kingdra's here. Swift Swim, man. Looking pretty sweet. Chase never told me. He never told me I was quiet. Anyway.
I heard you. I heard you.
Oh, Chase, yeah, Chase heard me, but no one else did. All right, well, anyway, Chase, talk about Feraligatr. My bad, I was muted.
Feraligatr is an awesome water-type Pokemon, now getting access to Liquidation with Ultra Sun and Moon. Being able to set up with Dragon Dance, being able to double dance with things like Swords Dance and Dragon Dance is very, very nice. Ice Punch, Crunch, the sheer force ability is incredible. Being able to increase the damage output for the removal of the secondary effect of those moves is really, really nice. So things like Rock Slide, things like Crunch, things like Ice Punch all receive that sheer force boost. You typically see this thing with like a Life Orb, but it could also be a powerful Z user after a Dragon Dance with Terarium Z, Darkium Z, things like that as well. Next up here, we see another bulky water type go. We have Jodor and the Seattle Sea Kings grabbing Jellicent. Joe, tell us a little bit about the Jellicent pick.
So when you grab Hyper Offense for your first 6, you got to make a few compromises down the line, but that's okay. I've used Jellicent before. It's an incredibly bulky water ghost type. Has a decent move pool on the offensive side if I need to, but pretty much it just kind of sits there and doesn't give any care at all about any special hit that hits it. So I just got to avoid some knockoffs, and I should be good with this thing for the most part.
No, I dig it. I think it's a great pick. I think the Firewater Grass Core you got going for you right now is really, really nice. We've got we've got Kretzel K and the Adelaide Honchkrows grabbing Hippowdon out of Tier 2. A very nice Sand Setter. We saw the Tyranitar go, so Hippowdon was the other choice here for the Sand. Pairing it off nicely. We've got 2 types of weather on the team. We have Hippowdon and we have Mega Charizard Y. With the Sun. I really, really like where this team is going. I think the diversity that the Honchkrows do have is very, very nice. I think pairing it off with perhaps another Sand abuser could be really nice. Maybe something like Stoutland or something. We got Iron Boffin and the Rochester Rhydons grabbing regular Sandslash out of Tier 5. Talk a little bit about this, Dan.
Yeah, Sandslash, really cool Pokemon, especially considering the fact that it can Rapid Spin, and it's one of the best Rapid Spinners in Tier 5, or like a lower tier Rapid Spinner in general. It can also set hazards itself with Stealth Rock. Has a decent attack stat. You can use things like Knock Off and things like that, Earthquake. Really cool there as well. So just a really reliable Rapid Spinner if you want to kind of take the pressure off Blastoise. And I think it's always important to have a ground type on your team. So having this ground type is definitely a good pick here towards the tail end of the draft. You've got the Landorus grabbing Azelf, and I gotta give him props, man. I feel like the Landorus have done such a great job of just grabbing really, really good Pokemon late in the draft. And they did a really good job, I think, with their strategy. We talked a lot about Mega Aerodactyl, talked a lot about Weavile. Azelf gives him even better speed tiers. He's really crushed those speed tiers with Arcanine, Tentacruel, Latias, Azelf, Weavile, Aerodactyl moving up. That is like, it doesn't get any better than that in terms of like really nailing everything. But this gives him a really good hazard setter, which I think is cool to kind of take some of that off of Registeel, but it also gives him a great Z-move user, a great setup sweeper with Nasty Plot. Love that pick. The Atlanta Arcanines, I love this pick as well. We talked about him wanting to kind of remove that weakness to ground types. He did it with Crobat. He's doing it now. Celebi, now Mantine. So that's going to finish up his Fire, Water, Grass Core. Mantine, only one weakness to electric types. He's got a couple resistances there with Celebi and Venusaur and Dragalge. I want to see him grab a ground type, though. I think that's kind of important at this point. Or something maybe with Water Absorb or whatever it may be. Volt Absorb. But I love this as a defogger. I think Mantine is really, really valuable in this format. Love that pick. We got Leo here making a really good value pick in Tier 5, grabbing Steelix. Steelix is probably one of the best Tier 5s, maybe one of the top 3 or 4. Gives him a really good Steel-type Pokemon, especially this late in the draft, and a great Stealth Rock setter. It's got a tremendous amount of bulk, and it's guaranteed to get rocks up because of its sturdy ability. So I really, really like this pick, and I think Leo, obviously a veteran of the format, knows what he's doing, grabs a really good pick here with Steelix, and I think that's going to be really scary. And you can't really sleep on the offensive options, too, with Sheer Force. This thing can hit pretty hard if you run, like, Sheer Force with Life Orb, so look for something like that as well if he wants to mix it up. But we're going to see Raichu here go for the New York Clinks. Chase, what do you think about this Raichu pick?
I like Raichu. Big fan of fast electric types in the format. I think Raichu with 110 base speed is really nice. I think the Lightning Rod ability is really cool. It helps out that Tapu Fini just a little bit. Obviously, he does have the Swampert there to take the electric hits, but also kind of helps deal with some other some speed issues that he was having. His team previously not too fast outside of Tornadus Therian being the only thing to top out of 100. Miltank hitting that 100. But Raichu definitely increasing the speed tiers, has great coverage with Grass Knot, Surf, niche moves like Encore and Fake Out, things like that. Next up here, the Southampton Sharpedos, grabbing Chestnut. Chestnut is a fantastic Pokemon. I think the Firewater Grass core that is put together right here is actually very devastating. Chestnut being a great grass and fighting type, having access to that spiky shield signature move, being able to set up spikes, being able to set up Leech Seed. Woodhammer is really nice. The synthesis recovery that it does get is really cool. It has access to set up your Belly Drum, which is also very nice. I can't say enough good stuff about Chestnut. I think it is a very underrated, bulky grass type in the format. I think pairing it with something like Slowbro is very, very, very disturbing. We've got Old Man Tup and the Pittsburgh Piratas grabbing Lurantis out of Tier 5. I really like this Pokemon as a contrary user with superpower and things like that. How do you feel about Lurantis coming out of Tier 5?
Yeah, I think Tup is really trying to get the most value out of his lower tier picks, and Lurantis is a pretty solid defog user. The thing is, it is a little bit slow, and I think that's what really sets people away from it. It's got a great design. It should have been a bug type, but I get the idea. It's a fake Mantis, yada, yada, yada. Nevertheless, though, defog, contrary, superpower, that's pretty cool, man. I think just a bulky grass type is pretty helpful. The Tapu Cocoa Puffs, gonna be grabbing Gyarados here. Gyarados is super scary in Draft League format. The reason being, especially with us having free Z, pretty much Z moves across the board, this thing can run Z Bounce, man. And otherwise, it doesn't have a really good flying type stab. So when you pair it with Z Bounce, very scary. You can set up Dragon Dances. Gotta love that. This thing can really, really sweep a team if not prepared. So I think the Cocoa Puffs here, Blue, making a really, really solid pick grabbing Gyarados. I can tell you, I think this thing going round 7. Underrated, man. Definitely a threat. And he stack. He attack. It's time. Stakataka in Tier 3. The United Kingler picking up Stakataka to round out their round 7. This thing is super scary, man. It can not only get some beast boosts on the attack perspective or defense perspective, depending on how you want to run it. Trick Room, really cool. Gotta love Trick Room with Buzzwole. That's a really cool option, but it does have a few key weaknesses, but its bulk is so high that it doesn't really even matter. It's a great Stealth Rock user as well, and you gotta love that Trick Room, Gyro Ball, all that good stuff. So pretty cool pick. What do you think about the Stakataka pick?
I like Stakataka. I really do think that is the great value of Fairy Steel Dragon Cores if I've ever seen it, but very physically bulky. Very reliable hazard setter, like you said. Beast Boost could be something. Being the only Ultra Beast to set its own Trick Room, I believe. Am I correct in saying that? Nihilego, never mind. The only Ultra Beast that appreciates the Trick Room being set for itself. Stakataka is absolutely incredible. And rounding out round 7, we're seeing a lot more value picks go. We're also seeing a lot more of these teams put together. I do actually want to say, without brown nosing too much, I think that Virizion pick is actually really nice. I think it pairs very nicely with the Victini. I really think it pairs nicely with Seismitoad as well. I think the Mantine pick going to the Arcanines is really nice too. Whoever picked Araquanid is very handsome and doesn't eat a lot of pancake. Steelix on the
nothing wrong with pancakes, dude. Pancakes really are good.
Waffles all the way, but either way, the Lantern pick is also waffles over pancakes.
Time out. Forget the draft. Chat. Pancakes or waffles? We gotta find out right now.
Let me see. Team waffles are way better. But Lantern, another good Tier 5 pick, is really cool. If I had to say the weakest pick in round 7, I would have to say probably the Palisand. If I had to say the best pick overall, I do like how Virizion's matching up with your team.
Sweet stuff, man. Thanks for the compliment. And that guy who picked Araquanid is incredibly handsome. I'm seeing a lot of pancakes in the chat. There's a lot of waffles too, man. Oh my god. Both. That is the answer. Creep says both. Why not both?
I saw Jodor say French toast. I think we might have to.
French toast, solid. Was it when we went to the diner you had crepes that time?
I always get crepes whenever I go. I was just thinking about that for some reason. Dude. I always get crepes whenever I go to that diner by your house.
The crepes, man. We gotta get some crepes, but swing by anytime. We got some really cool picks here, though. I think you got to talk about the Magikarps, man. I love Entei in Sun. I love Venusaur in Sun. Saw the long-term plan there, and that Virizion pick was it was such a great pick, man. Zydoge as well, Zydoge for the Straw Hat Swampers, man. I think that's a really solid Tier 3. It's really fast, can Dragon Dance, and again, we just know how good and spammable its Thousand Arrows is. One of the most spammable moves in the game. It really is just like such a super good move. So really cool pick there. But we've got just a few rounds left here as we head to round 8. I cannot encourage you guys enough. Exclamation point NPA in the chat. Please check out all the coaches. Be sure to subscribe to their channels. Follow them on Twitter. Show some support for the NPA. Awesome league, awesome people. Really stoked about that. So definitely check out every coach there. Exclamation point NPA. We have all the information there. You got all the coaches. You got the tiering. You got the rules. All that good stuff. So be sure to show some love. And of course, like I said, a lot of the coaches, myself included, will be releasing a kind of a draft breakdown as soon as the draft is over. So if you kind of want to get our in-depth thoughts, we've had a couple coaches on the call. Not everyone is with us. People have other things going on like jobs, or they just don't have the ability to call right now, whatever it may be. So you definitely want to check out everyone's channel so you can get their thoughts. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got about 22 hours until the Super Bowl kind of pre-gaming starts. So, just watch everyone's draft breakdown. That's what I recommend. Anyway, let's jump into round 8. We got round 8 here. Kicking things off, we're going to see Gligar in round 4 for the Kingler. Gligar may not have as big a claws as Kingler does, but its might and effort is unmatched, man. This thing is really cool. It's only got that big weakness to ice, but Eviolite really throttles that. Gotta love its ability to defog. Gotta love its ability to set them stealth rocks. And I also gotta say, it can't be toxic because of immunity, so that's pretty cool as well. U-turn, knockoff, really good pivot and kind of like supporty type Pokemon. And I think that Gligar is a pretty cool guy. What do you think, Chase?
I think Sandville Gligar is definitely coming with that Tyranitar. I really do think that. That's a really solid pickup. I like Gligar. Good fighting immunity as well. I'd like to see a little bit more of a ice patching right there. A little bit ice weak on the Kingler's team. But we got the Tapu Koko Puffs picking up the mascot pick for you with Vikavolt coming out of Tier 4. I really would love to see some sort of hazard control on this team. But Vikavolt, you can talk a little bit about that one actually. I heard you yell.
Yeah, I won a championship with this thing last season, man. Vikavolt was such an amazing Pokemon, dude. Agility, sets up, destroys souls, throw some Z moves on it, destroying more souls. I love that thing, man. I love Vikavolt. I'm really mad at Blue. He was unfollowed before, now he's blocked. We got the old man sub here, and the Pittsburgh Piratas grabbing Ditto, a very cool Tier 4 Pokemon. Not only can this thing copy whatever is sent out there, but it steals them stat boosts. And there's some Pokemon in Draft League format that do a lot of work when they're on the bench, and I think Ditto is one of those Pokemon because it really impacts how your opponent prepares in a match. I can tell you when you face Ditto, you do not want to bring setup sweepers because if you start setting up, Ditto comes in, its Choice Scarf takes those boosts and then reverse sweeps your team. So it's something in Tier 4 you really have to keep in the back of your head. Ambipom to the top. Is that the top yet? I don't know. We're in February. I'm not sure if it made it to UU or whatever it was supposed to go. But the Southampton Sharpedos are a believer in the month or year of the monkey. I don't know. I don't follow this stuff. Ambipom, super fast, normal type, fake out, knockoff, U-turn. Don't sleep on Nasty Plot special attacking sets. It gets Water Pulse. It's gonna destroy your soul with Water Pulse. Really cool Pokemon. What tier did it end up in, Chase? I don't even know.
I think it ended up. I don't remember if it ended up in UU all the way. I think they're gonna readjust it for the remaining tiers. But I know Ambipom was seeing a lot of usage. Thanks to a certain doctorate MD. Next up here, we have the New York Clinks with Delphox. I really like this pick a lot. Fire Psychic typing, hits very, very hard. Good trick user as well, especially with access to all the Z moves that it can have access to. Z Sunny Day, variety of special attacking moves that do appreciate a Z Crystal as well. I've never used it personally. I can't say too much on it. I think you have, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, dude, this thing's awesome. Like, seriously, I really feel like it's such a great Pokemon. Its speed stat is really what helps, and I think it's really cool in the fact that it can, like, use an item and then steal someone's item. So, like, Power Herb Solar Beam and then steal the item with Magician. Really cool strategy. Durham Dredagon's grabbing Pyroar here. Pyroar is a pretty fast fire and normal type Pokemon with like Dark Pulse, some cool options there. You gotta love that. 105 base speed if I'm not mistaken. Really cool Choice Scarf user. I think Choice Scarf and Choice Specs user. I really like its ability to run those two items. And just a really solid lower tier Mon, Pyroar here. Really scary team he's got. One of my favorite picks here, Electivire in Tier 4. I love me some Electivire, man. I think this is a really good Pokemon, personally. I think Electivire is just a great Pokemon. I think when you throw Z moves with it as well, very scary, dude. Z Rain Dance, Electivire, anyone? Oh my god. That's scary, dude. It gets a speed boost, and then it just destroys things, man. Like, that's pretty nuts. You can also run, I don't know if it gets Sunny Day, but if it does, you should run Z Sunny Day. Take my advice. Dave, you got this, man. Day to day.
He's trying to go day to day with Electivire right now.
Dude, I'm going day to day.
Great Pokemon. Great electric immunity. The motor drive ability is really, really cool as well. It does have a good variety of moves to pair with the Z
That's a big Vileplume.
That's a big Vileplume. That's the totem Vileplume right there. We got the LA Landorus coming in with Vileplume out of tier 4. Very solid grass type, very bulky grass type. You typically see grass types into a bit more of a defensive role than you do offensive, and Vileplume fits that defensive coverage very nicely. The effect spore ability is very nice. Being able to synthesize up any sort of damage is really cool too. The different powders that it does get, Giga Drain, Sludge Bomb is also cool.
Strength Sap.
Strength Sap is the new one. Strength Sap is disturbing. It just does it. I didn't know what that move was until I played a randomizer, and I was like, what is this? Absolutely crazy. Great tier 4 pick in my opinion. Coming in next from Iron Ball from the Rochester Rhydons, we see Terrakion coming out of tier 1. Monster. Sack him onto this thing. Terrakion is absolutely terrifying. Can set up with Swords Dance, can set up with Rock Polish. Z-move user. This thing appreciates the Z-Crystal more than anything. It's a good rock setter as well. Takes the pressure off of Sandslash for being a good rock setter. Focus Sash, Terrakion is a thing. Banded Terrakion really just, I mean, I can't, just Stone Edge close combats. This thing's an absolute nightmare to deal with. Can't say enough good stuff about it. Crystal Key and the Adelaide Honchkrows grabbing Komala here out of tier 5. Another very good pick out of tier 5 in my opinion, with the Comatose ability, making sure that it cannot be statused by Toxic, Burns, or Paralysis. Choice Banded Sleep Talk is also something that you could run considering this thing is always asleep. Being able to Wish Pass, being able to U-turn out of there with moves like Woodhammer as well, I think this matches up nicely. I think being able to Wish Pass into things like Kyurem, things like the Hippowdon, I think those are very nice. Being able to appreciate status afflictions that things like the Excadrill, things like the Hippowdon, the Drapion might not appreciate. You know, the very obvious Will-O-Wisp coming out. It's a good switch in. And speaking of Will-O-Wisp, we have Jodor and the Seattle Seekings grabbing Incineroar out of tier 4. And now I don't know if it gets Will-O-Wisp, but I'm sure Joe can tell me all about Incineroar.
Yes, it does get Will-O-Wisp. I picked up Incineroar because, honestly, the lack of dark types at the end of this stage in the draft, I needed something good, and there really wasn't much available. But I do like me some Incineroar. It gets incredibly powerful hits. It gives me another pivot option. It gives me another fake-out option if I need to back up Mega Medicham for any reason. And it just makes my team a bit of a harassing team as well. And so if I can't just hit you all at once, I can kill you slowly with a bunch of little pokes here and there.
All right. This is one of the best tier 4s in the draft. I really feel like the Rapidash got a huge steal here with Venomoth. You may be like, A-Drive, it's just a Venomoth, man. But let me tell you, dude, this thing has Tinted Lens, okay? Which means that any move that it uses that hits a resisted Pokemon is not resisted anymore, man. So those Sludge Bombs and those Bug Buzzes with a Z move is so scary. It could put you to sleep with Sleep Powder. While you're snoozing away, it starts doing some dance moves. Quiver dances up and then bobs something with a Z move, and then the game's over. That was a really good pick in tier 4. It gets Toxic Spikes too. Solid job, man. The Tempeh Luxrays grabbing Kabutops here. Kabutops, of course, likes the rain. He likes it when it's raining because he gets double the speed. Really cool Pokemon, great coverage, rapid spin, gotta love that. But really this thing is just a huge monster under rain, and that's really its benefit there. I'm curious to see whether he's gonna grab stuff like Ludicolo as well, but he definitely went rain. He's got that rain sweeper. If the rain's up, this thing's really fast. You should probably use Kabutops when it's raining. That's all I have to say about Kabutops. But we got the Munchlax.
Kabutops is great.
We got the Munchlax United grabbing Tangela in tier 5. Eviolite, Tangela can take some hits, man. It's a great pivot Pokemon with Regenerator. Really cool. It can take hits, switch back out. It can Sleep Powder. It's super bulky, man. Like, I feel like Tangrowth a lot of the time has to run a Assault Vest, but Tangela doesn't, so it can run Sleep Powder and Leech Seed and be like really cool with that. So you gotta love that. And don't sleep on this thing's special attack stat because it's actually not that bad. I really like this guy. I have an emote for it, ADR Bush in the chat. What do you think about Tangela?
I love Tangela. Tangela is actually one of the few Pokemon that can actually take a Sheer Force Flare Blitz from Darmanitan, believe it or not. I absolutely love it. I think it's a great tier 5 pick. Next up, coming out of tier 5 as well, another great tier 5 pick. The Orlando Magikarp's grabbing a regular Manectric from tier 5, giving an electric immunity to the team is a very nice set. Lightning Rod boosting the special attack stat. While the moveset is not super diverse with Manectric, it really does, in my opinion, what you want a electric type to do. It zaps around with Volt Switch, it hits Thunderbolt, it clicks, a hidden tech move like Overheat or Hidden Power, and it moves around. You know, you really don't need too much else out of a fast electric type, in my opinion. We have Kyle and the Miami Dawn fans grabbing Emboar, a Pokemon that always seems to be drafted. Emboar is an absolute nuclear missile. Paired with the right Pokemon, this thing can absolutely be a nightmare. Priority and Sucker Punch, Reckless Flare Blitz, does have access to Scald as well, something to note. being able to power Herb Solar Beam, close combat, wild charge, superpower, or not close combat, superpower, I mean. But just an offensive Z Crystal and Emboar, you really gotta find a switch into this monster. Absolutely nightmarish Pokemon. I mean, just there's nothing more. Speaking of close combat users, though, another fighting type to go. Cedar Rapids, Thundurus, and Hitmontop. Very reliable hazard removal here. I'm glad to see it on the team. Before, like I said, with only the Charizard in this draft or being default users, does now have a good Rapid Spinner, great Intimidate user as well, forcing switches. Very bulky Pokemon, lots of priority in things like Fake Outs, things like Bullet Punch, things like Mach Punch as well. Close Combat, Earthquake, great Toxic Spammer too. I really enjoy this Pokemon a lot. I think it is a great value pick on the team, in my opinion. I really like how it matches up nicely with the defensive core of Toxapex and Ferrothorn, being able to shrug off some otherwise damaging moves that those things might not want to take just yet. I think it works out really well. Next up here, Redifan and the Nashville Predators grabbing Noivern out of Tier 4. It has been a minute since I have seen Noivern used in a league format. Tell me a little bit about Noivern, Dan.
Yeah, I think this is a really cool pick. Noivern is super quick. It's really, really fast, and I think that's the thing that sets it apart. It obviously doesn't hit as hard as some of the other dragons, but it is really quick, so it does have the ability to U-turn out pretty seamlessly. And because it's speed stat, you know it's going to outspeed most things, so you can oftentimes run like Choice Specs on it or Life Orb and get that extra power output. It's a really cool Boom Burst user, and it hits Hurricanes, Z-Hurricane, really cool. But we got Electrode here for the Pelipper's up next. Electrode, really solid Tier 5 pick. This thing is so fast, you know, one of the fastest Pokemon in the format, obviously. Doesn't hit incredibly hard, but you can run Thunderbolt on it. You can freely Volt Switch, and even though it's frail, it does exactly what you want out of an Electro-type Pokemon. Like we said, Volt Switch around, you know, it's got static too, which is kind of cool. So in a pinch, you could maybe paralyze something if they hit it. So definitely something to note there with Electrode. So I think that was a really solid pick in Tier 5, as you always want to get, you know, fast electric types. But Galactic Elliott is going to pick up Magmortar here. Elliott, why'd you pick Magmortar?
Well, Fire type's starting to go, and I need one very, very badly. Delphox was my main pick because Psychic with Fire plus Fast equals I want it. But Magmortar is an absolute nuke, an absolute legend, an absolute beast. You can run this thing with Expert Bell, you can run this thing Scarf, you can run this thing AV, you can run this thing Life Orb, you can run this thing Z move, you can run this thing pretty much whatever way you want. It has amazing coverage and special attack, and you can run it with Earthquake, Mach Punch for the priority. You can run the Focus Blast with the Z Crystal. It's just such a beast, and I love this thing, and I cannot wait to pretty much utilize it. And it doesn't have the worst defenses ever. The physical defense is really the best. Social defense is alright, and it's very nice and can do a variety of things.
Sweet stuff, man. We've got Doublade coming in next. Really bulky Ghost and Steel type Pokemon, and that's really where it stands out. Its ability to set up and click Swords Dance, you know, and really sweep. It's got priority as well, so really cool Pokemon Doublade is, and again, even knockoffs really don't do too much to it because it's Eviolite, super duper bulky, man. That physical defense stat is just insane. Something, click Taunt. Straw Hat Swampert's coming in with Hawlucha here. Hawlucha has seen a lot more usability right now in competitive because of its ability to activate one of those seeds with Unburden. Swords Dance opportunities there. Really cool Pokemon. Hits really hard. It's not the hardest hitting Pokemon like by default, but it's got a cool typing. It's really fast, and if you get a Swords Dance up, then it's really scary. And again, after an Unburden, nothing is going to outspeed this thing. So pretty cool stuff there. And you know, if he's able to get, you know, figure out a way to get those Unburden boosts, man, that's going to be really detrimental for the opponents. Selgor, man, was definitely on my radar. I love this thing, Chase. Solid pickup, dude.
Excelgor is a great mon, and I typically don't like doubling up on typings in League format, but I feel like Excelgor and Araquanid do two completely different things while still meeting a common goal. Excelgor with Unburden, this thing's got what, like 160 base speed or 145 base speed or something absolutely crazy, 140. And then after Unburden, it just becomes maxed out already. You can pretty much run Modest or Jolly or Modest or any set each week while topping out that speed after the Unburden. Great hazard setter, Spikes, T-Spikes, Yawn, Energy Ball, Bug Buzz. I mean, it's got a variety of moves here. And pairing off very scarily with your offensive core, you happen to grab Alolan Ninetales. Talk a little bit about Alolan Ninetales, Dan.
Yeah, man, I was really torn here because I was thinking, you know, I want to grab some bulk. I feel like I have some relatively bulky Pokemon, but no dedicated walls, and I wasn't really too satisfied with a lot of the stuff on the board. So I said, you know what? I'm just gonna grab Alolan Ninetales, man. This thing is incredible, dude. It's a fast fairy type, Aurora Veil. Dude, let me just tell you, can we just evaluate here? I'm gonna set up Aurora Veil. How are you gonna stop me from Dragon Dancing? How are you gonna stop Victini from destroying souls? I don't know. I don't know. Mega Mawile appreciates the Aurora Veil because it can set up Swords Dance. It's so good, dude. It is so good. I feel bad for the people that have to face this team. I'm biased, but I feel bad. I do. I don't care, though. I'm coming for that championship again. Let's do it. Alolan Ninetales. Anyway, I'm excited, man. I'm excited. Colorado Rapidash, dude. Can we talk about Venomoth, though? Like, dude, seriously, Venomoth.
Venomoth retired me from the GBA for a season. I'm not talking about Venomoth. You talk all about Venomoth.
All right, Venomoth's great, man. That was a really good pick. I feel like that was a really good pick. I think the Rhydon's grabbing Terrakion, dude. That thing's a monster. Seriously, Terrakion, monster. Vikavolt, again, I told you, Tapu Koko, or the Cocoa Puffs. I unfollowed you, Blue. You're blocked now. Thank you. Ditto for the Piratas. Great pick, man. I feel like Ditto can fit onto any team. And again, like I said, it really speaks. It really does a lot on the bench. And, you know, otherwise, man, big surprise pick there with that Kabutops. Did not expect that to go on a rain team. What do you think, Chase?
Man, Kabutops on a rain team. Who would have thought? But I like the Tangela pick. Tangela is one of my favorite grass type Pokemon. As much as I quiver in fear over Venomoth, I think Venomoth's a great Pokemon to have. No pun intended with the quiver. I think Veil, along with your offense, is scary. I never want to play you ever. I think Noivern, you never see Noivern used anymore, and I think Noivern definitely appreciates, you know, like a Normalium Z from Boomburst. Z Dracos as well are really cool. Pyroar, also a great Pokemon to have in League format. Stab Hyper Voices are always nice. Fire Blast as well, appreciating both those Z Crystals too. Komala, I can't say enough good stuff about Komala as a Wish Passer. Doublade, very great Pokemon to have, very bulky Pokemon to have. Great Setup Sweeper in the right hands, and Kelly's got some pretty nice hands. So I think that could go very well. Kelly's got some nice hands. What do you say? What can you say? I think the weirdest Pokemon, if I had to say drafted this round, I don't even know. I like a lot of these picks. A lot of these picks, to be honest.
I feel like they were all really solid picks, man. I really feel like the teams are just trying to cover, you know, the weaknesses they may have and any holes that they may have that, you know, they feel like are important to patch. And obviously with only, you know, just a handful of rounds to go here, round 9, 10, 11 coming up, you know, there's not many picks left. So it's really about just kind of filling those gaps and trying to build the best well-rounded team that you can build with kind of staying true to what your original plan was or what you want to draft, you know. So definitely some really cool stuff. I think everyone really is doing a great job drafting teams. There's some seriously powerful teams. Boss Tart in the chat says Ditto is pure trash. You're wrong. I'm just letting you know. As someone who's played more draft league battles than you've played battles, I can tell you that you're wrong.
Yikes. He just uninstalled the internet. I do think that Ditto, I think what you said about that really can't be slept on. Ditto does more work. I think it does a lot of work in play, but I also think Ditto does a lot of work on the bench because you have to think about, you know, you have to plan for a Ditto. You have to plan for that thing, man. Whether you're like, as soon as Ditto doesn't come, it's just game. It's just game at that point. You know, you're either like, all right, Ditto didn't come, here's my game plan, or Ditto came, great. You have to have a game plan for that thing. Otherwise, you're just counter-swept, and at that point, it's just game over.
True story, man. True story. All right, let's jump into round 9 here. I just picked up Alolan Ninetales, and you probably think I'm going Alolan Sandslash. Nope, Chuck Testa, you're wrong. Kecleon, baby. Tier 4 Kecleon. This thing's a beast, dude. It sets Stealth Rocks. It sets Trick Room. You didn't know that? It's got Trick Room. Protein, best ability in the game. Maybe not. Top 3 at least. It's got Priority, Fake Out, Sucker Punch, Shadow Sneak. It's got Drain Punch.
It's got a tongue.
It's got Ice
got a
Punch.
tail.
It can lick.
It's got a belly.
It's great Assault Vest user. I like Kecleon, man. I feel like I wanted a Trick Room user, and I feel like Kecleon can Trick Room, so can Victini, but
takes Rocks pressure off your toe too.
Yeah, that was it, man, and I really thought that was pretty valuable. So looks like you're gonna be kicking things. Hitmonlee.
I'm gonna be kicking things. Longlegs the Hitmonlee is coming in hot. Really surprised to see it last this long, if I'm being completely honest. With a Rocks weakness in both Excelgor and in Araquanid and in regular Altaria. And my only hazard removal at the time being Mega Altaria. I really wanted another form of hazard removal, and seeing Hitmonlee still around really shocked me. Great offensive pressure with Reckless, being able to Unburden boost, 2 back-to-back Unburden Mons, I think really helps out my speed tiers a lot. Great Rapid Spinner, Knockoff, Priority, and Mach Punch, and Bullet Punch, things like that. Great Close Combat Spammer as well. Next up here from these Straw Hat Swamperts, we see Rapidash coming out of Tier 5. I have seen some work done with Rapidash in my day, and let me tell you, Rapidash is a great Pokemon that definitely appreciates some Z moves. Great speed tier with it has Flame Body and Flash Fire, if not mistaken. Being able to Z Sunny Day Up is really, really nice. Being able to agility into something like a Z Solar Beam or something is very nice as well. Rapidash is a great Pokemon. I think it's a great fire type coming out of tier 5. I can't think of too many fire types that I really like out of tier 5, maybe other than like Flareon, but I think Rapidash is really nice with the speed tier that the team has going for it. Next up here, Kelly and the Maryland Torterrapins with Golbat out of tier 4, newfound favorite of mine. I really like Golbat as a defensive Pokemon. I really think it's a great, reliable defogger. I think it has great coverage moves as far as support set goes with things like Haze, being able to defog, like I said, for things like the Rabombi, being able to taunt Pokemon, being able to U-turn out of there. Brave Bird always very hard-hitting Pokemon, always a hard-hitting move if you don't have a resist for it. Having access to Eviolite, already increasing its defenses, 95 base speed, man. I love me some Golbat nowadays. I'll say it. Chicago Cub Chews, Galactic Elliott grabbing Meloetta. I love Meloetta as well. Elliott, tell me a little bit about the Meloetta pickup.
Chase, don't even talk to my Meloetta whenever you swap me with it. But either way, Meloetta is beautiful and is completely unpredictable. You do not know what this thing wants to do. It's beautiful in terms of its special attack and special defense being naturally so good. You do not know if it wants to be Pirouette 1 week, and it gets lots of coverage. It gets U-turn for the nice little pivot, and it's just a sleeper mon in general. I feel this Pokemon is one that a lot of people kind of just look down upon, and I feel like it can put in so much work. And if you guys look at my free points, you may think, whoa, how does he have 3 Pokemon in tier 3 and 1 Pokemon in tier 2 in his free picks? Well, we're gonna have to work on that. But either way, that's my pick.
All right, cool. We got Absol coming in here in tier 4, regular Absol, not Mega Absol. Regular Absol is really cool though. It's got an incredible attack stat. I think it's like 130 base attack. Sucker Punch, really nice. Knockoff, pretty cool. But it's also got Justified. So you want to go for like a dark type move? No, you're not gonna want to do that because I'm gonna get an attack boost, and then you're not gonna switch into my Sucker Punches. Cool pick there. We got the Predators grabbing Musharna. Musharna's a really solid tier 5 mon. I think it's tier 5, not it should be. Musharna's a really bulky Psychic type Pokemon that does what bulky Psychic type Pokemon do. It sits there and it takes hits, and it might like Thunder Wave you. It might Psychic you. It's a Musharna. Chase, what do you think about Musharna?
Musharna, I've never seen drafted in League format, but you're not wrong. It does what bulky Psychic types do. Take those physical hits that you don't want. Obviously, another dark weakness here between the Blacephalon and the Musharna, but he does have the switch-ins for that. Good passing and stuff like that with Musharna. Really interested to see how it's used. Next up here from Sin and the Cedar Rapids Thunderous, we see Regirock, big boy man coming out of tier 4. I love Regirock. Does exactly what I need, what you want Registeel to do with a Steel type, you want Regirock to do with a Rock type. Great Rock setter, good weakness policy abuser. Niche coverage moves as well. Does have another ground weakness there, but that is taken care of with things like the Ferrothorn and things like the Staraptor as well. Hitmontop 2. Great speed control with things like Thunder Wave. An offensive Regirock can definitely take advantage of the webs that Galvantula does bring. Kyle and the Miami Don fans coming out of tier 4 with Cryogonal, one of the most underrated spinners in format, if not mistaken. Also with Ultra Sun and Moon, now receiving the defog, access to defogs. Now, if you think you got a spin blocker, now you got to worry about blocking that defog. Cryogonal is a very fast Pokemon. Great special defense with access to moves like Freeze Dry. The tech hidden powers are always cool. I believe it also has access to set up the Veil as well. Veil with something like Mega Diancie, something like Scissor, something like Groudon can be very, very terrifying, in my opinion. Next up here, we see another Levitate user go. We see the Orlando Magikarps grabbing Claydol, another low tier Pokemon. Another, I believe it does get Rapid Spin?
Mm-hmm.
Yep, does get Rapid Spin. The Stealth Rocks can set up Trick Room, if not mistaken. It booms. You don't really know too much about Claydol if you want to take that away.
Yeah, so it's just like pretty naturally bulky, and one of the cool things about it is it's a rapid spinner that's not only resistant to Stealth Rock, but immune to the other hazards. So I think that that's really valuable when it comes to spinning. It's got a great like move pool as well. I think it gets things like Ice Beam and stuff like randomly. It's just like not super offensive like from a stat perspective, but it's pretty bulky, and I think in tier 5 it's like really, really valuable. The Munchlax United grabbing Quillfish, which is something I've always wanted, man. I feel like it's a unique Pokemon. Intimidate, Toxic Spikes, gotta love that. Its stats are a little bit underwhelming, but it does get like Swords Dance, and it can like, you know, do some cool things there. It also gets Swift Swim too if you want to like run it with that, but generally this thing's job is to like take hits that are resisted with Intimidate, set some hazards up, and really support the rest of the team. And I think when you have things like Lopunny and Necrozma and Greninja forcing switches, you gotta love that spike support. So I think that's really the reason why the Munchlax United grabbed it, and really good pick there. This is a great pick coming in round 9. Snorlax, man. Snorlax got that huge buff with its ability Gluttony, working with those super berries at 50%, basically healing it back up to full. Now you're not gonna be running Belly Drum and singles most of the time, but you can take some serious hits, get some health back. Really, really cool. It used to not really have best recovery. That'll do it. You can also do like Curse-Lax sets. It's also got thick fat too, so you could take those fire and those ice type moves thrown at your Shaman and eat them up and really sponge some hits and hit pretty hard, paralyze things with Body Slam. I feel like Snorlax is just a really good pick, and grabbing it in round 9 here, super solid. The Colorado Rapidash are grabbing Electabuzz here in tier 5. This thing is pretty cool. It doesn't have the same, you know, utility in having that immunity to electric types as Electivire does, but it's a little faster, which I think is valuable, and I think this thing is a really cool Eviolite user. You know, it has enough bulk that naturally with Eviolite it's not too bad, and again, it just serves as like a pivot type Pokemon with things like Volt Switch, and it has some okay coverage options, but in tier 5, the value is there. I definitely did the Electabuzz pick. What do you think, Chase?
I like Electabuzz. I like the utility it provides. I like the speed tier that it sits at too. The fact that it's not an electric immunity is probably my only issue with it, but it definitely a little bit of a snipe there. I was looking at Electabuzz as one of my last picks as the electric type. Next up here we have the Seattle Seakings and Jodor are grabbing Avalugg out of tier 5. Joe, talk to us a little bit about Avalugg.
I need a spinner. I need a little bit more bulk. Honestly, there are 2 mons that I'm looking at that this kind of fills the void of, but I thought they were both going to get picked. So in the event that they don't, I honestly wouldn't be surprised if I drop Avalugg and pick them both up. So keep an eye on that. This is more of a tentative pick than anything else.
All right,
that's completely understandable. You gotta have that hazard removal, you know.
Yeah, he's just throwing it out there, man. Maybe giving some tips to the other coaches that you might be dropping Avalugg. I'll tell you what, it's got Ice Body. It fits on my team. Maybe I'll pick it up. We got the Adelaide Honchkrows picking up Dusknoir. This thing can block some spinning. You try to spin, he blocks you. You try to dance, he dances with you. This thing's a great Assault Vest user. It's kind of slow. It's got some great coverage options, though. Got the different elemental punches. I think it even can Shadow Punch, can Nightshade you. It's got some cool coverage options. I think it's a cool Pokemon. Not like one of the best Pokemon in the game, but I think when you're talking about round 9 here, it's a pretty solid pick, and it's really, really bulky. Great Assault Vest user. You got the Rochester Rhydons grabbing Tornadus Incarnate form. This thing is pretty cool. It's got Defiant, so if you want to, you know, you want to go for any defogs, it's gonna get a boost. It also has Prankster, if I'm not mistaken, so like there's some pretty cool sets like bulk up, like sub bulk up sets with Tornadus. Otherwise, he's sitting on a cloud, and he's gonna make it rain. Chase,
he's sitting on a cloud. He's gonna make it loud with the rain. I love it. Prankster is always really, really nice. I think it's another Pokemon that can appreciate a Z Crystal, Z Hurricanes, things like that. Very good coverage moves that also do appreciate a Z Crystal as well. I think it's an awesome pickup, honestly. And speaking of another awesome pickup, we have the LA Landorus grabbing Quagsire here. Quagsire is another one of those mons that you really do see drafted more often than not nowadays, with the water absorbability, also having the unaware ability. So if you have a setup sweeper, Quagsire just comes in and stares at it with its derpy face. It does have reliable recovery with access to recover. I think pairing this with something like Tentacruel, even though that is, I talk about the typing matchups here, I do think that Tentacruel and Quagsire do 2 completely different things, and I think they fit very, very well with the team. I think the offense is a little frail, so having an unaware Pokemon there definitely does help out. Next up here, we have Day to Day in the Atlanta Arcanines going Day to Day with Ferroseed coming out of tier 5. Another grass type and another steel type to have on the team, but don't sleep on it. Having access to that Eviolite, being able to set up hazards, being able to toss Leech Seeds, being able to toss off Thunder Waves, and having a very reliable switch into both fighting types and fire types in Clefable and Heatran respectively is very, very good to have. I think it's some very much needed bulk on the team. Pairing off of things in case you don't want to bring Mega Venusaur every week, in case you don't feel like bringing Heatran every week, you got your Steel type and your Grass type covered. Leo and the Durham Druddigons grabbing Garbodor out of tier 4. I'm a big fan of this mon. What do you think about Garbodor, Dan?
It's trash.
All right, it literally is trash. It literally is trash. But what about in competitive?
Yeah, it can use Toxic Spikes and Spikes, and I really wanted them on my team, but Leo took it, so I'm kind of bummed about that. He got the Rotom-Mow and the Garbodor from me, but nevertheless, man, I tell you what, you set up them hazards. Manaphy and Mamoswine are looking really scary. Same with Gallade, dude. He's got a really good team, like I said. You know, just being able to set those hazards up, and you know what the thing is too, like this thing is like super bulky too, so it can take a lot of hits, and it's got that aftermath ability as well, which is gonna allow it to really like add damage on. A lot of times you'll see it with the Rocky Helmet. We see Toxicroak here coming in for the Klinks. Pretty cool Pokemon, man. It's got that dry skin ability, which is going to give it immunity to water type moves, which is always sweet, but it's also a setup sweeper. It can set up, I think, with Nasty Plot and Swords Dance. It's got some priority options on both sides, the physical and the special side, but otherwise just a relatively hard-hitting poison and fighting type Pokemon. Kind of a unique type combination there that I think is pretty sweet. So it can break through those fairy types with the poison, and then it can break through those steel types with the fighting, so kind of unique there. The Southampton Sharpedo is grabbing Skuntank here in tier 4. Great defogger. Kind of pairs that you know, that poison dark typing with only one weakness, obviously, to ground types. Alolan Muck and Drapion share that with it, but this thing's really cool. It's got some great coverage options too. Don't sleep on the fact that this thing gets Flamethrower, man. It's a skunk that shoots out fire. It smells so bad it lights on fire. That's pretty cool, but really that defog, super cool. Helps out things like Togekiss and Marowak, who don't want to be switching into Stealth Rocks. And otherwise, like I said, he's got a couple ground type you know, resistances there with that Togekiss, obviously, with the immunity and the Chestnut. The Pittsburgh Piratica is grabbing Torkoal, not in Sun, just grabbing Torkoal, man. Torkoal gives him a Stealth Rock user, gives him a Rapid Spinner, and gives him an ability to set up the Sunshine, which there's not too much synergy on his team, but it's just like a really bulky, you know, fire type Pokemon. I think he was looking for a fire type to pair with his Lurantis and Empoleon, and it does give him a Rapid Spinner. It's kind of a budget Rapid Spinner late in the draft, you know, and it does have some cool coverage options too, and it can reduce the power of those water type moves thrown at its way. So it's really, really bulky Pokemon, and it can definitely set up that weather. So the Cocoa Puffs here, grabbing Hitmonchan. What do you think about that, Chase?
So I like Hitmonchan. It was my other option if Hitmonlee wasn't there, but considering it was, that's why I went with that. But Hitmonchan, really cool. Priority with Mach Punch, Bullet Punch, all that good stuff. Another good spinner to have on the team. Finally, we see some hazard control outside of Defog, Mega Pidgeot. Really think that's going to help out the team. Not too impressive a fighting type, if I got to say, but the Iron Fist boosted Elemental Punches can definitely provide some sort of coverage that is needed on the team. Iron Fist boosted Drain Punch as well could be something that could be useful on the team. I definitely like it on the team. I think it was much needed with the Cocoa Puffs. And rounding out round 9, we have the United Kinglord grabbing Volcanion. This thing is a monster. It was on my radar for a little bit before I started dwindling down on my point usage. Volcanion with the Water Absorb ability. Fire Water typing leaves it weak to Electric, Ground, and Rock, if I'm not mistaken. Incredible Pokemon. Powerful Steam Eruption. It is Super Saiyan Scald here. And as we round out the round 9 recap, I do gotta say, this round... I gotta say, my favorite pick this round, I love Meloetta from Elliott. I love that. The Golbat pick is really cool. Not too confident in that Musharna pick, though. Not too confident. If I had to say my best and my worst picks, how do you feel about round 9?
I feel like the Volcanion pick was super good to round out round 9. Like, Volcanion could easily be like a couple, like top couple rounds. It's got an immunity. It's got a really good move that's super spammable in Steam Eruption. Great Scarfer, can run Flame Charge to kind of boost that speed otherwise, and it's a super good Specs Wall Breaker. So I think that's like a really good pick in itself. Otherwise, I think Leo grabbing Garbodor was a really good pick as well. I think that's a really good Pokemon generally. It's just ability to set hazards and really just kind of weaken physical attackers with Rocky Helmet and Aftermath. And then last but not least, I think the Magikarp grabbing Claydol. I think Claydol is one of the most valuable Rapid Spinners in the lower tiers. So when you're able to grab something like that at this point in the draft, it can really help out, because obviously there's only so many hazard removers, and now there's a lot of defoggers kind of in the addition of move tutors, but Rapid Spinners are always, you know, typically favored because you can keep your own hazards on the field. So when you grab something like Claydol, which really is pretty solid, man. Like I said, it resists Stealth Rocks, it's immune to the other forms of hazards because of Levitate. So when you kind of put all that together, I think it's just a solid Pokemon overall and just a good pick. And then I just want to point out the Luxray is grabbing Snorlax. I feel like Snorlax, really great Pokemon, and grabbing it in round 9 here, super pretty sweet stuff.
I definitely yeah, no, I'll make a comment about that. Snorlax round 9, insane, absolutely insane. I have seen that thing go like round 3 before, so round 9, great pickup, absolutely great.
Yeah, for sure. So here we go. We got 2 rounds left, guys. I definitely think you should check out everyone's channel, !NPA in the chat. Make sure you guys go subscribe to everyone's YouTube channel. Follow them on Twitter. You can check out the official NPA website as well. We got the YouTube channel where we post all sorts of good stuff. And, you know, there's like, you know, coach interviews and stuff like that. We do all sorts of cool stuff there. We got a Twitter account. There's all that good stuff, man. Go check it out. Be sure to do that. And of course, if you're new to the stream, be sure to drop a follow. If you haven't done so yet, I do stream Pokemon pretty much every single day. So does my man Crimson Seabed. So let's make it happen. We're going to jump into round 10 here. And we got 2 rounds to go, man. So some really cool stuff. Some really cool stuff still on the board as well. So we'll see if any of these teams get fancy as Willow jumps into round 10, grabbing Stoutland. Stoutland in the sand is really fast.
Stoutland in the sand is very fast.
It's very fast because it's got Sand Rush and it's a normal type. So you didn't expect that, did you? No, you didn't. But it's got great coverage options, and I feel like with a Z Crystal, it would really benefit it because its power output is like a little bit lackluster, so you kind of have to band it. But if you throw a Z Crystal on it, that might actually be pretty sick. But in sand, this thing's really fast, so it's something that your opponent has to keep in mind. Mega Alakazam, also really fast. He's got some, they got some speed on their team, so you definitely want to keep that in mind when you're looking at the United Kingler. Pretty cool pick there. The Tapu Koko Puffs are picking up Rhyperior. Rhyperior is a very bulky Pokemon. Got that solid rock ability. It's gonna take those special type or those super effective attacks, reduce their damage. Good stealth rock user, taking some pressure off of Blissey, taking some pressure off of Nihilego to set those hazards. And it's just a really good Pokemon, man. This thing's super bulky and it hits really hard, dude. You set up a Rock Polish, take like a weak, you know, defensive Pokemon super effective hit, set up a Rock Polish, and then just sweep, dude, like Mega Horn and Stone Edge and Earthquake. It's strong, man. This is a really strong Pokemon. So, really solid pick there for the Cocoa Puffs. And the Pittsburgh Piratas getting slacking. What do you think about that, Chase?
Oh, man. Slacking. Wow. Can't just I don't know. I've never played against a Slacking. Slacking hits really hard. The Truant ability obviously does hinder it. But still, it's a very, very hard-hitting normal-type Pokemon. One of the highest attack stats in the game, if I'm not mistaken. Returns off this thing, frustrations, whatever, maybe stab off this thing is just, you really need to switch into this. You really need to switch into this. I did see Joe say something. You just got to bring Protect against the thing and you're good. But if you don't bring Protect, all of a sudden you got to find a switch in immediately. Next up here, the Southampton Sharpedos grabbing, I believe, the 3rd Rotom form to go. We see Rotom Frost out of Tier 5, another Levitate user, another Defog user as well, has access to Blizzard, has access to the same thing we've been talking about with Fast Electric types. It can zip around, it can toss off some Will-O-Wisp, it can Trick, it can Thunderbolt, it can Hex. It's a really, really cool Pokemon. I really do enjoy the Rotom forms. I think the buff they got with Defog in this generation is really cool, allowing a lot of hazard control, taking pressure off of maybe a Defog Skuntank or a Defog Togekiss on the team. The unfortunate part is that a Defog user weak to rocks, obviously, but like I said, does take that pressure off. Next up here, we have Papa C and the New York Lynx grabbing Trevenant as Tier 5. Still needing a Mega Pokemon to pick. Interested to see what they grab, but Trevenant is a great spin blocker. Does have the Harvest ability. Interested to see if he does anything with those new Super Berries that do come out with Harvest, being able to set up with things like that. Good Leech Seed user. Bulky Grass type, bulky Grass type. I love defensive Grass types. I think Papa C picks up a really good one here. He knows what he's doing in League format. So I'm really curious to see what he does with Trevenant. I'm really excited to see how this draft rounds out with his final Mega pick in the next round. After that, we do have Leo and the Durham Dragons grabbing Hypno. Really interesting pick. You want to talk a little bit about this one?
Yeah, so I do want to say, Goffies, do you want to trade me your Rotom Frost? Because I really wanted that with my Ninetales. He took it from me. But Hypno, bulky Psychic type Pokemon, low budget kind of deal there. It can hypnosis you. It can steal your children, I guess, with that little. Oh, no. Yeah, dude, Hypno's weird, man. It's just like a kind of a bulky Psychic type. Its power output isn't that great, but we're talking about a Tier 5 here, so I'm not gonna question Leo. Leo's really good. It gets Drain Punch. Atlanta Arcanines, day-to-day with Data Dave's got that Dusclops. Dusclops, I'm a believer in Dusclops, man. I really am. I feel like this thing is actually super good. Eviolite, very, very bulky, man. It's very, very bulky. Like, it can take so many hits. It doesn't want to be knocked off, but it also gets, like, Seismic Toss and Nightshade. So you can kind of, you know, you don't have to worry about, like, being offensive invested. It can be kind of set up fodder otherwise if your opponent's, like, super smart about, like, how they approach dealing with Dusclops, but I think it's a really good pick, man. I've always felt like this was like a super good Pokemon that I wanted on my team.
Infestation Curse, man. Don't sleep. Don't sleep.
Dude, serious business.
That's a great one.
You got another Ghost type here, Chase. We got Haunter, which I know you picked Gengar, but Haunter's actually superior because it has Levitate, obviously. Now, but Haunter's a pretty solid Pokemon, man. Choice Scarf Haunter hits pretty hard. It's got a decent special attack stat. It does have a couple immunities to ground, to normal, and to fighting, which, you know, is only shared by Rotom, regular Rotom. So pretty cool stuff there, and it hits relatively hard. And as a Tier 5, it's pretty solid. I'm pretty sure there was a guy in the league last season who got swept by Haunter and like was super salty about it, and he's no longer in the league. So this thing's really good, man. Haunter's definitely pretty solid. What do you think, Chase?
I gotta go find that match now. That sounds interesting. But no, Haunter's great. Haunter's a great pick. Great tier 5 pick. Really, really enjoy it. Next up here, a great tier 4 pick. Pokemon that I've considered drafting several times, though, in League format. We've got Iron Boffin and the Rochester Rhydons grabbing Tauros. Tauros, a very fast Pokemon, very hard-hitting Pokemon. Has the Intimidate and the Sheer Force abilities. Also, if you're man enough to run Anger Point, go for it. But Tauros, I mean, hits very hard normal type hits you gotta find a switch in for. And on top of that, Sheer Force, Life Orb, Fire Blast, Ice Beam, Blizzard, Thunder, whatever else happens, man. Let me tell you, it's just, Tauros is just an absolute monster. Great pickup by Iron Boffin. Another great pickup here, in my opinion. We've got Crystal Key and the Adelaide Honchkrows grabbing Leavanny. Leavanny has been a solid webs user for quite a minute now. A great tier 5 Pokemon, in my opinion. Having access to Knockoff, Leaf Blade, X-Scissor, things like that. I don't see too many things outside of that being ran on Leavanny. How do you feel about Leavanny, Dan?
Yeah, I feel like it's just a solid, like, low-tier sticky web user. You know, there's not too many of them. Unless you want to go with, like, something like Ariados, you know, Leavanny's your homie. You know, it's got Chlorophyll. That's kind of cool. Doesn't like fire-type moves, but otherwise, it's not bad, man. You set up them sticky webs. A couple of the Pokemon on his team really appreciate that, so that's not too shabby. We've got Armaldo here. I don't know if Joe's here for this one, so I'll just chat briefly about Armaldo. Kind of one of those late game budget rapid spinners, and I think this is what he was talking about, where like he might just be ditching his Avalugg. You know, Armaldo does get Swift Swim, so if he wants to run like Rain Dance Jellicent, he's got that. Or Rain Dance Rotom, as he was talking about. But really, this thing is an Assault Vest user. You're going to run Knockoff on it. You're going to run like Earthquake Stone Edge. And you're going to Rapid Spin. You're going to keep those hazards off the field. So that's what it does, man. I think we'll see if he keeps that Avalugg around. But a pretty solid pick down later in the draft. And one of my favorites, man. I love Gourgeist here. Colorado Rapidash grabbing Gourgeist. You can use all the different forms of Gourgeist, which is pretty cool. So you can use like the super fast tiny one for like sub leech seeding. You can also use the big fat one, which is the super form, which is what most people are going to use. Really bulky dude. It's like base 100 HP and like 122 defense or something. Priority with Shadow Sneak, Seed Bomb, Will-O-Wisp. Can run Trick Room, Destiny Bond. So don't sleep on that as an option though, because that's like kind of cool as well. And it's just like a really bulky Pokemon. I love this Pokemon. I think it's a great pick for the Rapidash, man. Solid stuff there. This is a good pick. Tampa Bay Luxrays, man. I like this dude right now because he's making some cool picks. He's got that Heracross. And Heracross is very good. It got a buff in Gen 7 because, you know, Burn and isn't going to be doing as much. So you can run like the Gut set with like Burn Orb or Flame Orb and run like Facade. And it's just super powerful. It's also great to switch into kind of status moves. Love that. Choice Scarf, great idea, man. Throw a Choice Scarf Moxie on this thing. It breaks through walls. Choice Banded, been there, done that. Megahorn, find a switch in. Love this thing, man. Heracross, great Pokemon. Great pick by the Tampa Bay Luxrays.
You just gotta find a switch in that gets hit by a Megahorn, I tell you.
Yeah.
As long as it hits that Heracross, it's good. Or as long as it hits that Megahorn, it's good.
Yeah, true story. Archeops, man, what do you think, Chase?
So I always sleep on Archeops, and every time I talk badly about Archeops, everybody screeches at me that Archeops is so cool. So Archeops it does what it is. You know, it's a reliable rock setter. It takes the pressure off Metagross, Necrozma, Palossand. There's a lot of variety of hazards here, at least a variety in setting up rocks in the Munchlax United. Being able to Endeavor, obviously the big issue here is that it does have the defeatist ability, having its attack under half. But this thing still appreciates the Z Crystal. Very fast, very hard hitting. Rocky MZ head smash up that thing can be very, very nice for the team. We've got the Orlando Magikarps coming in with Drifblim, another low tier pick. Solid pick though. The Flame Boost, I believe it is. I believe it's a signature ability. Is that what it is?
I think it's Flare Boost, but yeah.
Flare Boost, yeah. Signature ability on there. Another good defogger on the team, so now he does have defog support outside of Florges and outside of Claydol and Dragonite, but really good fast Pokemon as well. Being able to spam Shadow Ball is always really nice. Being able to pop Resistance Berries or Gems and start tossing off Stab Acrobatics is always really, really cool. Next up here with the Miami Dawn fans, we have Shuckle. Typically, I feel like I see this drafted every now and then. I never see too much done with it, so I'm hoping the handsome Kyle A can do some work here with Shuckle. Being able to have access to Contrary Shell Smash makes the thing just a huge threat to deal with. Being able to infestate things, being able to encore things, being able to set up rocks and webs is very, very nice. I think it's a very bulky Pokemon that he's going to do well with. I think it pairs very nicely. I think allowing for webs on this team with something like Emboar, something like Crawdons, I think that is absolutely terrifying. I'm really looking forward to see how he performs with that. Next up here, we have the Cedar Rapids Thunderous grabbing Golurk here. Golurk coming out of tier 5. Good ground ghost typing here. Talk a little bit about Golurk, Dan.
Golurk, man, it's a good Pokemon, dude. It's a really like kind of naturally bulky ghost and ground type Pokemon with like an insane attack stat. So it's one of the few things that can really benefit from using like the Iron Fist and having a physical ghost move. There's not too many Pokemon that have like good physical ghost moves, so Golurk can do that, but it could also set up Stealth Rocks, and I believe it gets Rock Polish too, so there are some sweeping options there with Golurk, and it gives him a spin blocker. Super important when you have a Sticky Web user like Galvantula on the team, so just a really good pick kind of in the late draft and in the lower tiers. The Predator's grabbing Zangoose, and Zangoose grabbed a huge buff in Ultra Sun and Moon, grabbing Belly Drum. You may not know that, man, but if this thing gets a Belly Drum up, that's going to be kind of scary. It does have priority with Quick Attack.
Huge snipe.
Yeah.
Huge snipe.
Ugh. Bust out those ADR snipes in the chat. But yeah, this thing hits really hard, man. I love the Toxic Orb set with Facade. That's another thing. It's like fast enough that it can break too. So I feel like Zangoose is one of those Pokemon that like in the right situation can really like clean a team and like really break as well. So some cool stuff. Now this, I'm surprised to see this go in round 10, man. Cofagrigus, dude. Cofagrigus, whatever you want to call it. It's a beast, man. It's a ghost type. Sets toxic spikes. Really cool. Can Trick Room. Nasty Plot, dude. That's really scary. Like the fact that it can do those things and like do them so well is really, really nuts. It's such a bulky Pokemon as well. It's like physical defense is pretty nuts. So, you know, this thing is a really good Pokemon, and like when you have the ability to like set up Trick Room and stuff like that, it's just really scary. So I feel like, you know, John really making a solid pick here. He's usually known for using Reuniclus. This time he's got this Cofagrigus. We'll be seeing how that does. But Galactic Elliot's here to talk about Ariados. Didn't you have Ariados last season, Elliot?
I did, and then I drive for Kricketune like a fool. But this time we have Ariados, and it's gonna be a beast. And it's really nice because it gets things like Lunge, which can always lower down the opponent's attack. If it gets Sticky Web, obviously, Shadow Stick and Circle Rush for priority. It can be ran bulky because it doesn't even have to be fast. You're going to see a Focus Sash. And, you know, it gets a thing called Toxic Thread, which a lot of people do not know because it's a Sun and Moon move. And with Toxic Thread, you can poison the opponent as well as lowering their speed stat by 1 every single time. So really nice in case you don't have the Sticky Web or an opponent with Levitate comes in, bring down that speed and crunch it down. And this is actually a foreshadow for my potential final pick, but that's yet to come.
All right, Ariados really covered that there. Like, it's a really cool lead, like you said, with Toxic Spikes and Sticky Web. So Maryland Torterrapin's grabbing Omastar, and I love this pick, dude. Omastar can run the gambit when it comes to hazards, and I think that that's like really what sets it apart. But you can also Shell Smash, dude. This thing is actually really scary, and the fact that it goes in round 10, super slept on, man. Like, Shell Smash is no joke, and I think it gets Shell Smash, doesn't it? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it does.
It does get Shell Smash, yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty scary, man. We got Bouffalon, man. This thing's got an afro. He's gonna head charge your face in and do some serious damage. This thing is really scary. Like, seriously.
Bouffalon's a nightmare. Bouffalon's a nightmare.
Doesn't it have Sap Sipper?
It does get Sap Sipper, so it does give it a little bit of a grass immunity there, helping out that Mega Blastoise. Head Smash, I believe Zen Headbutt, Wild Charge, things like that. Just really hard hitting moves off this thing.
Yeah, definitely really cool stuff there for the Swamperts. You're up next, though. You're gonna grab Zebstrika. That's pretty interesting. What made you do that?
There was a plan here, and the plan was to grab Zangoose and then a better electric type, but Zangoose went, so I went with Zebstrika. I said it before and I'll say it again. Fast electric types do like 3 things. They zap around, they hit you hard with Thunderbolt, and then they've got like a niche coverage move. Zebstrika has 2 electric immunities actually, in Motor Drive, which increases its speed stat by 1, and in Lightning Rod, which increases its special attack by 1. Also has Sap Sipper giving it a grass immunity as well. So it's like its attack pool is nothing too crazy, but I saw Miguel use this expertly a while ago, so I'm really looking forward to using it this season. You're gonna grab Rotom out of tier 5. Tell me a little bit about that pick.
Yeah, so I really wanted Rotom Frost because I thought like the Blizzard with Alolan Ninetales was gonna be sick, and then Goffy's decided he didn't really like me and doesn't want to trade it to me, so I was kind of bummed there. But I got regular Rotom, man, because this guy's cool. So he's got 3 immunities, like I mentioned earlier, kind of like Haunter, and it's a solid tier 5 Pokemon, and does have Defog too, which I really like. I think that like the ability to remove hazards, take some pressure off Silvally is my only other hazard remover at this point, and a team that has a couple weaknesses to hazards, so I kind of felt like that was like pretty solid to put that together, and it gives me an electric type, a relatively fast one. I love the fact that it can trick. I love the fact that it's got dual status with Will-O-Wisp and Thunder Wave. So I just felt like it really fit the team, and you know, as a Choice Scarf user, it's pretty solid. Like, you can really trick like defensive Pokemon. Again, I really wanted Rotom Frost, so like Goffy's, if you want to like trade or something, let me know. But otherwise, I feel like that was a pretty cool pick. So Looking at kind of our round 10 summary here, as we actually have only one round left, guys. One round left until the end of the NPA Season 4 draft. Pretty nuts stuff. John grabbing Cofagrigus, dude. Like, super solid pick. Great Pokemon. I can see, I mean, a lot of times you'll see it go in like the first like 4 rounds. Really cool stuff there. The Luxray's grabbing Heracross. Love that. I love me some Heracross. Great Pokemon. Love that stuff there. And surprise picks though for me, like, yo, Slacking? Never see that drafted. What do you think, Chase?
I've never seen Slacking drafted. Heracross, I gotta actually agree with you. Heracross and the Cofagrigus picks are really good. I think in the right hand, the Dusclops picks can be really well. I've used that before. That's really cool. Interested to see how Elliott uses Ariados. That Toxic Thread is something that some people seem to forget about. Gourgeist, always a really good pick to have. Slacking, really interesting pick. Bouffalant, interesting pick. Hypno is probably my least favorite pick of the draft, or at least this round.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised there.
Those the low tier psychics, I feel like I've been like, really? Why do you? Okay, I guess. But you know, Leo knows what he's doing. I'm gonna say it's weird. I'm not gonna talk bad about it. Leo knows exactly what he's doing. He's been around this format longer than I have, so I'm curious to see how he does it. Zangoose, great snipe by the Predators. Great pickup. Really like it. Really like the buff that I got with Belly Drum, Quick Attack, Toxic Boost, all that fun stuff as well.
Yeah, and if you want to hear Leo's thoughts or any of the other coaches' thoughts in terms of what they drafted, be sure to subscribe to everyone's YouTube channels and follow them on Twitter, !NPA in the chat. We'll give you the information for all the coaches and to see the tiers and stuff in case you want to make your own league or something like that. You can just steal our tiers because people do that anyway, so it's like cool, you can just do it, like no big deal. So yeah, we got our final round here, guys. Final round. This is where it all ends. One more round, 24 picks. The teams are going to be finalized as soon as we go through 24 more picks, which is pretty nuts. Pretty nuts that we're actually, you know, at the final round. So we'll see what's going down. But again, week 1 matches are going to be going up next weekend. Please check out everyone's channels to see their draft breakdowns. I know me personally, what is it? 17 minutes until my draft breakdown goes up. It's crazy that I filmed it while I was doing this. Pretty nuts.
Absolutely wild. Absolutely wild.
Let's jump into round 11 here, kicking things off. Yours truly. I'm grabbing Weezing, baby. You thought I was getting a Alolan Sandslash? No. No. Maybe I will in the free agency. But Weezing, man. Levitator. Weezing. Toxic Spikes. Gotta love that. Bulky poison type Pokemon. I want a little bit more bulk on the team. I felt like that would be pretty useful. It's got great coverage options, can haze things out, can clear smog things out. I feel like it looks pretty weird, but it's an awesome Pokemon, and I can tell you, man, I faced this thing a bunch of times, and it's a pretty beast Pokemon, dude. Like seriously, it's only weak to Psychic, right? Like that's pretty solid. So I dig it, man. And you grab Linoone, baby.
So I needed a better ghost immunity or a ghost switch in of some sort. Outside of Scrafty, and I figured like Linoone was pretty cool. Linoone's got base 100 speed if I'm not mistaken. Belly Drum is really cool with the new abilities that it has with Gluttony as well. Pops the berries early, so Belly Drum with one of those berries could be really cool. Belly Drum extreme speed is really nice in general. I've been told to draft this in like 3 different leagues, and people are like, draft Linoone, draft Linoone. Finally I did, you know, Seed-Bomb, Play Rough, or not Play Rough, yeah, Play Rough, something like that.
Yeah, it does.
No, it's like Shadow Claw. Gets a few niche coverage moves. Wanted to switch in for ghost types. So, and I felt like Linoone was pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure, man. We've got Malamar here coming in to round out the Straw Hat Swamperts. Malamar, of course, known for its ability to run Contrary superpowers, so it can get that attack and defense boost by just clicking Contrary. Very cool, but it's got Psycho Cut, it's got Knockoff, it's relatively bulky. Watch out for U-Turn, though, buddy, because that's going to hurt. But otherwise, Malamar, pretty cool Pokemon. Everyone thought that this thing was going to be like the greatest thing ever in Gen 6 when it came out, and it kind of like did not lead up to its hype, but yeah, it's still cool, man. The Maryland Torterrapins, his Torterra is based off the colors of this thing right here, Turtonator. Did you notice that? I feel like that's pretty interesting, man. Talk about a tier 1 like observation.
Kelly was foreshadowing here.
I'm really like earning my commentary marbles today.
You
for
really
that.
are. Pokemon needs to hire you ASAP.
Turtonator, you know what it does? It's bulky. It
turtonates stuff.
It turtonates stuff. It can shell smash, although it's dirt slow. So you're gonna want to like shell smash with sticky webs. That'll work. Galactic Elliott goes with Mega Garchomp as his Mega Evolution. Elliott, tell me about Mega Garchomp.
Everyone was wondering which Mega it would be, and we gotta go with Mega Garchomp to round it out. We don't have a Dragon type, now we do. This thing's a monster with webs, and everybody sleeps on it. I wanna make an exclamation point with this Pokemon, guys, and I wanna make sure that this Pokemon is no longer slept on, has an amazing attack stat of, I think, like 160, 170, and it has great social attack to round it out. You know, you can run Fire Blast with it as well, and like I said before, if you get the webs up, this thing can be a monster and a big threat, and I love it.
And I love you. We've got the New Orleans Pelipper's grabbing Exploud. Exploud clicks one move, and that move is Boom Burst. And there's not many switch-ins for Choice Specs Boom Burst, dude. Talk about wall-breaking potential. Even Ghost types can't switch in because of its scrappy ability. It's got some crazy teeth, but this thing's really scary, man, when it clicks Boom Burst. Other coverage options include Surf, Fire Blast, and I don't know what else, but it's a normal type.
Pretty ugly.
And it's ugly, and it's really strong. The Predators, that's a mascot pick, baby. Getting Mega Tyranitar. Know who else was gonna get a mascot pick? Me, until Blue, aka Blocked Blue, got my Vikavolt. Mega Tyranitar, pretty cool Pokemon, man. This thing's actually so bulky after it Mega Evolves. It doesn't even care that much about fighting type moves, like not even that much. It's so bulky, dude. With webs, kind of cool. Interesting, though, he doesn't really have a ton of sand composition here, so a little interesting to see him grab Mega T-Tar without the sand composition, but what do you think about this pick?
I think like Klefki, Nidoking, and Cobalion like definitely do appreciate it a little bit. I really like Mega Tyranitar on the team. Big fan. I'm a huge fan of that Pokemon in general. I think Mega Tyranitar is very slept on in League format. Stin and the Cedar Rapids Thundurus grabbing Jumpluff here, rounding up the team. You took the words right out of my mouth. Jumpluff, a grass flying type Pokemon, has accents to things like Swords Dance, Acrobatics, looking completely useless and doing absolutely nothing for a
don't
team.
make it seem like Jumpluff's good. Like,
it's okay. I mean, like it's a
nah,
Pokemon.
get
It's
Sleep
a
Powder, dude.
It gets Sleep Powder.
And
it's time.
Splash.
In case you don't want to run Ferrothorn as your grass type, you can definitely bring Jumpluff. Speaking of nearly useless Pokemon, not really though, I actually really like this pick. Kyle Athan, I'm a down fan, grabbing Oricorio. He does have access to all 4 forms of Oricorio, having access to the Revelation Dance, which matches the typing depending on which form he uses. Being able to have that Dancer ability, if you think you're going to Swords Dance, Dragon Dance, do any type of dance in front of this thing is going to dance right along with you. It's going to look you in the eye from across the club, walk right up to you, and dance with you. It is a very a Pokemon you got to prep for. You know, if all of a sudden you're like Dragon Dance Gyarados, and all of a sudden he brings Scarf Oricorio, matches the dance, hits you with that Electric Revelation Dance. Goodbye Gyarados, but I think it was a nice pickup here. So far, probably one of my favorite pickups of the final round. Chinchino coming out of tier 4. Hard-hitting Pokemon with that Skill Link ability. Has moves like Tail Slap, Bullet Seed, Rock Blast. Hits really, really hard. Toss a King's Rock on it. Toss a Choice Band on it. It's really cool. U-turn momentum as well. How do you feel about Chinchino?
Yeah, I feel like Chinchino, like, especially with that King's Rock, Flinchino, man, that can be really frustrating. It's a really fast Pokemon. It gets U-turn, knockoff as well, like I think you mentioned. And it's just a skill link, man. Just being able to hit 5 times with anything is going to be really hard for teams to switch into, especially with its wide array of coverage options. So pretty cool pick, especially this late in the draft. We're going to see Audino coming through, kind of like one of the weirdest looking Pokemon for sure. But this thing does a couple things. It's got Regenerator, which is cool. So he's got that like budget Regenerator core with Tangela Audino if I ever seen one. And dude, watch him beat people with that. Seriously, it heals itself up. It heals bells. It's got Wish, so if you want to wish up that Necrozma, man, that's kind of cool. But otherwise, just a pretty bulky normal type Pokemon, so he doesn't, you know, he's got low punny, but it's always good to have a Wish Pokemon on your team. And he's, like I said, that budget Regenerator core, man. Togepi, that's what I'm talking about. You know what really stinks about Togepi is it doesn't get spikes. It's such a disappointment, but at least it gets Iron Head and it gets Nuzzle and...
What did it get in Ultra Sun and Moon? It got something in Ultra Sun and Moon.
I think Iron Head.
Was that what it was? Yeah, no,
I feel like it was Iron Head.
Pretty solid discount. Probably pretty solid discount steal, tier 5. He already had the Bronzong though, so I feel like there could have been like another electric type in tier 5 to grab, but Togedemaru still pretty cool. Zingzap signature ability, has the spiky shield, has Nuzzle, has Iron Barb, so it could be a little bit of a wall if need be. We've got the Colorado Rapidash grabbing Rotom Spin, Rotom Fan, the ultimate ground immunity here as the last pick of the team. Being that electric flying type does have the signature move Air Slash on it, having that 30% chance to flinch could be nice. Will-O-Wisp, we talked about how all the Rotoms have access to Defog. Really does help out the team. Takes, I believe let me double check. It takes the defog. I was about to say the hazard removal. It takes the defog pressure off of Latios and Venomoth if it got it. But other than that, Latios and Rotom being the only forms of hazard removal that he's got. Really cool Will-O-Wisp user, good trick user, being able to help out things like Infernape setup later on. Really think that's a cool pick. Really solid pick coming out from Jodor and the Seattle Sea Kings. Love this pick personally. Joe, talk to me about Kangaskhan.
Well, round 11's for experimentation, and I see, you know what? I can grab a third Fake Out Mon, I can grab some Power Punch, I can grab Ghost coverage with the Scrappy ability, and I can Wish Pass as well. So I was like, you know what? Let's try Kangaskhan. I've never seen it before, or I've never used it before. It should be bulky enough, and I think it can throw a lot of teams on their back foot.
I definitely agree with that. I'm using Kangaskhan right now in another league, and I can't speak highly of it enough. I think it's a great value pick. I think it's going to do exactly what you need it to do coming out of here. Coming out round 11, commonly seen as a first-round pick in previous years in league format. We see Tier 1 coming out. Keldeo, water fighting type with the Justified ability. Dan, talk to me a little bit about Keldeo.
Yeah, Keldeo, dude, it's kind of a beast, man. It's got the ability to run Calm Mind. It's a great Choice Scarf user. It's a great Choice Specs user as well. And it's got 2 different sword moves, Secret Sword and Sacred Sword, both of which I mix up most of the time. So one of them is really cool because it actually is a special type attack that hits on the physical side of defense, if I'm not mistaken, kind of like Psyshock. I'm not sure which one it is, but one of them is. And that's a really cool pick here in the final round. Victory Bell. This thing is really cool, man. It screams really loudly. I'll save your ears. I'm not going to scream right now.
I was going to walk away from my mic and do it.
But it is a grass and poison type Pokemon. And it can use Sludge Bomb, Giga Drain, and Sleep Powder. And that's really about it.
I mean, good Chlorophyll abuser. Like
yeah,
Z
you can
Sunny
run
Day,
like
maybe.
Z Sunny Day and like run HP Fire. That's like cool too. So make it happen, Iron Boffin. If anyone can do it, it's you and your mustache.
You
got
Boffin. You got this, man.
You
We
got
got
the-
the LA Landers grabbing Girder. I love this pick. I love Girder. You want to talk about Girder? You've faced a Girder before.
Yes, dude. Let me tell you, man. Preparing for Girder is actually like a huge struggle. Oh, it gets Weather Ball, dude. Boffin knows he's got Weather Ball. Girder doesn't get Weather Ball, but it does get Knockoff. It got Iron Fist. It got Mach Punch, Drain Punch.
Iron Punch.
Iron Fist, dude. The problem is with Girder is it's so bulky because of Eviolite. So like you hit him really hard, and then he lives it, and then he Drain Punches and steals your soul back, and then he's at full again, and it's really hard to deal with. You got the Atlanta Arcanines, day to day with Data Dave. This man knows. He picked Kricketune.
He picked Kricketune. He's more of a man than I am.
He's got them Sticky Webs, man. Sticky Webs, really cool. Although I gotta say, I don't really feel like his team benefits that much from Sticky Webs. Like, so it's kind of weird to me. Like, just being totally honest, like, I love Kricketune, and I love doing the but I don't really feel like his team is, like, benefits that much from Sticky Webs because, like, he doesn't really have, like, that slow, big breaker.
Like, Heatran and Dragology, I feel like, do a little bit.
But
Maybe even,
Dragology's
like, a
so
Ice Force
slow.
Fable.
Like, I feel like he's going to have to run, like, speed investment on Dragology to, like, make it work with Sticky Webs. But prove me wrong, Data Dave. You're the man. We got the Durham Druddigons. Dude, he picked Hydreigon round 11. What world do we live in? This thing has Defog now. It can remove hazards. It can remove hazards. That's ridiculous. It's a hard-hitting Pokemon. Z moves.
He's got a dragon that hits physically and specially. I'm not a fan.
Leo.
I'm not a fan.
Who invited
Leo,
him?
stop.
Who said Leo
stop,
should be in the
please.
league?
Who said Leo join? No, but we got Papa C and the New York Lynx grabbing one of my favorite megas actually that I've been wanting to try out. Mega Absol. Very hard hitting, very fast Pokemon. Has that magic bounce ability, which is really, really cool. Deterring any sort of non-physical or non-attacking moves away. So things like Roar bounce back, Hazards bounce back, Status Elements bounce back, which is really, really cool. Good physical pressure on the physical side. Good special coverage as well. I believe you used Mega Absol before, didn't you?
Yeah, I led the league with it in WBE. This thing's a monster, dude.
That's right. Absolutely insane.
Kind of weird on a rain team, but it does get thunder, so like there's that. Wait, did he have a rain team? I feel like he did, right? No, he didn't.
That wasn't the rain team.
Yeah, never mind. My bad. Forget that. But Mega Absol, it's a beast. Floatzel, not so much. But a solid Pokemon in the late draft, nevertheless.
It's pretty hard.
Dude, it does hit pretty hard.
It's fast, hits physically, hits specially. Can't be burnt.
Can't be burnt. Water Veil.
Very powerful physical Pokemon with the Water Veil ability. Makes it so it can't be burnt. Hits really hard. I mean, Choice Band of Floatzel is really cool. 115 base speed, if I'm not mistaken. You know, you can see like a special set come. You can see a physical set come. Pretty one-directional Pokemon, I feel like, as far as it goes. But it's a Tier 5 Pokemon, and I think it'll do pretty well. Really surprised to see this go round 11. Somebody's picked it up, though. we got the Pittsburgh Pirates and Coach Old Man Tup with Zapdos. Zapdos receiving a huge buff in Ultra Sun and Moon, now having access to the static ability and defog. Previously, you could only run pressure defog, but now thanks to move tutors, Zapdos has that going for it. Special, it can baton pass around too. It's, you know, fast electric type Pokemon do what they do best. Being able to remove hazards, taking the pressure off of things like the Torkoal or defog Mega Beedrill if you should bring it. Being able to zip around with Volt Switch, Heat Wave is really cool as well. We see Kanto blocked blue and the Tapu Koko Puffs grabbing Murkrow out of tier 5. Actually, another sleeper tier 5 pick in my opinion with the Prankster ability and access to Eviolite. I think it's really cool. I think his team is very weak to hazards, but I think as long as he can prep well with the Hitmonchan, Prankster defog on the Murkrow could be really cool. I like it a lot. Prankster T-Wave is also very nice speed control for his team with things like Bulu, Darmanitan, Vikavolt, Vikavolt, excuse me. I think it went over really well. And finishing up the draft here with the United Kingler, we see Togetic coming in here at tier 5. Talk to me about Togetic, Dan.
Togetic is a pretty bulky fairy type Pokemon, and you know, it's got they got Granbull already, so you know that kind of works out. But Togetic, you know, it can defog, it can also heal bell, so you got some different utility options there, and you can also go for Serene Grace, Ancient Power Boost, so that's always really cool too. So solid finish there for that pick for the United Kingler, and here we are, round 11 recap. The final picks have been made, the teams are finalized, they're done. The draft has reached its conclusion.
It's finished.
It's over. We made it. Jumpluff, man, best pick. NA.
Jumpluff, best pick of the draft, honestly.
Seriously, best pick of the draft.
Like, I thought Mega Mawile was cool, but no, like Jumpluff, man, let me tell you.
Yeah,
Ice Fairy Steel Dragon Core, Jumpluff, man, Jumpluff's about to tear through Celesteela.
Dude, it's gonna be sweet, but really cool stuff. A lot of these coaches saving their tier 1 picks or even their mega picks for the last round. You see that with Garchomp and Absol and you know, Tyranitar, and then you got like Hydreigon and Keldeo, some really solid stuff there towards the tail end of the draft. So, you know, that's just kind of how the tier draft works, though. A lot of people that you can kind of choose to strategize and take, you know, your mega much later or whatever it may be. Really cool stuff there, but you know, I think this is where we are going to conclude, guys. You know, I want to thank everyone for hanging out with us here for the NPA Season 4 draft stream. Big special thank you to Crimson Seabad. Do you have any final words before I take us out here, Chase?
No. As we've been saying the entire stream, !NPA. You guys need to go check out every single one of their coaches. Dan talked about how his draft analysis is going up shortly. I'm sure mine will be going up shortly. I'm sure a lot of coaches will be going up very shortly today. Should they do that, go subscribe, support your favorite coaches. Team builders are optional. Team builders from coaches will be going up next Friday. Week 1 battles begin next Saturday as well, so make sure you subscribe so you do not miss out on that. Go check out the NPA channel. Check out all the fantastic stuff the analysts have going on over there. Support the NPA on Twitter. You know, fantastic group of people. Big shout outs to everybody who's been helping out behind the scenes. I got to give a big shout out to my man Jodor, my big shout out to my man Galactic Elliot as well, helping with everything as well, and all of the people behind the scenes who've been helping out with the draft slides and everything. Thank you very much, guys, for helping us put on a successful show. Thank you very much, guys, to everybody who has been watching, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Dan, take us away.
Yeah, dude, you crushed it. You just basically thanked everyone and everything that I wanted to do, so I'll just save everyone the time and say everything Chase said. I double that, except subscribe to my YouTube channel. And be sure to hit that follow button on this Twitch stream, twitch.tv/adrive, as I do appreciate your support as I stream Pokemon and all sorts of cool stuff pretty much every single day. Again, big shouts to everyone behind the scenes who made this happen, all the people at the NPA. Subscribe to all the channels. Matches go up next week. Pretty cool stuff there. And thank you to everyone else who also subscribed to the channel today while I was streaming. I obviously didn't call them out, but thank you. And any of the bits that were given, thank you guys for that too. That is going to be that for us, guys. Thank you so much for watching the Season 4 NPA draft stream. Get hyped for the battles. Let me know what draft you think is the best in the chat right now. Turn up for myself, Crimson Seabad, Jodor, Galactic Elliot, and the rest of the NPA crew. That's going to be it for us, guys. We will catch you guys next time. Peace.
Peace.
Got my team on this journey. I'll be the best that there ever was. Yeah, my time is now. And I won't stop till I'm on top. I'll be the best that there ever was. Yeah, my time is now.
You can never go toe to toe, there's no stopping us. You know my whole team fly like a tropius. Yeah, you say you're a goon, what's a goon to a goblin? I'm the only one to make a gloom from an oddish. You and your squadron is doomed from the start. If you choose to be hard-headed, fool choose a target. I'm heartless, monster, spitting out projectiles. Watch out for the trickle when he level up the skate tile. Leaf guard, you ain't messing with Laurentis. Slicing up enemies, it's looking like it's dancing. I'm in the lush jungle chilling with my rowlets. Checking in your outfit and we ain't even out yet. Your squad looking thin, get some creatine. Cortana gonna hit him with the guillotine. Go ahead and stick out your neck like Executor. Haven't even started the battle, so what you yelling for, huh?
I got my team on this journey. I'll be the best that there ever was. Yeah, my time is now. And I won't stop till I'm on top. I'll be the best that there ever was. Yeah, my time is now.
Yeah, Inferno Overdrive, Shofu Empire coincide super good with the flames. How I leave opponents demoralized, I'm motorized. Me and my Pokemon working overtime, collecting all the badges. I ain't never feeling more alive. Yahweh with the flames, we ain't playing games. We too hot up in the building, Incineroar with the blaze. Blowing up in your face, making you feel the rays. Man, we hotter than the sun, we ain't never changing our ways. I break it down, I'm spitting fire like a Litten do. I'ma need a challenge and my opponent's formidable. Everything is predictable, challenge me unforgivable. With Nerd, I'm making hits and every hit is looking critical. Headed to the top, see me when I'm at the pinnacle. Can't put out my fire, using water will be difficult. I'm on fire, you beating me, use a liar. Putting flames to the lanes and we making you retire like that.
I got my team on this journey. I'll be the best that there ever was. Yeah, my time is now. And I won't stop till I'm on top. I'll be the best that there ever was. Yeah, my time is now.
Breaking news, they are wondering who he'll pick. Turn up, they probably order Primarino real quick. This is super nerd out, collection be the realest. Any hit we drop on them critical, they feel this, fearless. What's a try to me? Been spitting scarred since birth, what's a fire to me? Went through all that and he never shook a goosebump. Bet on me, then he ate through, that mean he a loser. Level 5, they laugh at the trainer like what he got to the whole team. Scales hard like Alyssa Pod, really rockin' with the flow. Choose Caracosta. Catch a hot squad means nothing to my roster. Champion ability, never had imposter. Trainer red, don't wanna see hands from Cabral. Obstacles was all tall, now they looking short to me. When they finally catch up, he go ultra beast.
I got my team on this journey. I'll be the best that there ever was. Yeah, my time is now. And I won't stop till I'm on top. I'll be the best that there ever was. Yeah, my time is now. I'll be the best that there ever was. Yeah, my time is now. I'll be the best that there ever was. Yeah, my time is now.